and welcome back to Velma's Diner. My name is Andre. What can I get you? We are back on a Wednesday evening and a very special one at that. I am so excited for today and for the next coming weeks because we're about to embark on a new campaign. This is the Feast of Hemlock Vale, which let me tell you is such a special campaign. This is the second last campaign to come out. We're kind of playing them in backwards order unintentionally. So this was the campaign that just came out before Drowned City, and for so many reasons, it's in one of my top, I would say, 3 campaigns, and I've been like really vibing it. I've been really getting into it and being really excited for it. And so we're gonna be able to share all that excitement in just a moment. Maybe I'm a bit ahead of myself. How's everyone doing today? Welcome back on this Wednesday evening. Happy Canada Day. Hey, Pat. Happy moving day here in Quebec. Today, it's also Canada Day. I believe it's the 159th birthday of this lovely country I am in. I am in Quebec, and here in Quebec, we don't really celebrate Canada Day. It's moving day, so everyone gets to move. We didn't move, luckily, despite the mandate to move on this day, but hopefully you're all doing well and you had this day off if you're on this side of the border. Adam, how's it going? Hemlock Vale is great. Hemlock Vale is so good, and for so many reasons. This is a campaign that takes place in just like a really nice kind of vibe. It takes place in Maine, I'm pretty sure, an island off the coast of Maine. It's about a feast and a family and a village coming together. You go off on expeditions and you explore the flora and fauna, and at night, scary things happen. And it's some of the best scenarios ever designed in the whole game. It's also like if you've heard me, you know I'm pretty into like linear campaigns, and this is actually a non-linear campaign that I incredibly appreciate, because when every day starts, you choose to do what you want to do with that day, and when every night starts, you choose to do what you want to do with that night. Except each scenario actually like changes pretty drastically when you do it and why you're doing it, which is good fun. And yet the campaign is also really good at putting you on rails if you want to be. There is like some obvious paths that you can follow that are good, well-maintained paths that will push you forward. So there's a lot to like about this. I never got around to Hemlock Vale. Oh my god, I'll definitely need a break after a frustrating Drowned City though. I don't know if you got to the end of your Drowned City, Pat. I'm so excited to play Hemlock too, because it is one of my favorite campaigns. And while we did play Drowned City, it's not one of my favorites. There's a lot of issues I have with Drowned City, and you're going to see kind of like the exact opposite here, where there's just so much to enjoy. Also, Strange Solution, how's it going? I'm catching this live probably one of the few times I will, but I discovered your channel recently. Great work, by the way. Thank you. That's very kind words. Thanks for joining. Also, great, Arkham horror name. Give me 1 second. I'm just gonna lower the blinds just a bit because you can see the reflection of the light and that's bothering me. I don't know. 1 second. Perfect. Okay, so today what we decided to do, Hemlock Vale is not in the chapter 2. It's not in the second, version 2.0 of Arkham Horror. It is one of the older campaigns. Now, the older campaigns will require you technically to use some encounter sets from the first campaign, from the first, core set. There's a way to kind of modify those out. You can follow the grimoire. I don't actually think this set uses too many things from the original core set, so it shouldn't be that bad. We got through to the Drowned City while making minimal changes, and it was totally fine. Now, that being said, to make sure that our deck building is slightly more interesting, what I decided to do is we are going to be using the entirety of the Chapter 2 card pool going into this, but we'll also be able to play the player cards that came out in the Hemlock Vale set, right? So we are playing 2 Chapter 2 investigators, and I'm really excited specifically to play Miguel, because Miguel is like the coolest survivor printed in a long time, and that's maybe not saying too much because basically every survivor printed is usually the coolest survivor, but we're going to be playing only some cards from Hemlock Vale, because when it comes to like Seeker, it was okay. When it comes to Guardian, which we can play, Guardian was kind of a bit self-contained with Blessed and that sort of thing, so we're not going to see too much of it. And Survivor, specifically when it comes to Miguel has a lot of self-contained cards that came in his pre-constructed deck, so there's not too much you can actually reach back and play. As much as any event is a good event, it's mostly going to be Chapter 2 with a couple splashes. Like, we're going to be bringing our mask to the party, but of course. Before we dive in, I think I'm going to take a second just to talk about the decks. We usually do like a deck breakdown. I'm worried that tonight is going to be a really long evening, as much as it's meant to be the daytime, but I think that's probably going to be fine and fun, because we have to talk about our decks. We have to talk about our decisions of what the decks are. Then we have to do the interlude and read through all the text. Then we have to do the interlude in the morning, which if you're not familiar with Hemlock Vale, every morning you wake up in the village of Hemlock, and then you have to go around and talk to people for about 4 turns, and then you decide which journey to go on. And this interlude not only allows you to make relationships with people and set up cards, but it has this weird thing where after the interlude in the morning, you keep your hand, you keep 1 card on the table, you keep your resources up to your maximum resource. So it's like a very drawn out, interesting mulligan. So it does actually matter but we do have to play it, and it's not very long, and then we have to play a real full-length scenario. I think actually the day scenarios are not super long, so maybe that'll all fit within our like 3-hour window tonight, but we have a lot to get to, so I think we're just going to jump about straight in. Hey Andy, funny, I just finished watching your favorite upgrade video with Villain Theory and had this notification drop in. It's moving day for Andy down here in the States. I'm fatigued. Yo Andy, hopefully it's good. It's moving day classically in Quebec too, so you picked a great day. Hopefully it's not too stressful and you're kind of wrapping up. Shout out to Villain Theory. That was a really fun video. He reached out to be like, hey, you want to do this thing? And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. You know, I like upgrades, and I think it turned out really nice. So hopefully your day has not been too stressful and you're getting ready for, I'm assuming you have a long weekend coming up, right? In the States, the 4th or what have you. So hopefully it's been okay. Okay, so let's dive into the decks that I built for today. They are slightly tested. I played like one test scenario with them, so they're definitely functional, but maybe they could be better. And again, we're playing with a Chapter 2 card pool plus the Hemlock Vale Investigator cards, which we're barely kind of touching that pool because it's mostly self-contained stuff that we're not playing the Investigators. So we're going to start here with Joe Diamond. And we played Joe Diamond, not on the channel exactly, but we played Joe Diamond on the Metropole Grid, I think, for, what's it called, for April's Fools. So Joe Diamond is like incredibly powerful. Let me just swap over to him, I guess. So his ability text is really quite good. He has a 2-4-4-2 stat line, which means he can flex between clues and fighting, and that's kind of his job on the team today. I do want to say I picked 2 investigators that are very flex heavy. I think that's the thing I want to be doing when we're playing two-handed, is not have one character that's only doing one thing and another character who's only doing the other thing, because then the turns become pretty rote, where it's like, oh, the fighter will fight this turn, the cluever will clue this turn. But I kind of like it more where each character can do a bit of everything, and so you actually have to decide what they're going to do kind of more holistically on a turn. So Joe can do both. Do you want to shout out Joe has existed in this game before. He came out in, I want to say, the 3rd or 4th campaign. I forget, it's been a minute. And he had this really cool thing with the sub deck of cards. His stats were very similar, but he had these insights that he could play for free off the top of this like hunch deck he had. This is so much more straightforward, and it's such an absurdly powerful ability. It says the first time you successfully investigate, or actually once per turn when you successfully investigate, you can choose to draw a card. Elder Sign is also draw a card and gain a resource, which is obviously pretty good as well. So he kind of is the Seeker card draw fuel. Seeker's generally been really good at drawing a lot of cards, and Joe is no different. I want to say when it comes to Joe Diamond's ability, that ability is so straightforward, but so absurdly powerful that he kind of warrants the sort of deck building where he can only be Seeker, like no splash off class, but we can actually play off class. I'm not sure if I have the back of this card. Yeah, I do. So we can play Guardian cards level 0 to 2, which means we can play a handful of weapons and basic Guardian upgrades. So we'll be doing all our fighting as well, but very, very good hero text. Honestly, incredibly good, and has a good card pool to boot. So that's Joe. Let's talk about the cards that we have. This is his unique card. It's called Detective Intuition. You might have seen this art before because it got misprinted. This shouldn't be the art that was on here. This actually shows up in a card that comes in Carolyn Fern's deck. This card is kind of whatever. I really often don't like characters that have events or skills as their unique card because you just play them once and that's it, as opposed to having an asset or like a card that hits the table that impacts every single turn. Those are always a lot more interesting. And Joe Diamond's card is good. It's just like nothing to write home about. As an event, you can gain 2 resources, heal 1 damage, or 1 horror. However, after you draw this during your turn, which is easy with Joe's text, you can reveal it to draw 2 additional cards. That's not bad, but it like doesn't make Joe's deck. And if this is not in the deck functionally is the same. So it's fine. If we draw it, it's okay. All right, other cards. I guess I'll move this over here so you can see it. We're playing a pair of 1911s. This is just the gun that we have. The other option we could play here is Machete, but this is pretty good. It brings us up to 5 fight, and we attack for 2 damage. And mind you, Miguel heal will be helping with a bit of fight, so we don't have to do all the fighting, but this is just pretty quite good, and it's cheap and easy to play. I like these like basic guns more than I did in the first chapter. We also have Magnifying Glass, which I'm so surprised they reprinted. This card's so easy to play, and fast cards are really, really good in Joe because he draws a lot. So it's easy to dump these out of hands without spending an action and then just kind of, go forward. This just gives you +1 book or intellect while investigating, which is what we need to do. Even playing 1 Magnifying Glass brings us up to 5 book, which is perfect. Now, one of the cards that we are splashing, and mind you, when it came to the Guardian, Wilson Richards that came out in Hemlock Vale, he was all about tools. So we're playing another fast event, which is really easy to get out of our hand. It attaches to a tool asset in our play area, which we at least only here have the Magnifying Glass, and that just takes up 1 fewer hand or accessory slot, which is not too bad at all. I'll be honest, we barely have an accessory in this deck, and this card's not going to be that good right now, but it will be good in the future where we can play more greedy things that fit in our hands, and so we just get an extra slot. An extra slot is nice for 1 cost, no actions. Kind of similar to that, we're playing custom grip, which I actually don't mind. We don't want to put too many more weapons in our deck because I think 2 firearms might just be enough if we're lucky that we find one, I guess. But this is a fast card, which Joe really likes. You can attach it to a firearm, and then during your turn, you can discard that firearm and then basically replay any firearm, but probably just replay it, which is good. And that just means our gun, when it runs out, we're not going to be caught in a bad situation. Now, allies, this is a weird question because my answer to this is we're just going to run all the best allies we can. Obviously, we only have 1 ally slot, and this deck has no healing inherently, so we're just going to play more allies and just play whatever kind of comes up early, the way that you don't want to bank on getting the first thing in your mulligan. It's okay. It's Dorothy. She gives us +1 book, which brings us up to 5 book, and after we successfully investigate by 1 or 3, we gain a resource. That's just good text. It's not Christopher Milan, but we'll take it. We don't have any way to really control after we pull a chaos token, but that's not super common. But ideally, we'll get some resources and a stat boost as much as she dies to just about everything. Then on the other side, we're playing Logan Hastings. And so if we have to flex more into the fighter, this gives us +1 fight. And similarly, if we do the thing we want to do, which is destroy something, we gain a resource and he has slightly more soak. We're playing 2 of each, which may be a bit much, but ideally some of these will get knocked out to treacheries and incidental damage. And then we can just play the other one because we have really good card draw. We should be able to find multiple of them. Now, this is one of the other cards we're playing from Hemlock Vale, and it's chemistry set. And I honestly just wanted to play an accessory because I wanted to. There is no guardian accessory, I think, in the chapter 2 so far at 0 XP, and I don't even know if Seeker has one. And this is just a weird card. It's an asset that takes up our accessory slot. We can exhaust it to investigate, and then based off of what we succeed by, we'll get a benefit unless we fail by 2, in which the chemistry set discards itself. I haven't really played this card before, but it's just kind of fun. It's kind of goofy that, what's her name? Dorothy wants to go for 1 and 3, and this wants to go for 0, 2, and 4. So at least with this on the table and Dorothy, we'll be happy when whatever happens, unless we fail by 2. But there's this whole science sub theme, mind you. The Seeker that came out in Hemlock Vale, she is a scientist that has these science things that care about succeeding by certain amounts. We're going to be playing a couple of those cards, as much as the theme doesn't exactly make sense. Hey, Lucy, late to stream, unheard of. Not too late at all. We're kind of like getting into this as quickly as possible because we have so much to do today. Hopefully you're well. Welcome to the feast. Ace Manor, yay, something to keep me going in the heat. Hopefully you're staying cool. We're quite warm here in Montreal too. It's storming out right now, so it's cooling down a fair bit, and I'm hoping we don't lose power, but hopefully you're staying cool. All right, and stat boosts. I usually play 2 endurances, but we're doing something slightly different. Endurance is really good because once you get to the mid game, your resources kind of don't matter too much. And this just allows you to boost infinitely, 1 for 2 for fight, or 1 for 2 for evade, or less than that outside if it's not a fight or an evade during like a mythos phase thing, which is just really good. These cards have been very impressive in chapter 2 so far as ways to use your resources to pass tests, which ultimately is all this game is about. But we're not playing 2 copies. The other copies, we're playing a Hemlock card called Mouse Mask. Now, we have access to 2 different masks. Masks were a new type of card that the Feast brought in, and you can only have one of them, kind of like a headwear slot, I think is what this would normally be if it was printed in Chapter 2. And these things come in with 2 offerings, and we can spend an offering once per test to give ourselves +2 willpower or +2 book. Now, the +2 willpower is probably the best part of this. The +2 book might honestly not matter. There's actually a chance that the Wolf Mask would be better for us, and we can replenish one of these offerings after you reveal or put a location into play. Out of all the masks, I think this is the hardest one to replenish. A lot of the other masks are easier to replenish, so maybe Wolf Mask, the one that we could play that gives us fight or agility, which we replenish by just engaging an enemy, might be better for us, but I wanted to bring one mask into Hemlock because thematically it makes a lot of sense. Now, the other weird Hemlock card that we're playing, this is Ravenous Myconid, and I have never played this card before. It's an unidentified card, so similar to the Scroll of the Pharaohs from Chapter 2. It's a card that doesn't do much. You play it, you can only have limit 1 per deck. It's this beautiful monster. It has soak as much as it's not an ally, and as an action, we can search our bonded cards for this card called Uncanny Growth, and that's all it really can do. If the Ravenous Myconid has 3 or more growth counters on it, which we'll talk about, the event puts the counters there, as an action, you can move those growth counters to your resource pool as resources and record that you have classified a new species. What does that do? It allows us to upgrade the Ravenous Myconid into one of the weird versions of it, which we will not spoil that. We'll kind of get through that as we will. I do think in Hemlock Vale, a lot of this is like the flora and fauna discovering it. So having a disastrous flora or like a weird flora working with us doesn't really fit the theme too much of Joe Diamond as an investigator as opposed to like a scientist or a botanist, but seemed like a fun thing to do. Now, Uncanny Growth is actually really straightforward. It's a one-cost event that just makes you investigate, and by everything you succeed by whatever you succeed by, you put that many growth counters on the Myconid. That's it. If you fail, you have to return this to your hand. Otherwise, it goes outside of play, and then you have to spend an action to bring it back. So it is just expensive because you have to spend an action to get this, and then you have to spend a resource on an action to investigate with no other benefit. But you want to investigate this once or figure this out once, and then once it is classified, then in the future, you never have to do this again, and this card gets a bit better. Myconid is such a good card. I've never played it. I don't want to spoil it, but there's 3 different Myconids you can choose to grow this into. So we'll see which Myconid works more for us. But I want to say this is something that we found out in the wilds of Hemlock because it does kind of make sense. Gather intel. One thing I want to shout out by this card that I only realized recently, this card has a different color to all other cards. Like this card is orange, not yellow. I don't know why that is, but like if you look at other cards, the coloring is just different. Like it's very a different color. I don't know what happened to this card. Anyways, it's fine. It's okay. It's honestly not even the best card that we could probably want in a Joe Diamond deck because it just draws more cards and we're pretty good at drawing cards. It's a 1-cost fast card that says when an enemy enters your location, doesn't have to engage us, we just draw 2 cards. So that's just more card draw for the guy who already does card draw, which might be too much. The icons are okay, but I don't exactly know what else to put in the slot. This is probably a card that we'll end up cutting when we upgrade our deck, and that's totally fine. Now, right tool for the job. This is actually kind of neat. This card I have had in every Guardian deck I've played so far in Chapter 2 because it allows you to search the top 9 of your deck for a weapon, but also for a tool, which is good because with Seeker, we can play a whole lot of different tools and this can find them with consistency. So generally when I had this, when we were playing Tommy Muldoon, we never played it if we already had a gun, but if we have a gun, we'll still search our backpack for a magnifying glass or a microscope or whatever forensic kit, whatever we're going to end up putting in our deck. So it feels a bit better and we'll play 2 copies of it as much as our card draw is pretty good. I recently played Myconid in a Rex deck. Which one did you go for? This card is so good in Joe Diamond. Which one? Right tool? I take it. It is really nice. It's flexible that you both have good weapons and good tools. All right, next we're just going to talk about the economy in the deck. We have Bounty, which is just a really strong, staple economy card for Guardian. When something is killed, you can split the money amongst you fast, which is fantastic. And I think the card pool in Season 2 is small enough that we still probably have to play Emergency Cash, which is just an action for 3 resources. From the skills, we're just kind of playing all the heavy hitters. There's a lot of skills in Chapter 2 that just say, this gives you a lot of extra stats in the right condition. And I generally just don't play those. Those might be a bit more relevant in higher difficulties where the bag is a bit harder. But for us, we're just playing kind of like the best stuff, like the most no-nonsense stuff. A deduction is really quite good at 2 players plus because most locations, in fact, all locations largely have at least 2 clues. So this gives us +1 intellect. And if we succeed, we get at least 2 clues instead of 1. A vicious blow is the same thing for damage. Doesn't really matter for the player count. But +1 combat, and if we succeed, that does 2 damage. So a single bullet can translate to 3 damage, which is a really good breakpoint for a lot of enemies. Then we have 2 copies of Overpower because we want to be fighting things. It's really unfortunate our stats are 2, 4, 4, 2. So like I don't really want to play Guts or Manual Dexterity, but kind of using Overpower and the other one, Perception, feels a bit extra because our stats are really good. But we do have a couple things that care about how much you succeed by or succeeding by a lot. Then we have our 2 weaknesses, which are bad, and they'll be a little surprised when they show up. But that's the deck. It's pretty straightforward, the kind of the way that Seeker Guardian is in Chapter 2. And there's not too much in Hemlock Vale that I think we could splash into this that makes a lot of sense. I didn't actually like a lot of the science cards too much, so we're playing a couple of them kind of because we want to. And this card, mind you, isn't in our deck at the start, but this seems total functional. We can like flex between finding at least 1 clue every turn to draw a card and then putting out some damage, which will be a pretty good foil to our friend here, Miguel. Speaking of Miguel, Miguel might be one of the coolest investigators in Chapter 2. It's like Miguel, Marie are definitely the 2 high points. I think Izzy's pretty cool too. But Miguel is just like damn fun and interesting and plays totally different and interacts with a totally different card pool. I worry that some of the cards that came with Miguel might be like strictly unplayable in other survivors, but ultimately that feels a bit bad because Chapter 2 is currently small, but in the future, maybe that'll be better. I just think a lot of these cards are like kind of useless on Izzy or anyone who can splash this. Yeah, for the tools. Yeah, searching for tools is pretty good. I took the one that can cancel encounter cards. It just seemed too good to not take in Rex. I think they mutated that one someone recently. I think it's slightly worse than it used to be. I don't know which version you played, but I know one of the Myconids, and I think it was the Treachery cancellation one, was mutated. Yeah. Andre's really good Chapter 2 as well. Yeah, Andre is quite good. I just think Andre's a bit boring. We played a whole campaign as solo one-handed Andre, and like he kept up. He really did. He has that sort of like brutal efficiency you need for solo. But I just think his card pool and what he does is not particularly that weird or that exciting compared to Miguel or Marie that have like some standout really interesting cards. Now, this is Miguel. Firstly, he has an 8-8 stat line, which is above normal. Usually you have one less, so he's a pretty hardy guy. His stat line is kind of a mess. You have 3-2-3-4, which only his agility is like the thing that you can really pin anything on. And luckily, he can use agility for just about everything in his deck. 3 willpower is like, okay, you can pass some tests. 3 fight means you can fight in a pinch, and 2 book means you're kind of useless. So I'd rather this be like, 4-1-3-4, but we'll do fine with this. So his ability is like really straightforward as well, but very flexible how it comes out in the wash, right? It says you may take an additional turn during your turn, which may be used only to play an event. So you have a 4 action turn as long as you're playing an event a turn. And let me tell you, there's some really good events, and he can recur some events to make sure that's good. Any deck that's event based, kind of like any deck that's skill based, if you played some of the rogues, they really need card draw. And that's one of my pain points with this deck, is that there's one card in the deck that can ensure that you have consistent card draw. That actually might be a benefit of these like Hemlock Vale interludes, is that we can kind of get the card consistently on the table to start the scenario. But events are only as good as your card draw is, because eventually you run out of events. You're only drawing 1 card a turn. And so that's kind of the issue right now with this deck, is that like the card draw is not there in the rogue card pool. So it's mostly about like recurring your events and grabbing your best events from the bin to play them over and over again. And his Elder Sign effect is just that. His effect is you may add 1 trick or trap card from your discard pile to your hand, and those are almost entirely events. So you're gonna need that to land for sure. He's good, but doesn't push you in a different direction. Yes, Andre is. Yeah, he's really quite good. He's very, very quite good. All right, so let's talk about this one card. Oops, 1 second. So this is like the best card to open with, and we're gonna try and get this on our mulligan in Hemlock Vale. It's his knapsack. He has one of these. It's a body slot, which is not really a contested slot. It gives him 2 extra health, has 2 wilds, but it says when you play an event, it's a reaction. You can choose to exhaust this to either play that event at a connecting location, which is surprisingly potent text the way that his deck works, as if you were there, or draw a card. And this draw card thing, I think, is so important to keep this deck full of cards in hand. You play an event, clicklessly, you get an action back by drawing a card. It just replaces itself. So you're functionally taking like 5 actions a turn as long as you can afford to play an event a turn. It is so good. You want to open with this 10 out of 10 times. I was so excited not only to play Miguel because he's so interesting, but also he is the sort of outdoorsman, the rancher. A lot of his cards show kind of scenes that you would expect to see in the woods around Hemlock Vale. And so he's going to be very much in his element for this campaign. So looking forward to that a lot. Let's talk about some traps. Traps are so fascinating. I played through a whole campaign, a 3-player campaign of Brethren of Ash with Miguel, and it started out slow, and then you realize that there's such an absurd depth to the curve of this deck, or like this skill kind of ceiling to this deck, the learning curve, because the way that you have to use these, you both have to be preemptive, you have to plan ahead. It really rewards if you know the scenario to know where things are going to show up. It rewards you for moving really like in a smart way. Like there's so much behind these cards, and they're mostly because they're cards that when you play them, they do nothing. They do nothing, they sit on the table, but if you can make the right circumstance, they fire, and they can fire over and over and over again. That's what these traps work. Just to show you the first one, this is Lie in Wait. It's a 2-cost fast event. Honestly, the fast part of this is like so strange to me because that makes it maybe playable outside of Miguel, but with Miguel, you have a free action to play an event, and all his traps, which are like 6 cards in his deck, maybe more, they're all fast. So that text doesn't matter on a whole bunch of cards in his deck, but like it's still not bad. It's just weird that these are fast and then you don't actually get to use your text. You have to work a bit harder. Regardless, you can attach this to your location or technically at a neighboring location if you have your knapsack. And then after an enemy enters that location, you can exhaust Lie in Wait to just fight. No matter where you are, you just fight. You can use your combat or you can use your agility. We'll always be using our agility because it's just straight better. You fight that enemy and you get +1 skill value. So we'll be fighting at 5 if we use our agility. If that's successful, you just do a single damage, but you can also discard this after it's successful for this attack to deal 1 damage. Actually, that's not true. I think you have to commit to the +1 damage before you pull the token. I'm realizing in hindsight, right? I don't think it's if successful, you may discard this. I think you have to discard this to deal an additional damage, so you don't know if the outcome's going to be good or not. Let me know if that's the case in chat. I'm realizing that in hindsight. I think you have to discard this first. So this is just a card you put down fast behind you. 2 is a bit expensive, don't get me wrong. But for the rest of the game, anytime an enemy enters that location, or at least once per round, because this exhausts itself, you can just ping it for a damage. And in this scenario, this was the campaign where Elusive, the trait, came out for the first time. And that is just very useful. That you can, and anytime an enemy enters your location, before they're going to hit you, you just ping them with Lie in Wait and they have to run away because they got hit, which anytime that you fight something that's elusive, it just runs away immediately, which is like really cool. You can like funnel things into this. If something's on you, if you can clicklessly move on top of it, it'll take damage. Like it's just super, super flexible. The one part of this that's actually like kind of clumsy in an interesting way is a limit one trap per location. So when I was playing Brethren of Ash and he found like a central location where you know the boss is going to be or something important, trying to figure out which trap you want to set there, and then you want to fire a trap and discard it so you can put the second trap down, like that's actually really interesting. And all his cards kind of work like this: 2 cost fast, put it down somewhere, and then when an enemy enters that location, not readies, but enters that location, you get some sort of benefit, except that benefit can fire multiple times. It's like very much delayed value, but it's very good delayed valued. You mentioned possibly having too much card draw. What's the downside in Arkham to drawing too much? It's not a huge downside. It's just kind of like the downside is at the end of your turn, you're discarding cards from your hand, so you're just wasting value. Luckily, a lot of your cards have boost icons, so if you're doing a test, you can just commit it to just like ensure you're going to succeed. Technically, in Arkham, you have bad cards in your deck, you have weaknesses, so the more you draw, the more you'll find your weaknesses, but again, also the more you'll find good cards. The only like true downside is like when you deck out, kind of similar to Marvel Champions, instead of drawing an encounter card, you have to take a direct war, so that will eventually kill you, but it just takes so long for that actually to be a real thing. Certain campaigns actually punish you for decking out. We're not one of those campaigns, but that's largely it. It's just like drawing too much just means you're like wasting value. It's like, why would I pay a 1 cost fast to draw 2 when I'm just going to discard 2 at the end of my turn unless I'm looking for a specific card? Yeah. Yeah, if your deck runs out, you need to draw a card. Hey, you cannot, you shuffle your deck and you take a horde. Anyways, fun card. Similarly to that is glassing. Glassing might be better, and that's because a single clue or a double clue is usually better than a single or a double damage. This you attach to a location, and after an enemy enters the location, 1 trap per location, you can exhaust this to get a clue or 2 clues if you discard this. That's really quite strong. You put this in a central location with 4 shroud, and you just say, okay, enemies will solve this for me. As long as you know the enemies have patrol or hunter, or you can push them into a location and do a lot of other interesting stuff. A single glassing has emptied 4 shroud locations for me. Again, you still have to investigate successfully with your 4 book plus 1, and you can boost your book stat in this deck, but it's really, really quite good. Survivor decks like to have a second raw deck known as discard pile. If you have to shuffle it away, you have to work to rebuild that discard pile again. We do have a lot of cards that interact with their discard pile, which is an unironic second hand or a second deck for survivors. So when they lose their discard pile, yeah, like Spanner's saying, it does feel a bit bad. Now, this card I actually didn't have in the original version of the deck that I tried out, but I actually want to play this because it seems pretty good when it comes to elusive and some of the ways that some of the scenarios are designed in this campaign. It's the same idea. You attach to your location, and after an enemy enters the location, you can evade them, and you can also discard this to move to that location, which can be very valuable. You can just put this on the resign location, get an enemy to show up there, and then just like warp across the board, which is quite good. Again, you evade with +1. If the test succeeds, you may discard this to move to this location from any location, which is incredibly strong text. We are the only character that can invade in this duo. Mind you, Joe Diamond only has 2 agility, so this is the card that we have for that. Now, there's a lot of like weird cards in this deck that you kind of need to have the oil, like the well-greased wheels. Give me 1 second. What happened? Sorry, something went down here. I usually have my phone up with the stream to see monitoring because sometimes like chat like dies, and then I don't know, but it looks like it's shut down. But we look good. Yeah, we look good here. Okay. Stock Prey is a 1-cost event, and it's nice to have a non-fast event because you can play it fast on your turn. It says, look at the top 9 cards of the encounter deck and draw an enemy. You draw it, so it still will spawn wherever it spawns. Then after that enemy comes into play, you draw a card, you discover a clue at your location, and if the enemy was not spawned at your location, which sometimes spawn effects do that, you may move once towards it, or if you use this with Miguel's knapsack to like play it as if you're in a neighboring location. This seems like not amazing. Mind you, I don't know if I have this in the thing, but this is one of my favorite cards in the game, Kick the Hornet's Nest. It kind of does all of this. It looks for an enemy, it spawns it, discovers clues, it gets resources, like all that stuff is really good. But Stock Prey is like even better in some context here, as much as I think I'd rather play Hornet's Nest, on the basis that you can force things onto your traps. So the idea is if a trap is sitting there and it can get 2 clues or do 2 damage and you just want to get rid of it, let alone you just want it to fire, you just say Stock Prey. Oops, an enemy showed up, it fell straight into your trap, and then you get all your value plus more. It's really quite nice, and it's a nice way to get some little clues in a deck that only has like 2 intellect. Guerrilla Tactics. This card upgrades really, really well. It's a 1-cost event that just says fight or evade, which like, that's not great, but you get to do that fast, so it gets a lot better. You get +1 skill test for this test, and you may target an enemy at a connecting location as if you were engaged with that enemy. If I'm not mistaken with Miguel's knapsack, that means you can fight or evade 2 locations away, which is just straight nonsense. It is a tactic, so you can't recur with the Elder Sign ability, but you can recur with some other cards in your deck. And this card, if you upgrade it, I think it's like 2 or 3 XP, the upgraded version, it is really quite good. Again, this is a free fight or evade +1 skill at a neighboring location, kind of quite nice. Hey Vision, how's it going? Catching the stream, hoping for some good Survivor gameplay. I mean, like, this deck is really tricky to play that I'm worried playing two-handed while talking on stream. I'm gonna make a mess of it, but it's really good. These are all the events we have. Is that enough? Oh no, actually we have slightly more events. These are a couple cards that I have in front of me to talk about, like what makes these cards a bit better. We have more events in the deck. First card we have to make these traps a bit more consistent is Loner. Loner is absurdly good. Like, we talked about getting the free move action from Olivier Bishop in our Andre Patel deck, and obviously that is just like one of the best allies we've ever seen. But Loner is a 2-cost, limit 1 per investigator asset that just says during your turn, exhaust this to move to an empty connecting location. Notably, this doesn't take an action. So if there's an enemy on you and there's a trap at the location next to you that is empty, you can just move them into the trap and the trap will fire. Again, free movement is just so nice at solo, let alone at 2 players, still quite valuable. And this can just allow you to fire your traps without taking incidental damage. You can move to a position, then use your knapsack to play an event as if you were functionally like 2 locations away. It is just so dang flexible. There's a fair bit of movement in some of these campaigns. Some of the scenarios are actually pretty wide. This card is really, really great. Traps are super fun feeling cards. Miguel seems really fascinating. Red is Survivor. Yeah, red is Survivor. That's the sort of like kind of bird in the top right corner. Survivor is a class that's usually good at like not dying and healing and doing weird tricksy stuff, but they're generally not super efficient with their basic actions. So like there's not a lot of cards in Survivor that will do 2 damage or 2 clues for a single action, but there's a lot of cards that will like evade testlessly and like move and do stuff like that. It's wild that Pathfinder was felt so strong at 1 XP they tabooed it, and now they have Bishop and Loner at 0 XP. I mean, Loner has a real downside, especially because it scales poorly at bigger and bigger player counts, but Olivier Bishop is nonsense. Like, they did very specifically say they wanted to have Rogue to be more about movement, and yeah, they nailed it. I just don't understand in Chapter 2, whatever their ally you're meant to play in Rogue. All right, this is one of the few cards we're playing in this deck. And mind you, a lot of the cards that we're playing are like self-contained within Miguel's precon deck, and that's because they're made for him. But there is still a couple good events, and Elaborate Distraction actually is such a good event. I've always been super impressed with this, particularly at bigger player counts. So this is a double, which is a recurring theme in Hemlock Vale. So it costs you 2 actions instead of 1. That means with Miguel, we can spend 1 action on this, so it's a bargain. It costs 3, which is expensive, but it says for each enemy at your location and at each connecting location, choose 1. Either automatically evade that enemy if it's not elite, or just ping it for 1 damage. Pinging it for 1 damage is not a fight, so that won't fire elusive, but this will kill aloof things like whippoorwills and zealots and stuff like that. And with Knapsack, you can play this as if you were 2 connections away, which is really, really kind of cool. Like, basically can impact characters 2 connections away. There's a lot of scenarios that have like a central hub, so a lot of the locations are connected to other locations, connected to locations, so it's not hard to find a location to make an elaborate distraction, as much as it just seems to be a house fire. Really, really good card and can get you out of the dodge, specifically with higher player counts. Other events are playing Emergency Cash. It's just really good. Like, there's not a lot of decks where Emergency Cash is that much better than Emergency Cash in other decks. But when Miguel plays this clicklessly and then draws a card with his knapsack, it's absurd. Emergency Cash is really quite good. Speaking of other economy things, same old thing. Honestly, I thought this card would be a bit better than it actually turns out to be. This is a condition. It comes in with 5 supplies, and you may spend the supplies on this thing as resources to pay for events by any investigator at your location. So functionally, if you play this, it's kind of like playing an emergency cache. It gives you 3 resources for a single action, or at least +3. And that's not bad. And you can also be altruistic with this. So if your teammate needs some money for events, you can help your teammate. Now, this card is really close to Schaffner's Catalog, which I don't have in my thing because it's too old of a card. And Schaffner's Catalog was that sort of idea. It was a 2-cost item that came in with 5 resources to use to spend for items anybody at your location could use. And Schaffner's was probably way better of a card than this for multiple reasons. Firstly, items are usually the cards you want to set up on the first couple turns, so that matters a bit more to get your economy rolling. But also Schaffner's itself was an item. So if you're playing an item-based deck, you usually had ways to recur Schaffner's from your discard pile to make a Schaffner's fire twice or 3 times in a single game. Same old thing doesn't really have any synergy points with other events currently. Once it's gone, it's gone. You can't really bring it back easily. It's fine. I mean, you play it, you get your 3 credits worth, and then you move on. So it's not awful, but honestly, Emergency Cash feels better in this deck, unless you're playing with someone else who has not a strong economy and you have a better economy than you need. Now, this card also came out in the original the Chapter 2 core set, and I didn't care for it too much, and now, boy, do I care for it. Hunter's Instinct, and mind you, there's an upgraded version 1. This is limit 1 per investigator. It comes in with 3 supplies, and it says after you engage an enemy, you can choose to spend a supply to add a level 0 event in your discard pile to your hand. That is just such good text, because you spend 1 action now and you get 3 card draws later, and all your events, or at least 1 event a turn, is clickless. So why not get the best trap, your emergency cash, whatever you want. This card is just really quite good. Do you not have your evade first if a card effect moves you? Sorry, Andy? Do you not have you evade first if a card effect moves you? If you move not as an action, it doesn't provoke. Oh, what are you talking about? Yeah. So with Loner, because it doesn't take an action, if there's an enemy on you, it won't attack you. There's no rule in the book that says if you move, an enemy will attack you. The rule is if an enemy is engaged with you and you take an action that is not one of the 4 allowed actions, an enemy will attack you. But if you can ever figure out how to move with outside of an action, and this is like the fast icon, you don't take an attack of opportunity. So you can do this with an enemy and suffer no penalty. You can always move with an enemy with the basic action, but it costs you an action. And then, as you said, they will hit you. All right, Daniel. Daniel's really good. This is Daniel Jameson. We have 2 copies, has good soak, as you generally want in Survivor, as much as there's better soak Survivor allies at 0 XP. Gives you +1 evade, which brings us up to 5. And mind you, all our traps use our evade, bringing us up to 6. And it says, after you fail an attack or evasion, exhaust Daniel Jameson, just do it again at +1. So good, genuinely so good. Outside of retaliate and alert, you basically get 2 shots at every, or like 1 pivotal fight or evade every turn. And usually every turn, there's only 1 pivotal fight or evade in the first place, which is really, really quite nice. Very generous card. I do want to say I had, what is it called? Old Rabbit Foot? Rabbit's Foot. This used to be 2 of them in the deck, and like Rabbit's Foot makes a lot of sense with Daniel Jameson. They came in the same deck as well. Mind you, Rabbit's Foot is a reprint of an old card, this exact old card. But I found out that it wasn't actually failing enough tests for Rabbit's Foot to feel that good. So I think this deck's actually like just playing no accessory right now. But Daniel Jameson's text does fire. It just doesn't fire consistently enough. You can build Survivor decks that don't mind failing or fail forward, even in a bigger card pool, but we're not playing much of that. If Daniel fires a couple times, I don't think it's worth playing the Rabbit's Foot. Now you will fail tests during the Mythos phase, and Rabbit's Foot is a good card, especially because we talked about like our event-based deck needs card draw to sustain itself, but I haven't found it to be super necessary, and they were often like not the best draws. Now, the only card that we're playing in our hands, I think, is Pocket Knife. This card's okay. I mean, we often end up cutting it. This is like very quintessentially a Survivor card where it's like, it's good. It means you'll pass tests, but it doesn't really do much to progress the game forward the way that other cards like in Survivor, or sorry, in Guardian can. It's a weapon. It's a tool. It's melee. It fights. It allows you to use your agility, and that's the best part about this, and gives you +1 skill value. So with Daniel, we'll be up at 6. Then if the attack defeats an enemy, you may exhaust this to gain a resource, which is like not bad. It's also relatively cheap, but it doesn't do an extra damage. And that's it. Like, this is very good at finishing 1 health enemies where you just kind of poke them and take a resource and go. It kind of feels like a mixture between a Survivor card and a Rogue card, but at the end of the day, like doing 1 damage doesn't really solve a lot of issues you have. So at least it's a bit more interesting in multiplayer where like Joe can loosen him up with a gunshot and you can finish it off with the Pocket Knife. The art's pretty good and the theme hits, but like that's fine. The other card we could have played is also, we had a way to investigate and fail investigation, try again. I forget the name of the old, there's the other one, the compass, excuse me, this one. I didn't want to play it because our 2 book stat is just not good enough. This makes it a 3 book stat. I didn't feel like that was worth it. If you do that, you probably do want to play the Rabbit's Foot for sure. I like Daniel Jameson a lot with Longbow. Yeah, when I played this as a 3 scenario campaign in Brethren of Ash, I went straight into Longbow, and my God, was Longbow really fun. I think with this campaign where we have Joe Diamond as the fighter, we're probably not gonna have to rush Longbow, but Longbow was my first 6 experience when I played Brethren of Ash, and I did not regret it because Longbow is sick, and there's a bunch of aloof enemies in Brethren of Ash I'm not happy to deal with. I like Pocket Knife into Longbow with XP. Yeah, yeah, that's exactly it. That's why I also didn't want to crowd my hands too much, because the Longbow is a really nice, it's a good option. I may have to watch the rest later. I get up very early in the morning. I'm getting tired. Have fun and good luck. Thank you, Strange. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully your day tomorrow is a good one. All right, do or die, or as I call it, door die, because that's how it shows up in my software. This card's not bad. It's not, oh man, I keep forgetting the name of that card. That's a staple card from chapter 1 that just says grab a Survivor card from your bin and add it to your hand. It's busted. She's like reaching in the dirt. It's really, really, really good. This is less good than that one. That card was just like a staple in every single basically Survivor deck you'd ever play. This says if successful, and has weird icons on it, you can choose an asset, a Survivor asset or event in your discard pile and add it to your hand. We're good at recurring our events, so we will. So we do. Yeah, Resourceful. Resourceful is just like the best card. I can't pull it up because it was not in chapter 2, but Resourceful is just absurd. A cool thing about that they're kind of like really doing in chapter 2, classically when your investigator had like a unique card, it would not be classed unless you were like Stella. It would basically be this like weird pseudo neutral card. So if Miguel's knapsack is discarded or defeated, it's cool now that it is technically a Survivor card, so you can actually recur it with do or die, which I haven't done yet, but it's nice that now the unique cards are actually classed usually, which is great. We have 2 copies of do or die. Then everything else is just stuff that we want. We have manual dexterity, which means, again, we're evading with everything. Why not? We have 2 unexpected courages. This just gives us a bit of flex, which is kind of survivor traded. Ideally here, like, I don't know what else we want to do with because our stats are kind of in the middle of everything. There's a chance that guts would be better here because it brings us to 5 willpower, which means we'll pass most tests. Oh, we don't have a mask in this dex. Oh, I was considering to play a Sparrow Mask. I kind of wanted to play a Sparrow Mask. Was there meant to be a mask in here? Did I miss it? I thought there was a mask in here. Is this 30 cards? Well, we'll sort that out. Oh, and maybe it's still at the back of this. Yeah, it's coming up. Okay, I should have just believed in myself. Anyways, we have Unexpected Courage. Last card on our deck is 1 copy of Sparrow Mask. This brings our willpower up to 5. This is the Survivor Mask. It's slotless functionally. There's only 1 mask in the deck. It replenishes when you take 1 more damage in horror, which, like, we're pretty good at that. And it gives us +2 willpower or +2 evade, which are the perfect stats that Miguel wants to boost. Bringing him up to like 7 evade or even higher and up to 5 willpower is really quite good. Of course, this is a a Hemlock Vale card. So not too bad. That's the deck. It's really fun. It plays really differently than everything else. And yeah, I think it's just like such a cool design to nail the sort of rancher. Our weaknesses, mind you, both a choice and not a choice are both enemies and monsters. And we do like that because it allows us to consistently fire more traps. So it kind of is good for us. As much as our unique enemy is like such a nightmare. There's only the Investigator starter decks that had their signatures as their class. New Core Forward is doing that for everyone. Was it also like Nat Cho had... I thought it was just Stella. I didn't remember it being every of the precon decks, but maybe you are right. Who else is a precon that I would remember the cards from? Jacqueline Fine? I don't even remember what Jacqueline Fine's unique card was, I'll be honest. She's really good though. Jackie's great. Let's do a pile shuffle here, and then we have a bunch of reading to do. It's already 9 o'clock, but we have a start here. The cool thing about Hemlock Vale is that when it begins, you can decide where you want to spend your day, which survey you want to go on. We can decide as a group where we want to go. Again, we don't have to decide right away because we'll be reading the story and getting some more information, but I'm not sure what to do because Hemlock Vale, there's like a bunch of things that you can kind of focus on. There is the sort of like straightforward path in which you follow around your like expedition leader. I think that's a pretty good path and might be where we start. I haven't done the path yet with the brother-sister pair, and I'm pretty sure I know which direction to go for that to be pursued. Let me just get rid of Joe's stats. So we'll try and figure out together which way we go. It was all starter decks. Arbiter Fates. Oh, for real? Okay. Winnie? Why can't I remember? I played so many Winnie decks. What was Winnie's unique card? So Stella's, I remember being Survivor, but that one actually was one of the few that mattered. Nat Cho's was his brother. His brother was a Guardian card? Jackie was Arbiter Fates, which I have no idea what that is by name, unfortunately. Harvey, I've never played. He's the only, like, one of the few investigators I've never played because he just seemed kind of boring. Shout out to Joe Diamond, I guess. Oh, anything you can do, I can do better. Yeah, it was a skill card, but of course it was. Winnie is like one of my favorite investigators. It's just been a while. I don't know. I don't remember what that card can do. Let's shuffle the heck out of these. Mind you, they're totally sorted. Okay. Hemlock Vale is one of my favorite campaigns, and it just does so much so well. The theme is good. This was the first thing that introduced the Codex. So the Codex is something we've already seen in Brethren of Ash, but it came from here. The idea is you talk to somebody or you do something and you go to the book to read something. I honestly think the Codex is applied way better in this than it is in Brethren of Ash. And that's because the Codex in Brethren of Ash is not that much different than just like flipping over and reading the back of the card, which is what they used to do on story cards. This one feels better for some reason. And I think it's because you actually have long lasting relationships that change and mold with the people you talk to. This does have this sort of relationship level, kind of similar to Edge of the Earth, where like you are kind of incentivized, and I don't know, maybe this spoils things. Like sometimes it's good to make friends with everybody. Sometimes it's better to like make better friends with a few people. And then there's different storylines if you follow either path. And there's a bunch of different resolutions to this campaign and different like flavors of the finale. And I'm not sure I've seen all of them. I think I've seen most of them though. Also the theme of this is really cool. So for those who don't know, Hemlock Vale is like, it's an island in Maine. We'll see the map. And there's some weird things going on. Again, we'll be reading the story in a second, but it's based on a lot of works that I really quite enjoy. So it's based off of the Color from Outer Space, I believe it's called, which is that very well-known film, or sorry, it became a film with Nicolas Cage in it. That's what I was thinking of. But it was a short H.P. Lovecraft story about a meteor landing and then what the meteor did to the sort of farmland. It, I think, is the book with the most heaths per paragraph. The word heath shows up a heck of a lot. Not to disappoint you, it's the same thing here. It also is kind of referencing this, and this is something I didn't know of the first times I played Hemlock Vale, but this is the Southern Reach trilogy. This is a book that came out, I think, like 10 years ago by Jeff Vandermeer. And I've only read the first one, Annihilation. There was a Natalie Portman film that came out like 5, 6 years ago, maybe a bit more. And this is about an area of the world that is, I guess, a bit of a spoiler, but it's like this area that people can't go into because whatever's happening to the wildlife in there is spreading, and it is strange. And so expeditions of people are sent in. Annihilation follows an expedition of like 4 women who don't know each other's names, who are sent in there to figure out what's going on. And there's a lot of like really interesting things pulled from that, like the idea of this important lighthouse, this sort of like glowing hand creature, the thing in the bog. Like all of these are ideas that are pulled out of that book, but used entirely differently. I really enjoyed Annihilation. I read it very quickly. I liked it a heck of a lot. Finally, I think Midsummer needs to be called up as a touch point, but I haven't watched that one yet. It's a horror film that takes place in this sort of like atmosphere of kind of antiquated looking cult with like maypoles and color and flowers, and everyone's so happy and the food is good and the air is warm. So we're gonna be touching a bit of all of that, and it's just like a really good horror theme, and it's explored really quite well. Yeah, it feels a lot like Annihilation. Exactly. Yeah, it is Annihilation, which is great. Oh, it's used Jackie's ability twice. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's okay. That was an okay card. All right, with that, we have a bunch of story to go through. It's not too heavy on story, but we have to do this thing called the Prelude. The Prelude is not going to take us too long. It's like 4 turns, but it is functioning like an additional mulligan, and it gives us the sort of like, yeah, prologue in which we can meet all the characters in this world. I do want to say, for the way that we play things, we are not going to have our character cards on the table because I think we're going to need more space. So you can see obviously Miguel and his stats above, same with Joe Diamond, but their cards will be off the table unless we figure out we have more space than we need. Okay, so we have a bunch of reading to do, so buckle up. I am going to do a campaign guide to follow this on my phone. I did not set it up ahead of time for this, but I use the Arkham Cards app, which is phenomenal. I don't know if there's an easy way to pull it up on the screen here because it is only a mobile client from my understanding. I think you can emulate like an Android thing, but that's a lot of work and I don't know how to do that. Also, Wickerman beats. Yeah, I've never seen Wickerman. There's a couple Wickerman films from my understanding. I haven't seen either of them. Oh, I need to take a second to say this. The other thing that this reminds me of, and if you haven't watched it, you need to watch it. It's on TV right now. But Widow's Bay is so good. We're only like 6 or 7 episodes into this point, but Widow's Bay is this also very similar theme to Arkham, let alone Hemlock Vale. It's this modern show that just came out, I think like a couple months ago. It started coming out in April. It's on Apple TV, but it's about the mayor of an island off the coast of Massachusetts, I believe, around this sort of area. And the island turns out to be kind of cursed. Bad things are happening, except the mayor doesn't want to like basically scare anyone and shut it down after they figure out something bad is happening because they need tourists to come. It's kind of like, you know, the mayor in Jaws who doesn't want to shut down the beach, except the mayor is now the protagonist. It's so absurdly good. If you like Arkham, I cannot recommend it enough. It's beautifully shot. The director is a really good director who has directed a lot of like really great stuff. It's such a treat. We've been just absolutely digging Widow's Bay. All right, I'm going to read this off the paper because it's a bit bigger, so give me 1 second. Wait, where is my campaign log? Hemlock, where are you? Oh, it's in a place. Okay, I guess I'll try and read it off the screen because I know it's somewhere else. Against nature. I'm going to have to lean in a bit. It was just a color out of space, a frightful messenger from unformed realms of infinity beyond all nature as we know it. From realms whose mere existence stuns the brain and numbs us with the black extra-cosmic gulfs. Sorry, this is too hard to read. It throws open before our frenzied eyes. H.P. Lovecraft's The Color Out of Space. So this is the expansion icon. There's a couple rules here. We're not going to read them until they're relevant, but the codex just means go read the codex. Any codex entry cannot be read multiple times unless when you read the codex entry, it says you can read it multiple times. But we know this rule from the Brethren of Ash. Now, the interesting thing is this: 3 days, 3 nights, and the idea of day and night. So you can choose which of the scenarios you want to go at what time. And if you go out at the day or you go out during the night, the scenario will be different. The fauna might act different. The flora might act different. The people might act different. So there's a lot of replayability. I do think there's not a lot of reasons to go out and do some of the day scenarios at night. As much as the game allows you to do it, I wish there was a reason to do it. The night scenarios are the more railroaded scenarios, and there's some of the best scenarios in the history of this game. So we're going to look forward to those. The day scenarios, we have a lot more choice of what we want to do. So the Feast of Hemlock Vale campaign takes place over only, I think, 4 days. It's like a very short time span, which is like pretty cool. It gives players, just 3 days in game to play out its story. The campaign also contains playable preludes in which investigators may interact with the residents of Hemlock Vale, learn the secrets of Hemlock Isle, and make preparations for the next scenario. Preludes are non-confrontational segments that are set up with locations and scenario reference, act, and agenda. The end of each prelude provides several choices on which scenario to play next. Depending on the day and time, some scenarios may provide new story options or challenges. Players will not have the time to play every scenario or befriend each resident on a single playthrough of this campaign. I actually really like that. Again, I'm not a huge fan of like non-linear narratives, but there's 8 scenarios in the box. You cannot see all of them, which demands replayability in a way that I like more than Scarlet Keys. And again, you cannot see all the storylines because you cannot make the best friendships with all the residents because there's just not time to do it. So it does really encourage you to go back and see other stuff, which is it is worth it. Players may earn experience when playing preludes and interludes, but don't spend it. Record it under unspent experience, but do not spend it until you're instructed to by the campaign guide. To keep track of the current day and time, you may refer to and update the day and time section in the campaign log. So there's this thing called residence and relationship levels. A lot of this is like pretty straightforward. So at times, story text may instruct investigators to increase their relationship level with a particular resident. If instructed to do so, check the campaign log and find the specified residence entry. When referring to a resident's relationship level, the number of checked boxes is their relationship level. To increase it, add a box. To decrease it, decrease a box. Unless otherwise stated, you should increase or decrease by 1. If instructed to, set a resident's relationship level to 0, which is like really fun flavor text there, or like kind of like foreshadowing. Erase all checked boxes. A resident whose name is crossed out in your campaign log cannot enter play during preludes or scenarios. Also, such good foreshadowing. Makes you excited before the thing starts. New keywords: alert. It's like retaliate for evade. Mind you, in chapter 2, they have now changed it that alert doesn't work if the enemy is exhausted. Technically, when this was printed, I think that was not the case. We're going to play with the modern rule set. Elusive was a new keyword. We know how that works. So elusive says, if a ready enemy with elusive keyword attacks or is attacked, after that attack resolves, the enemy immediately disengages, exhausts, and moves to a connecting location with no investigators if able. That keyword showed up in Hemlock Vale, and honestly, I thought it was okay. And then in Brethren of Ash, it became one of my favorite keywords, and specifically Miguel interacts with it really well because it means more enemies are moving, which is perfect in 2 different directions, which is great. Now the day or night thing, this is specific to this campaign. It hasn't shown up anywhere else. During setup, during the campaign, players may be instructed to put the time marker card into play. And we are going to start here on day 1, which shows you the left section of this like pretty great triptych. It just says day 1 in which we welcome new friends to Hemlock Vale. And you get that sort of, I want to say New England-esque art from the 1800s is my read on that. During the setup, okay, to find the time marker, put into play. Some cards have different effects depending on whether the scenario takes place during the day or the night. Text following day or night in brackets keywords are only active if that time is being played at. Any other ability not preceded by those keywords is active regardless of the time period. So it's not uncommon to see a card that says like alert, night, elusive, which means that character will always be alert, but will only be elusive at night. You'll see it when it shows up. So that's good. That's it. Campaign setup. Oh, our campaign bag is set up that way. So it has the standard integers from +1, 2 zeros, 3 -1s, 2 -2s, and -3 and -4. But it is loose on a lot of other tokens. Specifically, there's only 2 skulls and an elder sign. There is no auto fail in the bag. Things haven't really started. You may now begin the prologue. Welcome to Hemlock Vale. I can zoom in one more. Good. It's a journal entry. June 1926. So, hey, we're just slightly couple. Whoa, we're almost exactly 100 years away. Sick. We should have done this yesterday. Miskatonic Survey, June 1926. Members Marquez, Musgrave, et al. After 3 separate reviews by Miskatonic University's board and grant committee, we have reached Hemlock Isle. Our driver took us across the natural land bridge they called the causeway, only traversable at low tide, to a small fishing village called Aquan. Birdie showed the locals several sketches and photographs of the alkaline blossom, but the locals would have none of it, or maybe none of him. Birdie is exceedingly chipper. The survey consists of myself, my assistant Birdie Musgrave, and some contacts of Dr. Armitage. He insisted they accompany me as part of the terms of the grant. I just hope they don't get in the way. The island is private property and has been off limits to visitors for some time. Until now. The locals are advertising some kind of festival throughout New England, even as far south as Boston and Arkham. There were no lodgings in Aquan, and according to local rumors, camping on the island is a risky affair. The locals were unresponsive when I pressed further, but I was at least able to procure a map of the island as well as some basic supplies. We were all but resigned to pitching a tent west of Aquan, but then we met a young man named Theo who offered us lodging in a village called Hemlock Vale. Signed, Dr. Rosa Marquez. But really, I think you're gonna love it here, Theo shouts from the truck window. Dr. Marquez, athletic and well tanned at 40, closes her survey journal and looks up at the sky. I don't know anyone who doesn't love Hemlock Isle, Theo continues, and I don't know why we haven't invited folks sooner. I assume you're here for the feast. Is this feast some sort of local tradition? Bertie says in a crisp British accent. I will not be doing that accent. The breeze stirs the round man's shock of thick hair as he leans forward eagerly. This is the first one ever. Everyone in the Vale's pulled out all the stops so everyone feels welcome. We're just so excited to have visitors. The young man laughs as your truck crests the hilltop. Hemlock Isle stretches away in every direction. To the south, glistening black lakes dot a tangled marsh all the way to the coast. Up north, white-capped hills gather around jutting obsidian rocks, resembling an exposed spine. Past the huddle of hills, the dense western forest grows up the rocky hillside, bisected by a wide river. And even further north, past the White Hills, is a bleak rocky coastline at the edge of the slaty Atlantic waters. The road takes you to past lush farmland into a village nestled in the hills. Gaudy floral arrangements and brilliant ribbons hang from the rooftops and fence posts. A prismatic rainbow shimmers in a cloudless sky, lending the scene an idyllic air. As the truck rolls to a stop in the crossroads, locals and children in white gold cloaks and wooden animal masks gather around you, grinning from ear to ear. Willkommen! An imposing woman with steel gray hair and white gold cloak cuts through the crowd. Welcome to Hemlock Vale. I am Mother Rachel, and these are my people. What brings you here? The investigators must decide. Choose one. Either we can say, we're here on a survey from Miskatonic University, or we can say, we're here for the feast. Technically, the first one is more true, but the second one might be something that the villagers want to hear more. In terms of the narrative, of course, we are following Dr. Rosa Marquez. These are the people that Dr. Armitage sent along. We have the rancher, which makes sense. He's kind of the person who's going to be helping us survey the wilderness. And then the investigator, I mean, that one's a bit of a reach, but at least it's a bit of a security, and we can get some clues at the same time. Yo, Joel, how's it going? I don't know which way to go for this one. I think we're here for the feast. I think we're not. I think our team is like very much here for the Miskatonic University survey. I think both of us are very like survey coded, but I know I've played this with people who clearly the story has kind of felt like they're coming out to party, but that's not exactly it. So we're going to say intro 2. We're here on a survey from Miskatonic University, the no nonsense option. You introduce yourself and the members of the survey by name, along with your backing from Miskatonic University. Dr. Marquez leans heavily on her cane as she extends one hand to shake. Add a tablet to the chaos bag for the remainder of the campaign. So there is some repercussions, but of course there is. So now we have 2 skulls, 1 elder sign, no autofill, and just an additional tablet. Joe Diamond's probably there for the food. Deciding whether or not to eat is also a story beat that will come up, and we'll make sure that Joe Diamond gets some food for sure. Good out for food after Neverending Locals, which weirdly didn't have a Mr. Neon and Mr. Static. Oh yeah, I guess they normally do. Long weekend though, right? I think. Proceed to intro 4. Mother Rachel's friendly mask breaks for just a moment as she registers your response. Surveyors, I see. You are quite welcome here as well. But mind your place. We have rules. Do not harm anyone in the Vale, and we will not harm you. Keep to the village at night, and take care out in the wilderness. Nature is crueler here. Down the road, a small doe walks alongside a pair of children, almost as if to contradict the matron's words. Before you can ask her more, a gaggle of locals descends on the truck, eager for news from the mainland. After fielding multiple questions about sports outcomes and elections, Dr. Marquez suggests you split up to acquaint yourselves with the locals. Ask around about the island and meet back up here in an hour. Proceed to setup. Man, the theme is so good. The world building is great. And I love that we have a map. I definitely grew up on a lot of like, fantasy books as a kid where the inside cover had a map and that helped you like make sense of things. And it does to some extent. You get to see like different things. It's kind of hard to read it here, but you get to see like where the lighthouse is and all of these decisions or where you go technically do map out here as you would expect. So pretty cool thing from FFG to put this thing together. Shout out also to Maine. I've spent a fair bit of time in Maine. It's not that far away from where I live and it's just absolutely lovely. A very, very nice place. Yeah. And the causeway there, that's the bridge. That makes us like probably southwest, like Generally, the coast is on the east side, so I'm just assuming we're in some sort of like inlet or something, and there's a causeway to the mainland. Okay, cool. We have to do our prelude. So the prelude has some rules. I've set up the locations. This shouldn't take us too long. There is no encounter deck. What happened? Oh, we unloaded for a second. So, okay, gather all these cards from these sets. Technically, it doesn't matter because there's no encounter deck, but we're going to gather the cards from Residence, Day of Rest, the Vale, and the First Day. Put the day 1 time marker card into play. Praise the sun. Put each location from the Vale encounter set into play. And note during this prelude, locations are only connected via their location connection icons. Each investigator begins play at the crossroads. Set each card from the Residence encounter side to side out of play. Place Doom on the agenda equal to the number of investigators. So that is something we have to do. So we're going to add 2 Doom because we're 2 investigators. So we don't have as much time, as much as this is not very long. Keep the campaign guide on hand as you play because codex entries will be coming up in a second and you're now ready to begin. Now, this text on the right is really important because this kind of is how preludes work. So it says playing preludes in Feast of Hemlock Vale. You have to do 3 preludes. Sometimes this is a bit bothersome because you have to set up all these things and do all this for functionally not too much payoff. It's the sort of thing that I do wish the Hemlock Vale had a way to kind of simulate these, at least outside of your like first to second play. But I'm actually really looking forward to this because it's been a while since I played Hemlock. And I think we can use that extra mulligan pretty well when we play Miguel. Preludes in this campaign require investigators to set up a map, act, and agenda deck and play much like they would a traditional scenario of Arkham Horror. There are going to be no enemies, there's going to be no combat, so it's just like playing cards, talking to people, and doing basic tests off the cards in front of us. But we don't have to be worrying about fighting or anything like that. It's non-confrontational. Hemlock Vale is generally a safe place. During these preludes, there is no encounter deck. This means that the investigator cannot use abilities that interact with the encounter deck in any way. Understanding the residents' wants and needs, as well as where they go during the day, is key to building trust with each of them. And that is true. That is something that pays off. Your relationship with each resident influences the story and will earn you rewards and experience in later preludes. Hemlock Vale is a good place to stock up on supplies. So at the end of a prelude, each investigator gets to keep the following. You get to keep cards into your hand, up to your opening hand size. You get to keep resources in play, up to their starting resources. A single asset in play that does not normally start in play, so not permanent, and any clues they control. So basically, we're going to have 4 turns here to play 1 asset, get up to 5 resources at least, and get the best hand, while also going through town and getting ready for our day's journey, which is kind of cool. For more information on preludes and relationship levels, you can refer to the additional rules on page 2. I'm just going to scroll this down, don't read it, but we're going to need that in just a moment. And that's kind of it. We're off to the races. We technically have to do our mulligan before we set this up. We start here in the middle of the crossroads. Just to see at the top, we only have 4 turns here, but we're allowed to mulligan pretty aggressively because we don't need weapons. The only question is like, do you want a weapon in your starting hand when the day starts and you go on the real campaign, which mind you, it's going to be a long night today. That's for sure. We only have 4 turns. With that, I think we're off. We're not going to need the encounter deck. It'll still be there. It's technically day 1, but that won't really matter. We've seen that, and that's largely it. So I think we're just going to do a quick shuffle. We've already shuffled these before, and we're off. We know the encounter bag doesn't have an auto fail in it, so tests are always guaranteed as long as you're above a certain number. I'll pull up the test card in a second. All right, I guess we're going to start here with Miguel. I don't think the order of which we mulligan is like super important on scenario 1, but we get a look at 5 cards. All right, decoy trap. So I don't think we want this. There's no enemies in this scenario. We want to find we want to basically have our hand full of like 1 or 2 good traps, an econ card, and an asset in play and an asset in our hand. So we're definitely not going to keep this. Do or die, another card we don't want to keep. Again, we can be pretty greedy here. Lion Weight might be the trap that we want to keep in our hand, but I could see us mulliganing this because we really want to find our backpack. It's so important it starts in play. Pocket Knife, it's not a card I want to play. We're going to mulligan super aggressively, and our 5th card is Guerrilla Tactics. These are none of our setup assets. We want to make sure that we have a Daniel Jameson. We want to have our knapsack. We want to have a loner probably. So we're going to full mulligan and just get 5 more. So instead, we get Pocket Knife. Okay, that's fine. I mean, not the end of the world. Again, we can just choose our best 5 cards in hand. We have another decoy trap, so this hand looks entirely identical. But this hand is entirely identical. Okay, Elaborate Distraction. We're not going to need that. And we've drawn not a weakness. Oh, mind you, there's rules here. If you ever draw a weakness, you just discard it. I don't know if you draw another card. The text is somewhere what you do when you draw a weakness. I think I missed it. I think it'll say it on the actor agenda, but you can't actually draw weaknesses. Yeah, that's that. All right, so not good. That's fine. We'll swap it over. I think we need our line divider. So we'll have our hand divided between the 2 characters down here. But now we're up for Joe. So Joe just wants to find allies, wants to find a magnifying glass, wants to find a gun, and just an ally is probably the best thing we can open up with here. First, Can't have a weakness. Right tool for the job. We don't need this. We can just draw deeper than this, so we're probably not going to keep that. Dorothy, probably want to keep Dorothy. I think Dorothy is more important as soon as possible, more than Logan, but I could be wrong about that. Perception, kind of whatever. Yeah, not great. Definitely yikes. 1911, that's perfect. That might be the one asset that starts in play. In theory, you also want to have your most expensive asset in play because you don't have to functionally pay for it. But having a gun with 4 bullets starting on turn 1 and Dorothy means we can deal with weapons, we can deal with enemies, and we can deal with clues. So that's probably a good start. And we have a gather intel. So I think I'm just going to hard mulligan and just keep the 2 cards that are actually worth keeping for our setup. And then we're going to draw 3 more. We have another right tool. Okay, again, a lot of the cards are 2-ups, so that will happen. We have a bounty, which is a nice card to have. It won't fire this scenario because there's supposedly no enemies. And then we have Detective's Intuition, which that sucks. This says after you draw this during your turn, which is not our turn. So yay, I love our unique card. It's so good. That's fine. So we can spend this to gain 2 resources and heal damage or horror. Mind you, we're at full health. I think we're at 7-7. And then on the other side, Miguel's at a beautiful 8-8, which is quite clean. Yeah, that's a bit oof, but we can sort this out. Mind you, the locations we'll talk to will give us ways to like search our deck and do cool things. So I'm not going to read all these locations first. Notably, this is the only location that has a clue. So we are going to send Joe there so Joe can do his text. And you will keep that clue going into your next scenario. So cool. All right, we'll keep the deck slightly off camera. It's the best we can do. We need all the table space, and these are our 5 cards. So let's read the act and the agenda here. So let's start with the agenda. We only have, I think, 4 turns to go through this whole prelude. So welcome to Hemlock Vale. The Miskatonic Survey is staying in Hemlock Vale and making preparations for today's expedition. The more the locals trust you, the better you will understand the nature of Hemlock Isle. Forced, when you draw a weakness, cancels revelation effect and discard it. So yeah, doesn't really matter during the mulligan, but from now on, whenever you draw a weakness, you just discard it, which is exactly why there's nothing that's going to hurt you here, right? The act, this is what we can do. It's dawn of the first day. The village brims with excitement. Children play along the roadside wearing animal masks while others hang gaudy flowers on eaves and along fences. Investigators cannot take damage, horror, or be defeated. Objective, befriend the locals and prepare for your first survey. Refer to the rules on page 6 for more information on preludes, which just tells you that we'll start the next scenario with up to our resources, up to our hand size, 1 card in play, and all the clues we get. So that's it. We have 4 turns to kind of hang out here and hope for the best. So yeah, that should be fun. Okay, so we start here at the crossroads. This is the day crossroads. It does say that at the top, so there is a night crossroads. 2 shroud, no clues, and has this really frightening tree with kind of like masks carved into it. As an action, you can ask the locals about the veil, and that's the codex symbol, so we'll read codex entry 10. And fast, if there are exactly 1 or 2 investigators at this location, in the game, at this location, you can move to connecting location group limit once per round. That's a text that you actually see in Brethren of Ash, and I think this might be the first time we saw it, but like that's such good text to help you add a lower player count, so we want to use that once per turn for sure. The elaborate effigy of the tallest structure in the Vale. The art in this campaign is so damn good. I love the art, so being able to blow it up on the screen is an absolute treat. Yeah, very off-putting, but very idyllic, very colorful. We also, of course, have upgraded all our overlays with flowers and ribbons because I thought that'd be fun too. And I think it's a good look. Okay, so with that being said, we have to plan out our turn. Just so we know what's in the village, and I'm not going to read all the text. Here's the boarding house. That is where we're going to end up staying. This is the schoolhouse. This is the commons where people hang out. This is the general store, so probably good for items. This is the chapel, which we're assuming that Mother Rachel will be there. This is the Atwood house. No idea what that's about. And this is the old mill. The old mill has a clue on it, and it says after you discover a clue, you can go read Codex 12. So that's probably something we're going to do. All these other things just have actions on them that say you can ask around for more information at that location. I don't think anything of these calls to a certain person. Besides, I think Joe definitely wants to go to the old mill. So why don't we start with Joe? Technically here, we don't really need to set up with anything. We could play Dorothy and then just get this clue maybe and then be good with it. But we only have 4 turns and we don't really have to do too much. So I think Joe is going to start here and we're going to start asking around. So the crossroads. With Joe, I think we can take our first action. We can get the fast move, I'm pretty sure. But also the way that the map is divided, I think Joe might be able to do these 4 and then we could do like these 5, something like that. So, yeah, first action. Joe Diamond will ask about the veil. So we'll read Codex number 10. The crossroads. Dozens of workers bustle around the base of a large tree in the center of the crossroads. The many faces of the tree leer down at you with a myriad expressions. Some laughing, others pinched in grief or terror. Each expression is grotesquely exaggerated. When you ask one of the nearby carpenters about the tree, they pause to consider their words. This tree is the effigy, a likeness of, well, maybe it's best to think of it as a heavenly spirit, the same spirit that lives on in each of us. The foreman tells you that they will have to work through the night in anticipation of the rain tomorrow. As you watch them work, one carpenter trips and falls. Theo runs over from his truck and picks her up as she clutches her eyes and laughs hysterically. You may either draw one card or gain one resource. I think we're going to draw a card because our hand's not amazing. And search the set aside area or encounter set for Theo Peters and put into play at the crossroads, asset side face up. Mind you, that was the guy who drove us into town. I didn't mean to hit that button. So we're going to go ahead and I think draw a card here. We got emergency cash, which again, we want to make sure we start with at least 5 resources that can help. And Theo Peters enters play here. These are the residents. There's a whole bunch of them. We're going to try and meet them and then befriend them. Mind you, they usually have ways that you can interact with them. So Theo Peters is here. Theo, jack of all trades. While you control Theo Peters, which we don't, you may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to move. Good text. As an action, choose and discard X cards from your hand, where X is the current day number. So 1 card, because it's day 1, to parlay to read book 8. Forced. After Theo Peters is defeated, set him aside and your campaign log decrease Theo Peters' relationship level. So I think all the characters have that. So if they're with you and they get knocked out, they like you a bit less, but that shouldn't matter here in this morning. All right, I think we can discard a card from our hand, no problem. So that's probably a good place to start. I don't think Detective Intuition is something we want to hold on to. So as our second action, we're going to discard 1 card from our hand. So we'll discard Detective Intuition here, and we'll just do Parlay. We'll read book 8 as our second action. So Theo. Hold on, Theo says to the worker, pressing a cold cloth to her forehead. After another pained laugh, she passes out. You ask Theo what happened. It's kind of like heat stroke, except more like, you sort of work yourself into a good mood, and then it's, well, he sighs. I don't really know what it is. Sometimes people just get sick. Several locals carry the worker away to a nearby shed. After some banter, you ask Theo about any good areas to survey local wildlife on Hemlock Isle. He smiles broadly. My sister and I saw the biggest horseshoe crab on Aquan shoreline. I don't know if it's still there, but I swear it was the size of a buggy. I have some family business in Aquan if you want to tag along today. You may immediately move to any location and increase Theo Peters' relationship level. So I'll do that in the campaign guide. I'll do that between scenarios, so we're not going to slow things down, but we can move to any location, which is pretty good. In theory, it's most cost effective to move to a location that's far away from us. I've done that once again, which would be the Vale Schoolhouse. But I think, unfortunately, with our friend here, we just want to go to the old mill, which we could have moved fast anyways, but we'll take it. Notably, that whole thing that he said about going to a certain area to do this day, this morning, means that if we want to find Theo Peters and him and his sister, we need to go to Aquan Bay today after this morning stops. And that's the sort of thing that this campaign gives you. It gives you a lot of details. Like, so far we know he's at Aquan Bay. There's a big old crab there. His sister will be there. We also know it's going to rain tomorrow. And that actually might impact what things we want to do today, because there's things tomorrow that might be worse than the rain. So if we do a scenario that's indoors tomorrow, that might be better for us because the rain probably doesn't help. So kind of neat. There's already a lot of things going on here. We end up at the old mill. This is the old mill, has 1 clue, 2 shroud. After you discover a clue at the old mill, you can choose to read Codex 12. The morning breeze carries a fresh scent of lupines, asters, yarrow, and meadowsweet into the vale. All right, I think there's our last action. We might as well. Our text wants us to get a clue return, so we're going to investigate here. We are currently 4-2, which is not perfect. There's technically, I think, 2 tokens in the bag that fail us. Mind you, we haven't looked at this yet, but the Vale is. Skull is -X. X is the current day number, so -1. We don't have a cultist. We have a tablet, which is -2. If you have fewer than 3 cards in your hand, treat this as a 0 instead. So it punishes the card draw. And we have no fish face. If it's -1, this is a parlay attempt to reveal another token. I think this is used every time you return to the Vale, so obviously we'll be adding more tokens throughout the game. So we're just going to do 4-2. We could boost here. I don't mind actually boosting right tool for the job, because I don't think we're going to spend it. That just beats 1 icon in the bag, but that's not going to be a card we'll keep in our hand. So 5-2 for a clue and a card draw if we get this. There's no auto fail. Skull is -1. We get it. So we're going to get a clue. We got to do our text here on our hero, which just says first time a turn. If we investigate, we draw a card. So we drew perception. So that's nice. That draws deeper. And we can go do the text on the old mill, which just says that we can read Codex. What is it? 12. Dr. Marquez leans precariously on her cane as she takes samples of various wildflowers around the mill. Take a look at this. The professor holds out a sample that looks like a blend of brilliant violet, trillium, and lupine flowers, spliced at the stem. Shout out to Trillium, the official flower of Ontario, where I grew up. They're very pretty. They're nice. It's similar to the strange blossom that prompted the survey. monopoidal with dozens of different expressions, but no evidence of grafting. It grew naturally. You ask how this is possible, and the professor grins. It isn't, which is exactly why this survey is going to make my career. As you leave Dr. Marquez to her sample collecting, you spot a sturdy, well-built woman in overalls working the field. You may either draw a card or gain a resource, search the set-aside residence for Leah Atwood, and spawn her face up. Sick. Man, I keep doing that. This is Leah Atwood. She's a sturdy, well-built woman. Leah Atwood is waiting here. So this is Leah. She has 3 physical, 1 horror. Okay. While you control Leah Atwood, you get +1 fight. That actually wouldn't be that bad for us if we can get her on our side. She's the Veil Cook. Parlay test 2 fight. Mind you, we have 4 fights, so we are well equipped for that. And after Leah is defeated, your relationship level goes down, which I think all the characters have that. So that's good. At least all the characters you can take control of. I think that does tell you which ones you can take control of. Obviously, she has text that says that. We can also draw a card or gain a resource here. I think we're going to still draw through our deck. We have an emergency cash, so money shouldn't matter that much. So we'll draw 1 more card. And we drew another right tool, which, great. With that, we'll swap it over to Miguel. And Miguel should be off here. Again, the crossroads has text. I think we're going to decide to go down to the boarding house and go this way around. And then we're going to have Joe do the other side around. So there's nothing else to do at the crossroads. Notably, things like Theo Peter and anything that has parlay text, you can only do it once. Unless when you do the parlay, it says you can do it again. So it's not like talking to Theo is going to do anything better for us, let alone we can't force the free move here. So we're just going to mosey on down as a fast action, not a real action, a fast action to the boarding house. We don't have an event we want to play on our turn. Notably, having the emergency cash in our hand would be pretty good because we can play a free event every turn. So it's not going to be great in the Prelude, but welcome to the boarding house. The boarding house says you can ask about the Veil. So that's book 9. You can also heal 1 damage or 1 horror, limit once per game. They say Miss Olmsted runs a very tight ship. There is this card in chapter 1 called, oh man, why can't I think of the name right now? I put it in every single deck. It says that you start with 2 trauma of your choice and you get 3 experience. In the thick of it, I think it's called. And I take it all the time. And it's really nice just to be able to jump down to the boarding house and heal immediately. But there's no way to take damage in this scenario. So this text is going to be totally useless. But let's go just spend an action to ask around the Veil. So let's read Codex number 9. Boarding house. Blossoming garlands hang from every eave of the boarding house. A succulent smell wafts out of the front door. Meat pies and beer brewing. The proprietor introduces herself as Ms. Olmsted and offers you a room. I keep my eye on happenings around town. If you want to know what folks get up to in the Vale, I'm happy to help. When you ask about the beer, she waves one hand dismissively. Don't bother reporting me to the prohibitionists. We keep our own rules on Hemlock Isle, she tells you. Yeah, this, mind you, is during Prohibition. Then gives a sidelong look to the porch. That is, unless someone gets their way. You look in on the porch to see a gorgeous figure with skin the color of umber. They wear a trendy dress with the white gold veil cloak tossed casually over their shoulders as they embroider a floral pattern on a round frame. Birdie sheepishly questions them, holding up a few photographs and sketches of the sample that drew you here. You may either draw a card or gain a resource. We're going to get a card draw for sure. Put the set-aside residence, search it for River Hawthorne, and put them at the boarding house. Yeah, in the thick of it. I keep doing that. I gotta stop doing that. All right, so we're gonna draw a card. We want an event we can play, but we found the most important card. We found Miguel's knapsack. That is beautiful because now we can start with this on the table, and this is the most important card to start on the table at the end of the Prelude because it's basically like the second half of the card text on our ability. Actually, I need to redraw that. I'm realizing I forgot to shuffle our discard pile in, so we can't celebrate that too soon. I forgot to do that after we mulligan, so my bad. So we're gonna have to draw another card here. That felt really good for a moment, and then I realized, wait a second, why do we have that big of a discard pile? If it's an enemy, we just discard it. If it's a weakness, but yeah, that would have been good. This is the card that we're looking for sure at this setup. And it's only a 1 of in the deck, and it's just like the best card. Excuse me. Give it a cut. We draw instead. Okay, Sparrow Mask. I mean, we might keep that in our hand because it's a 1 of, and it's always fun to find your mask at Hemlock, but that's there. And we have River. This is River Hawthorne. They're an interesting character. Big in New York. While you control River Hawthorne, you get +1 willpower. Parlay to test either willpower or your book or intellect. Our intellect is pretty low, so if we're going to do this, we're 3-3, which we're technically the best on the team to do this, so I guess we are going to do it. We can always send some of our items or some of our, our events into this to help our willpower. Same text if they are defeated, something bad happens, so okay, that's fine. So we could play our mask and use our mask. The problem is we can only have 1 asset in play when we start the next day or start today. So if we play the Sparrow Mask and then we play another asset, we're going to lose one of those. So I don't want to play the Sparrow Mask because I don't think it's the asset we're going to start today with or start tomorrow with. Unless we need it. I don't think we do. I think we're just going to throw some items at this. So we're going to talk to River. So we're currently 3-3 for willpower. So we want to boost this at least +2. So we're going to throw out a do or die, which has text. It doesn't really matter. We're going to throw out a wild. So we're 5-3. I mean, we could just do 6-3. There's only one -3 in the bag. So I think we'll just do this. This is our second action. 6-3. -2. Perfect. Sorry, we were 5-3. So -2 is perfect. So we successfully parlayed River. Let's read Prelude 5, or sorry, Codex 5. River, I'm friends with the Great Profile. You may know him as John Barrymore. We met at the piazza in Rome. Utter serendipity. River bubbles as they chat with Bertie. Although my last name is Hawthorne, I'll have you know I am a Hemlock through and through. The last heir to the Hemlock fortune. That is, if sweet William actually listens, they say sourly. Bertie fields several more questions about current going-ons in New York high society, of which he knows nothing, before asking River about points of interest. I hear North Point Mines has some fascinating crystals, they answer. Gain 3 resources, increase River Hawthorne's relationship level. Okay, so we know a bit about the story, about the families, and we know about the mines. We're going to gain 3 resources, putting us at a healthy 8, and we have 1 more action left over. So the place we want to go here is the Vale Schoolhouse. We could spend an action to play an asset, but again, the only asset we want to play is if we can find our knapsack, and we have a couple turns to get there, so we're not a huge rush, but it'll be nice. So we're going to spend our last action to go to the schoolhouse. As an action, you can search the school library. You can also search your deck for a tome asset and draw it. I don't think we have any tomes in this deck, and I don't even think we have any tomes in Joe's deck. Several roads lead past the schoolhouse towards Hemlock Isle's southern point. And that's it. That's the round. So we just all took our actions. We just get our upkeep, so card and resource. So we get a manual dexterity. Joey D gets dead ends, which is a very terrifying weakness, but luckily when you draw a weakness in the prelude, you just discard it and don't do anything else. All right, Doom. We go to 3 of 6, so we only have a couple more turns here, 3 more turns, and that's it. There's no encounter cards to draw, which feels so weird. It feels like missing a step or having an extra step that you didn't see when you're walking down the stairs. It just feels really unsettling to be like, we go straight back to our turn again. But these preludes do move fast as much as there's some reading to do. All right, I think we'll just start with Miguel here. So Vale Schoolhouse might be a bit tricky because there's probably a book test we're going to have to do here, and we're not very good at doing book tests. But I think we'll just spend our first action trying to meet everyone in the village. So we're going to peruse the school library. That'll be number 15. I think 15 might be the lowest number. Yeah. Oh, no, not even. The bell atop the schoolhouse rings 3 times as you approach, summoning children in animal masks. A young red-haired girl in a rabbit mask trips and falls on her way, and you help her up. The thin, severe teacher invites you inside and gestures at the 2 bookshelves against the back of the wall. The Vale's meager community library. A stately middle-aged man with hickory brown skin and a gray beard peruses the other shelf as you look at the library's offerings. A few battered issues of Tales from Nevermore, a survival handbook, and a handwritten stack of old recipes. But where's Edie? One of the children asks the teacher. She replies in a sing-song voice. Mother Rachel told me that Edie has found her place and that we shouldn't worry about her. Now what do we say? Mother Rachel knows best, the class says in unison. You may either draw 1 card or gain 1 resource. We're going to go for the card draw because we haven't found an event we want to play yet. And search the set-aside area or for William Hemlock and spawn him at the Vale Schoolhouse. Stop doing that. Okay, so we're going to draw a card. It's Daniel Jameson. That's another card we want to have in our hand. So we're going to be happy if Daniel Jameson is our 1 asset. But we're going to grab Old William Hemlock. I believe a poet. This is William Hemlock, an aspiring poet. If you control him, you get +1 book. Parlay test 2 book to get his codex entry. Mind you, Miguel is not that good at book. We're only at 2 books, so not going to be perfect here. Our hand has 1 book icon. I mean, I'll try it, but we want to talk to William Hemlock. If we can't, we don't. But also, that's probably an important character by that name. So I think that's it. I think the second action, we're just going to try and do 3-2 with stock prey. Technically, this bag, we will fail on a whole bunch of tokens. We have the cultist. Sorry, we have the tablet, which will fail. We'll pass on skulls. We pass on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We pass on 8. Like, it's a 50% chance. So I think we'll take it, but not great odds. If we're like 2-2, it's like pretty bad. But again, there's no auto fail and there's not a lot of tokens. So the elder sign is like pretty common here. All right. 3-2. We might have overcommitted to the last test, but I guess we knew what we needed. -1. Hey, we nailed it. Perfect. So we get to talk to William Hemlock. I mean, that saves us a heck of a lot. We don't have a lot of time here to mess around. So number 4. Outside the Vale schoolhouse, you greet a man who introduces himself as William Hemlock. I heard we had visitors. I just didn't expect to meet them so soon. And yes, I am the last living heir to the Hemlock family. He blusters, although you didn't ask. Or perhaps not the very last, if that gatecrasher River has their way. He snarls. You note the worn copy of Walden under his arm and ask about any local points of interest. I know it's rather unconventional, but my family's old house has a peculiar infestation. He seems to chew his own words. If you could exterminate whatever is rather than study it, I think we'd all be in your debt. Search the top 9 cards of your deck for a tome or talent card and add it to your hand. Increase William Hemlock's relationship level. So I don't actually know if we have any tomes or talents. We definitely don't have tomes. Maybe we have a talent. I'd be surprised. That's not a very common keyword. So no talent, no talent, no, nah, no, still no, 8, no, no, we don't have any. So that just whips, but that's fine. We got a relationship level 1. Yeah, I think loner might be the only one we have. I think there's one, and it's probably loner. But talent is like a weird keyword that I'm not 100% sure. Like, is endurance a talent? No. What is endurance? Endurance is a talent, yeah. So we don't have the red version of this. Instead of the red version of this, I'm playing the Sparrow Mask. But yeah, loner might be our talent. No, it's a condition. Ah, beans. Okay, so I think there is a talent in the deck, but I'm not sure what it would be. We have one more action, so I think we're just going to pop down to the commons. This is the commons, and that's going to be our turn here. We didn't get the fast move this turn, but like that's fine. This is the commons. This is an action. You inspect the communal hall and check out the local delivery service. That's 16. The long, barn-sized building is host to many dinners, dances, and community events in the Vale. Pretty sure Endurance is a hardware console. Yeah, it's also, I think, like an event or something. Okay, that's it. That's Miguel. So we'll swap over. Here for Joetown, we want to talk to Leah Atwood, so I think we'll just start there. We haven't put any cards on the table, but we're just still talking to people, which is totally acceptable. So I think we're just going to do 4 to 2. We have no physical icons in our hand we want to commit. We could commit a bounty, but it's not a bad card to start in your hand. So we'll just do 4 to 2 here. Skull is -1. It's the day. So we get to talk to Leah. We get to go to Codex 2. Oh, that's not good. Spin the board. Okay. The red-cheeked older woman introduces herself as Leah Atwood, Mother Rachel's sister. I'm in charge of everything folks around here put in their bellies, and yes, that means I'm in charge of the feast. My sister has been very particular about everything she wants prepared in advance. You ask her about any points of interest to survey in Hemlock Isle, and she wipes her brow with a gloved hand. You barely need to leave the Vale before you see something odd. She puts one hand on her hip. I'm planning to go up to Pearl Ridge today. Something up there turned the trees to glass. I'm not sure if that's what you're looking for, but it's definitely unique. So we know where to find her today if we want to follow her. You may play a tool card from your hand, ignoring its cost, increase her relationship level by 1. That's neat. Unfortunately, a gun is not a tool, so we don't do anything, but that would have been cool to get a free tool. I think our tools are like cheap and fast anyways. We have 2 more actions. So the thing attached to us is the Atwood house. There's no glove in that art. I mean, this is just like a snapshot of the Leah Atwood lifestyle. We're going to find her in many different places. It's nice that she does cook with gloves, but that seems kind of weird for the time place that this took, when this took place. Mind you, Leah Atwood, sorry, the Atwood house, that's probably where we're going to go. We're going to do a fun thing where instead of moving there, we can move here and then fast move here because it's more fun. This has Force Shroud, no clues. As an action, you approach the old homestead. The dour facade of the old house carries a hint of its former glory. The locals seem to avoid the property. So as our final action, we're just going to go do 13. The Atwood house. The old Empire-style manor is handsome at a distance, but looks faded and worn as you approach. An old woman with smoky brown skin and an ashen complexion sits in a wheelchair at the entrance. Her hands shake as she lets out a weak cough. It's time, Sylvia. An elder man emerges from the house and starts when he sees you. Oh, visitors already. You can call me Brother David, and this is Sister Sylvia. I'm Mother Rachel's husband. We're so happy that you're here. As he pushes Sylvia inside, you hear rustling branches around the side of the house. You may either draw a card or gain a resource, and then we're going to spawn Simeon Atwood. So we're going to draw a card. We're still looking for, I think, a magnifying glass, maybe? Another Dorothy. Okay, so that's not super useful. but we get Simeon. There's not a lot of cards left on the table behind me, so we're gonna see most of the people here. Simeon is the young one, the kid. So Simeon Atwood, if you control him, you get +1 agility, and you have to parlay test 2 agility. If you succeed, you got to do Codex 3. Unfortunately, we have the wrong person at the wrong place. Our book person needed to be down here, but unfortunately, and our agility person up there. But we'll do what we can. At least a lot of our cards in our hand we can just throw out to get some boosts. But I think that was 3 actions. It was talk, move, talk. So that's it. Card and credit. We drew Hunter's Instinct, another good card to have in our hand for Miguel. And Joe will draw. Did I do upkeep? No, I don't think I did upkeep. Okay. Joe will draw an overpower. All right. So we're on a lot of resources. Again, we can only keep up to 5. Again, all we do is add a doom. So we only have 2 more turns here. So if we want to talk to everyone, I think we should be able to do it, but we have to kind of keep working on it. So I guess we're going to start with Joe here at the Atwood house. We need to hit Simeon in like 1 action because then we want to go to Hemlock Chapel and then do that. The problem is 2 agility is pretty bad. So we're just going to have to brute force this a couple times. The only card in our hand that has like relevant icons is the 1911, but that is a card that we probably want to start on the table when the next scenario starts. So I don't want to throw it for +1. So I think we're just going to have to do this a bit. The other option is like ignore it and then just say that we'll somehow send our friend Miguel to do it because he has 4 agility at a base, which would be pretty good. So I don't know. If we don't do it and we move away, we functionally lose an action. But with the crossroads, it shouldn't be hard for someone to come back in there and do Simeon. So I actually think we'll leave Simeon because our stats are really bad. I don't want to do a 2-2 and then waste one of our like only 6 actions we have left with Joe. So yeah, I don't think we'll. So I think we're just going to first action go into the Hemlock Chapel. All right, we're assuming Mother Rachel's here. You approach the overgrown chapel at the top of the hill to read Codex 11. As also as an action, you can search the top 9 cards for a spell card and draw it. We don't have any spells. The chapel looks like something out of a storybook. All right, so second action, we'll go ahead and do that. So 11, I think Mother Rachel will be here. The small chapel atop the Vale's northern hill has a hushed, stately air. Small buds have been grafted in such a way as to suggest the planks themselves are blooming. While you admire the strange phenomenon, 2 women in white gold cloaks approach. You ask them more about the chapel and their faith, and they usher you inside. A stylized quilt at the back portrays a warped, many-armed mythological being with numerous eyes and wings. We built this chapel some 20 years ago, but it didn't see much use until our revival. Mother Rachel has always called us children of the stars. I suppose this is one such star. The 2 women go silent as Mother Rachel enters the chapel. You may either draw a card or gain a resource, and then Mother Rachel will show up here. So we're going to draw a card. We still want to look for our best cards. We found another bounty, which is whatever. And Mother Rachel, the matron, shows up at the chapel. This is Mother Rachel. I like how they immediately open with Willkommen so that we're allowed to do this sort of European accent, as much as mine will be more Slavic than German. The kindly matron. While you control Mother Rachel, you get an additional arcane slot. That is totally useless for us. Technically, you have an idea like which of these characters you want to pursue your relationship level probably matters about like what works with your playstyle. So far, we have seen the Leah Atwood that gives you +1 fight. We've seen William Hemlock that gives you +1 book. The +1 willpower is like okay, it's not the worst, but like so far, Mother Rachel's probably the least interesting because an additional arcane slot is kind of useless, but she's probably an important character in the narrative. Again, parlay, test 2 willpower. If you succeed, book 1. Unfortunately, we sent Joe in here one more time, and he has also 2 willpower. We found his worst stats. Luckily, our hand should have willpower icons. I'm looking at our hand. It has 0 willpower icons, so that's not good. That's pretty bad. I don't know what to do about that, I'll be honest, but we have no willpower icons in hand at all. Now, Miguel has 3 willpower, which is a bit better, but almost all of his, feels like a lot of his events have willpower icons on them, so he can get in there and do that. But the issue is he also has to deal with Simeon. So I think we're just going to have to do 2-2 to this and just hope. Because like we have 1 more action left over, and there's only 2 locations we haven't dealt with yet. So I mean, if we just leave this and go to the crossroads, we can get fast move to Tad's General Store. Then we can do Tad's General Store, and then like we're kind of stuck here. So I think we have to just get lucky on this. I'm assuming talking to Mother Rachel will be important. Like if we don't talk to Simeon, maybe that's fine. But this is just like straight up a 2-2, which we only pass on, I think 4. It's like a 1 in 4 chance for us to pass this. Maybe a bit more, maybe 1 in 3. So not great odds. But what can you do? I guess what else can we do? We can just play an item. Maybe that's fine. And maybe that Joe has done enough. Yeah, because Miguel's gonna do this and then probably talk to the person that comes in there, and then we'll be on the last turn. So if we want to go to Tad's, we can. 1, 2, we can fast and we can do one of them. So yeah, I think we're gonna be able to do everything besides one. So everything besides one. So we'll have to figure out whether we want to talk to Simeon or Mother Rachel. It seems like Mother Rachel does not line up with our team at all. So we'll probably ignore her. Hopefully that's not bad for the story. Probably we should talk to her actually. She's probably very important. I'm assuming. But we have one more action here. We're just gonna spend that action to put her gun down, and that's gonna be the card that we'll start on the table. So we're gonna play her 1911. So despite being in a safe spot, we just brandished a gun. So we're gonna spend 3 resources. It comes in with 4 bullets. So we're guaranteed to next scenario with the ability to fight things. That's that. We'll pass. All right, Miguel, we're starting here at the commons. The commons, we just have to go figure out what's going on. So we'll do 16. That is the highest number, I'm pretty sure. All right, welcome to the Vale. A young woman with a bob cut greets you as you enter through the double barn doors. It's been so long since we had visitors. One thing you gotta know about the Vale is that we do most everything in the commons. I know Sister Leah is planning a community dance tomorrow evening. Hey Gideon, no smoking inside. The woman barks at an old man in a long blue sailor's coat in the corner. He stands up and hobbles outside, grumbling. You notice the corkboard on the back wall is pinned with children's drawings of plants and birds with extra teeth, eyes, and limbs. The woman breaks your focus. If you ever want to call for anyone back on the mainland or, send a gift to a special someone in the village, I'm your girl. You can call me Martha Jean. Search the top 9 cards of your deck for an ally and add it to your hand. Unfortunately, I think we have Daniel already in our hand, but that will thin our deck for extra draws. And then we can put Gideon Mizra into play. The name Mizra has shown up before. What's the name of the Mizra who's the bodyguard in Circle Undone? I believe that's a Jewish last name. But we actually have run into another Mizra in Arkham. Yeah, Mother Rachel, don't mind the gun. I mean, we'll search 9 for an ally. We could find one. We'll just thin our deck. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. But it's not that important. So, ally. Okay, so that just thins our deck, at least for searching for our backpack. Enter a church, meet the holy matron, brandish a pistol. Joe Diamond's the best. Yeah, he's a good detective. Something's afoot. Get my gun. All right, that's fine. Gideon's going to show up here. So this is the only one that hasn't been like draw a card or gain a resource, which is cool. Gideon, the old sailor, Gideon Mizra. While you control Gideon, you have an additional accessory slot. We barely have one accessory between the two of us. Double actions to parlay. And I love this because Gideon Mizra has these like long-winded stories. So you have to spend extra time listening to the old man. It's really funny. I think that's really good mechanics plus flavor to make a good old joke. And I think that's what we're going to do. We're going to spend 2 actions to talk to Gideon Mizra, the seasoned sailor, and listen to his old story. And his old stories actually can't matter, which is cool. Yeah, you're no good, Martha Jean, mumbles the old man. He regards you warily until you mention coming from Arkham. Might have been some 30 years back. I sailed past a queer light beneath the Miskatonic River. The old sailor's story quickly meanders into 5 others, less interesting tales, but you listen till the end. When you ask about local points of interest, he replies, Look out. You won't take 5 steps out of the Vale before something bites you. Draw 3 cards and increase your relationship level. Okay, thanks, old man. We have too many cards in our hand, but that's totally fine. We're just trying to find our backpack here. 1, Stalk Prey. 2, Guerrilla Tactics. 3, same old thing again. We can carve our best hand here, which is what we're going to do because it's now upkeep. So it's card and resource for both our friends. We have a glassing and we're going to have to discard cards down. Ooh, Logan, that's good. So here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We have no willpower and no agility icons, but we have to discard 1 card from this hand. So the card I think we don't need in our opening hand is probably right tool for the job. I'm hoping we find a magnifying glass like naturally. I guess actually 2 bounties is a bit silly, but you can actually play 2 bounties in the same hand. Now on this side, apologies, this is a total mess. There's no reason for us to keep 2 Daniels, so we'll get rid of a Daniel. Mind you, when you start the next scenario, you do shuffle your discard pile back into your deck. I'm like pretty sure. So it's not like that card's never going to come up. The cards that we want to keep in our hand, we want to keep 1, 2. Those we definitely want to keep. 3, that's a good card. We want to keep some money. We'll keep Daniel, of course, 4. And then we can keep 4 more of these. We want agility icons to talk to to Simeon. We want a willpower for Mother Rachel. So we'll probably do a willpower icon, a wild icon. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And then we can just keep a card. Same old thing is technically like a good card for setup because it just is 3 resources for an action. It sucks that neither our text of our 2 investigators matters in this setup because there's only 1 clue and there's like no reason to play events because we don't have any we have no events that are worth playing besides emergency cash, but that's kind of it. Doom, we go to the witching hour. It's the last turn. And finally, we can actually start a scenario at 10 o'clock, which maybe that's a mistake, but of course we're going to. In his defense, he did go to the school and hear the weird bit about the child missing a Mother Rachel's name getting dropped. I mean, she's been a bit weird. She's been suspicious. Okay, so things we haven't done. We haven't gone to Tad's general store. We haven't talked to Mother Rachel. We haven't talked to Simeon. Otherwise, we've done most everything. That means we can either go first with Miguel, or Miguel can go to the crossroads. He can fast travel to Mother Rachel and he can talk to one of them and then he can just play a card. That is technically an option. Now, the general store, I don't know what the text on it is. Tad's general store. I think it's just a parlay. But you haggle for goods and with the locals. The general store is a bustle with locals and visitors buying up supplies for the coming feast. I think there's a chance that this can help us find our backpack. I'm not 100% sure. But there's a chance that it's where we want to go. Mind you, we definitely need to play Daniel, at least one of our assets, before we pass the turn or we end the scenario. So like in theory, we only have 2 actions. So we could do move, parlay, and then probably play an asset. And that could be our whole dang turn because you always want to start with 1 asset in play when the next scenario starts. So that might be it. And then we can just let Joe talk to either Mother Rachel or Simeon, whatever one he thinks he can do, as much as they're both like 2 for 2 tests because he's already done everything he can. So I think that's what we're going to do. Miguel will move up to Tad's and then we're just going to parlay with Tad's and hope that this is actually impactful. So we'll do 14. Mind you, this could spawn someone that we can also have an action to talk to them, but we might just play a card instead. Depends who the person is. Tad's. The rustic general store also doubles as a pharmacy. A balding middle-aged man with bandaged arms stands behind the counter and introduces himself as Tad. We're so happy to have visitors in the Vale. I know Mother Rachel is just off her rocker with excitement to see fresh new faces, and it's good for business too. I'll give you a newcomer discount today if you're buying anything. It goes without saying, but you're all invited to the community meal this evening. You may spend a resource to search your deck for an item card and play it ignoring its cost. That is a free backpack and a half. Any investigator who has not resolved this may trigger the codex again. You do spawn Judith Park. Okay, so we can talk to Judith, but we did just get her backpack for $1, which is exactly what we needed. She is the last person here. It's Judith. We might want to talk to Judith. She is one of my favorite characters in this, but we can now search our deck for an item for 1 resource, which we do have resources to spend, and then we can put into play for free. So luckily, our unique card is an item and is the most important card. So we no longer have to spend an action to put our card on the table. This is our knapsack, which gives us 2 health soak and allows us to now, when we play an event, draw a card. The cool thing with the knapsack, if you get it down early, like you can just play your traps, like your glassings and any trap really, just to push yourself forward. Oh, did that give us money? No, that spent money. So like we actually can just like cycle cards fast with this by just playing a fast card or any event just to draw a card. And that can help us carve a better hand before the end of this turn. So we'll keep that in mind. All right. It's Judith. So Judith is here. Judith is the muscle. While you control Judith, you may take an additional action during your turn, which can only be used to fight. I mean, we probably do enjoy that. She has a lot of soak. Spend X resources where X is the current day number to parlay her. So we have 1 more action. So we've already played her asset. So I think we can just parlay with her. There's no reason not to. She only costs 1 resource. So we're going to spend 1 resource and we're going to parlay with Judith. So we're going to read maybe the last entry we're going to read this morning. So number 7. You approach a compact woman in a handsome hunting jacket who eyes you like a hawk. You introduce yourself in the survey and she flicks ash from the top of her cigar. Name is Judith. Judith Park. I'm the muscle around here, which mostly means shooting rowdy animals. They look all nice and friendly during the day, but they get weird at night. Some of them have started to look a little strange, too. Occasionally one will wander into the village and I have to introduce them to old Jomo. She brandishes a hunting rifle, almost as long as she is tall. Impressed, you ask if she's available for hire. The young woman sizes you up. Your friend Marquez hired me to escort her to Eastwick Bog today. Be prepared if you come along. So if we want to go with Marquez, we'll meet Judith in the bog, and I think that's probably where we're going to end up going. You may play a weapon card from your hand for free. We have the pocket knife, which we could play for free, but notably we can only keep 1 asset, so we basically are just throwing it out if we want to do that, so we won't. But that is our friend Miguel there. So all we have left is 3 actions for to do good things and talk to people here. Actually, before we pass our turn, what we can do is, again, our text here, is that we can play an event. I swapped twice. So we can play an event for fast. So we can carve a slightly better hand here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play this. No, glassing we actually want in our hand. Oh, we unfortunately have no events we want in our hand besides elaborate distraction. I guess we can't do elaborate distraction because it takes a double. But in theory, we could play an event, actionless or fast, just to draw a card with our knapsack. The problem is we threw out all of our cheap events here. The only one that we have in our hand that we actually don't want to start in our hand next turn is elaborate distraction, but it is a double. Yeah, I was going to think cycling an event, but the only event we can cycle here is glassing, and glassing is like a pretty good event to start your next turn with, like your next scenario with, because it's clues. So like, I don't think we do it. We're going to still draw 1 more card because we have 1 more upkeep, but yeah, if we could cycle an event here, we would, but most of our cards are actually pretty good. Glassing's the only event we have besides this, which we can't play this. That's fine. All right, so it's Joe time. Joe has his card on the table. He has 5 resources, which is all you need. So he'll have 6 resources in a second. Unfortunately, if we want to talk to Mother Rachel, we have no willpower. And if we want to talk to Simon, we have no agility. So I think we're just going to brute force talking to Mother Rachel. Hopefully our gun makes us slightly more convincing. But all we can do here is like a 2-2 multiple times and hope one of them connects. That is all we got. We could draw cards, but we're pretty happy with our hand. The best case scenario would be have a magnifying glass, which we don't. I guess we could play the right tool for the job if we have one more action left over. But I'm just going to do a 2-2 here and hope for the best because there's not much else going on. And I think Mother Rachel, we probably want to like ingratiate ourselves with her slightly before everything starts. The kid, maybe less so. 2-2. -3. No, we'll do it again. Again, the last action we might consider because we might grab a magnifying glass to our hand. -1. No. We could do it one more time. It's like a 1 in 4 chance, I think, to succeed. Otherwise, we're going to discard some cards here. There's no reason to play the E-Cash. We probably want to keep a Dorothy. We want to keep an E-Cash, a Perception, an Overpower. We could keep a Logan and decide which one we want to play. I think Dorothy is much more important to play if we don't open with a magnifying glass. But if we open with a magnifying glass, I think I'd rather open with Logan. I think. I just like Logan better. So that's interesting. So we could do another 2 for 2, which is going to be pretty anticlimactic if that's how we end our turn. Or we could play right tool to look at the top 9. Chat, what do you think? Like, I could say it's going other way. Like 2-2 is not good, but if we can manage to get like a free friendship level with Mother Rachel, it's really good. Yeah, I think we have to do that. Cold. Yeah, I think we're just going to try it again. Like, we'll have right tool in our starting hand next turn. So we're just going to do it. Don't feel good about it. 2 for 2. If we can get lucky here, it'd be sick. +1. Hey, we did it. We can talk with Mother Rachel. Let's see what she has to say. So we're going to talk to everyone besides Simeon. So we'll keep that in mind. We're less like incentivized to go hunt down Simeon in the future. What are the children of the stars? Mother Rachel echoes your question, bemused. Dust swirls in the harsh light through the intricate stained glass. I suppose if I had to put it simply, we are all begotten by light. I often say, like heavenly bodies, we each have a place in the life, a purpose. There are some whose place is to understand, and others whose place is to watch. The older woman smiles faintly as a line of children file into the chapel to sit cross-legged near the altar. And now, it is my place to begin story time. You may play a charm or spell an asset from your hand, ignoring all costs. I don't think we have any. That's fine. I don't know why the pistol in the church wasn't more convincing. It's pretty convincing. I asked her a 3rd time, waving my gun in her general direction. The dame relented. Detective. That's it. We get one more upkeep here. So wait, did our relationship level go up? I'll have to double do this after. No, our relationship level didn't go up. It was actually useless. Okay, that's good to know. Upkeep. Magnifying glass 1 time. It's a mouse mask. I'm happy we drew that because obviously we're going to be starting with double masks. And on our side, Miguel's starting with an unexpected courage, which is probably not a keep. And that's it. Doom goes up. The agenda hits its 6 of 6 and we're forced to advance. So that's it. We're going to be off in just a second. We have to make some decisions. Birdie approaches. Time to get to work. Birdie approaches absolutely winded. Dr. Marquez requests your immediate presence. He huffs, butting into your conversation. And believe me, she will not like it if you're late at all. Each investigator resigns. Resolution 1. All right, we're off. So we have to decide which way we want to go here. I'm just going to flip this so it covers less of the text. All right, R1. That's how the interludes go, the epilogues. They're way faster when you don't play them on camera. Also, if you've read these stories, you just kind of read the outcomes, but they do take a bit of time, unfortunately. So we have to get through the next one. You meet Dr. Marquez and Birdie back at the crossroads. After you each share some possible leads for the survey, the professor lays out the map of Hemlock Isle. I didn't expect the village to be so religious, says Dr. Marquez. Birdie lights up in response. They almost seem to be living in some transcendental ideal. Some transcendentalist ideal. I have no idea what they actually believe, mind you, but they seem friendly enough. Friendly is a word for it, Dr. Marquez smiles grimly. We have a good 3 days before the island is overrun with tourists. I hate tourists. That sounds rather ill-natured given the celebrations, Birdie ventures. Dr. Marquez gives him a withering look. What I mean is that they'll disrupt the local habitats, so our time is limited. We can split up to cover more ground, or we can stick together. Theo has volunteered to drive us anywhere we need to go, and even said we could take his truck at night, though aren't to tell Mother Rachel. Given the stories of deadly wildlife, I've hired Judith to accompany me to Eastwick Bog. Either of you are welcome to join. Just be back by sundown. I plan to take a walk to the western woods, Bertie says, alone if you don't mind. If Ms. Olmsted's descriptions are to be believed, they shall be quite stunning. You consider your options. So make preparations for your first survey. Choose one asset in your play area to keep next to the next scenario. It must be one that does not normally start in play. Discard every other asset and attachment in your play area except for those that start each game in play. Discard down to your opening hand size, shuffle your discard pile back into your deck, discard down to your starting resources. So let's clean that up really quickly. Obviously, we only played one asset each, which seemed to make sense. So each person can keep 5 cards. Now, I don't know between Logan and Dorothy. It depends where we're going for the next one. I think we want to get clues out of the gate. So I think we want to just start with a Dorothy here. We can start with other cards. So we're going to start with Mouse Mask, which is just like good. Gives our willpower slightly up, which might matter. Gets our book stat a bit better, but it's just a little thematic and fun. I think we do want to start with a bit money. So an emergency cash is good. Bounty's not bad, but it requires you to defeat an enemy. So emergency cash is totally fine. We could keep a right tool for the right job, which a right tool for the job allows us to search for a magnifying glass or another gun, but a mag glass would be pretty good. This card would be really kind of interesting if you could play it in this deck, but there's not a lot of tools and weapons you want. And then the last one is either like we can do an overpower to ensure our next fight is good, or a perception, but our book stat should be relatively high with Mouse Mask and Dorothy. I'm not sure. Maybe like we're meant to do Logan, but we didn't have a magnifying glass. So I think I'm going to do an overpower for our fight, and then we'll shuffle these with our discard pile back into our deck. I think I feel pretty good about that. I think the gun, the 1911, is the best item we can start with, unless we play Logan, who's a bit more expensive. But having a gun on turn 1 means like you can walk, and like if an enemy spawns, you should be able to deal with it on turn 2. So that's good. That's usually a stress you can run into if you're not prepared. Okay, so we shuffle that in. Mind you, we can only start with 5 resources, so we'll do that. And this is going to be a starting hand. Here for Miguel, so cards that we definitely want. I honestly don't think we want the pocket knife. The Sparrow Mask we'll keep because of good flavor reasons. Hunter's Instinct is actually really quite good. It allows us to grab events from our discard pile when we engage enemies, which is when we want events. I think we want to start with Same Old Thing because it's an econ card. We definitely want to start with Daniel, which is very, very important. In fact, Daniel on the table is slightly better than Miguel's knapsack because it's a bit more expensive, but we didn't really have a choice. Mind you, we're starting 5 resources. And then everything else here is an event. I think Glassing is the one we want to keep. I think if we had a cheaper, better event, because Elaborate Distraction is not something we want on turn 1, we might have kept it over Same Old Thing, because we want to have events in our hand so that we can keep playing events or refilling events, but we threw out a lot of our cheapest events for weird reasons because we're boosting. So I think we'll just keep these 5, and that's going to be where we're going to start. Okay. Exploring the Isle is allegedly dangerous. Add an autofill token to the Chaos Bag for the remainder of the campaign. I love that little flourish there. Things are now dangerous for the first time, so the autofill gets thrown into the pot. All right. When setting up the next scenario, skip steps 1 to 8. That's the steps where you like mulligan and set up your hand and all that. So we just start with what we start with. Now we have to make a decision, and I think we're gonna go, to the last one. But the investigators must choose where they're to survey today. You will have the opportunity to survey multiple areas over the course of the campaign, but you will not be able to survey all of the areas. So we have 5 options. If you want to go north to the abandoned North Point mines, that's where we can find crystals, I believe River said. The mine lies empty and overrun with strange wildlife. To brave the dangers of Ridden Rock, turn to page 10. If you want to go to the south to the old Hemlock House, which seems to be infested, it's said to be host to a strange infestation, go to the Hemlock House. The devastated Pearl Ridge up northwest is covered in a persistent layer of white ash. I believe that was said where Leah was going, where the trees have been turned to glass to explore the silent heath. Northeast is Aquan, a dwindling settlement of Abenaki and mariners on the desolate coastline to save the lost sister. Shout out to our Abenaki friends on the channel. But that is where I think Theo is going with his sister this morning. That is the interesting one. I think there's 2 that are the most interesting to me. The last one is Dr. Marquez believes Eastwick Bog to the southwest may be the origin of the samples that drew you here. To discover the thing in the depths, turn to page 27. So that is where Marquez is going and where we know where Judith Park is going. I think if you were first playthrough of Hemlock Vale, the easiest thing you can do that tells like a really good story is if you just follow Marquez. And like that makes a lot of sense because we're hard here to be Marquez's like, her team. So we just follow Marquez, we'll end up with a pretty good story. So, oh, we lost all our money? That's weird. Oh, I see why I did. So I think that's probably where we're gonna go. I think if you go first to the Lost Sister, you have a chance. There's like a pretty big story beat there, but I think we'll save that for maybe our second playthrough of Hemlock. But I think we're gonna keep this one kind of vanilla, which is still gonna be quite fun. And I think the Thing in the Depths is an interesting scenario. All these scenarios also like really change what day you go on based off the weather and the time that's passed. And so like I couldn't tell you if going to this one earlier or later is easier or better or optimal or suboptimal or any of that sort of stuff. But we're gonna go to page 27 after we clean up the table. So unfortunately, it's 10:30. We're going to be starting our first scenario at this point, which like, I don't know. Maybe this is a mistake. I don't know how you're meant to do this on TV. And like, maybe we had to start like 2 hours earlier today. But Hemlock is just like this. So all these people will be going aside. They usually show up again, and then we're going to deconstruct the city. A lot of the scenarios don't actually need these location markers. There's a lot of like orthogonal scenario setups, which I like orthogonal scenario setups, where basically like you build things in a grid and anything that's orthogonal, you know, perpendicular on left, right, up, and down is just attached to one another. Okay, so let's go to the bog. I do want to say something really funny about the Thing in the Depths, and I don't know if this is 100% true, but the Thing in the Depths, like the Thing in the Bog, is a thing that shows up in Jeff Vandermeer's novel Annihilation. The Thing in the Bog is something that in that book you hear every night. Like the people on their survey, they hear it every night. They hear this thing in the bog, and it's scary. They're scared of it. Technically, the protagonist does run into it, but like it takes up only a moment in the story. It doesn't take a really long time. Oh, excuse me. But they made it a whole scenario here, which is kind of funny. And so it's like definitely well more developed. Have you played all the scenarios before? Quick learner, how's it going? Yes, I played through Hemlock Vale like multiple times. The last time I played Hemlock Vale was about a year ago, but I've played through this campaign 4, maybe 5 times. It's just been a minute. So I don't really remember the intricacies of where we're going for what reason. But yeah, how's it going, by the way? Okay. Yeah, the Thing of the Depths is just like a thing in the book. Like it takes like a couple pages, but now it's a whole scenario. Um Oh, that's Quick Learner, Quick Learner. Oh, how's it going? Pretty good. Enjoying your setups, of course. Thank you. That's very kind. Those probably know. Quick Learner has a really good video, a really good channel on YouTube. I've watched a whole lot of videos. I think you made that really good video about understanding the timing structure of like succeeds by, what's on success, what's on all that. And honestly, I probably need that to review that video, but there's a lot of really good stuff out there. Thanks for dropping in. Hopefully you're well. Okay, yeah, I guess for my history, I've been playing Arkham Horror ever since 2016. I got the original core set. I generally was meeting at least once a month back in the day because that's how things came out. But largely, I've been meeting once a week to play Arkham Horror. So I've played a lot of Arkham Horror. Hemlock Vale is one of my favorites, so this is an absolute treat. Okay, so 27 is our setup here. The Thing in the Depths. So the setups are pretty intricate based on what's going on. So if it's night 1 or night 2, and you can go to these scenarios at night, it just makes them kind of harder. But the night scenarios that are exclusive to at night are so good that it's honestly like a sin to go to any other scenario. So otherwise, we skip straight to intro 8. No, you would skip to 8 if it's night 1. That makes way more sense. So if it's day 1, proceed to intro 1. The road to Eastwick Bog branches sharply off from the same road you took in from Aquan. The landscape is incredibly vibrant, almost tropical, with rainbow patterned trees standing guard at the edge of black mirrored ponds. Dr. Marquez and Judith trade friendly barbs in the truck bed, occasionally swatting away gnats. As the conversation turns sour, you attempt to break the tension by asking Judith for a hunting story. Check your campaign log. If Judith Park's relationship level is 1 or higher, it is. It's 1. Proceed to intro 2. Because we talked to her, right? Judith doesn't miss the beat. See this scar? I got in a fight at a speakeasy. Some rich kid caught me with a broken bottle. A friendly scuffle, you know. The bottle has come back in chapter 2. His family was from the area and very rich. I'll add again, and they were so afraid a scandal will break out that they offered me a job. Not that I would have ratted on him. I don't know what I expected to hear from a bodyguard, but it wasn't that, said Dr. Marquez, possibly annoyed. An acrid breeze smelling sweetly of death blows off the bog and ends the conversation. The truck comes to a stop. Judith rolls her eyes, pulls out a pair of old waders, and walks out into the bog, rifle slung over her shoulder. Believe me or don't, I'm just here for the money. Increase Judith Park's relationship level, and each investigator earns 1 bonus experience. We can't spend that yet until we're told to, but we just get some experience for talking to Judith, which is nice. Proceed straight to setup. And look how many different intros there are. Like it's pretty interesting. All right, so we only have to gather 3 encounter sets. Notably, I don't feel like there's a lot of use of the core cards from the original chapter 1, so that you don't have to do a lot of the grimoire mapping. But we're going to be playing with this, and if I'm not mistaken, I have this baked in here. So if we do this, Yeah, the thing in the depths. So this is going to have a bunch of enemies in it. A lot of these grasping tendrils will start outside out of play, but we did see one mean treachery here. Blight has some interesting treacheries. Desiccation just attaches and makes things more expensive. The forest is like one of the coolest sets because the fauna, if you just leave it alone, it'll be okay. But there's like things that happen and they kind of grow. A sudden mutation and natural growth are actually pretty interesting too, because we have some mutated enemies within our Miguel deck, but that is what the deck is going to hold. Let alone also we're going to be adding the 3 cards from day 1, which are these 3 cards called swarms. So every day brings different problems. Currently we have bees, so we have to deal with them, and we're not very good at dealing with them. At least Joe is not very good at dealing with bees. So let me just gather all those cards really quickly. I should have set this up ahead of time, but I didn't know which way we were going to go. The video comparing all the survivor cards timing was really fun to make. Those card spreads are wild. Oh, thank you. Yeah. We have a whole bunch of card spreads for a lot of, well, basically every scenario, and I can pull them up individually, but that's something I've been doing in Marvel Champions as well. So I decided to make an equivalent. All right. So we have that one that's called the Forest. We just need the other 2 sets. The Sudden Mutation is not very big. It's 4 cards. And then we have, what is this one called? Blight. Blight's also not very big. Blight is not the calcification one, not the fungal rot one. Oh, fire, mind you, shows up in this. A different version of fire. Maybe a bit of a spoiler, but they'll show up. Yeah. So this is just 4 cards. All right, cool. So we're going to shuffle all this stuff together, but we have to take some cards out. There's a bit of a random setup. I did a test run of this on TTS yesterday and I just hit a button. So check the campaign log for the current day and gather its corresponding encounter cards. So we have to gather the day 1 cards. Check your campaign log for the current day and time. Put the time marker in play on the corresponding side. So it's day 1. Cool. If it's day 2 or night 2, place a doom. And if it's day 3, place 2 doom. So the later you get here, the less time you have. But ultimately, you should have better decks because of experience. And that's kind of, the balancing mechanism. Gather the 10 double-sided locations and shuffle them. Remove one of those locations from play randomly. And one of them can be experience, so you can lose some experience to this. Put the remaining 9 locations in play in a beautiful 3x3 grid with their bog side face up as shown in the location placement diagram, which is just going to be a big old grid there, so nothing too flashy. Each investigator begins play at starting location. So arbitrarily, the bottom left corner will be starting location, the bottom right corner will be called Cranberry Bog, and the top right corner will be called North Shore. Now, the card there will have a different name, but that's just going to be referred that for like scenario stuff. If it's day, gather the story asset from the Residence Encounter set. If it's day 1, place Judith Park at the North Shore. So our bodyguard has already crossed the whole bog and she'll be in the top corner. We can talk to her. The really cool thing on why the Codex I think is so much more interesting currently in this, and we'll eventually see it because the cards that were in chapter 2 will be reused, is every time you talk to Judith, it'll be a different Codex because it'll tell you to read a Codex in this scenario. So she will always be saying different things, which is great. That's the difference to like putting just text on the back of them. If it is day 1, place Judith at the North Shore location. Put Dr. Rosa Marquez into play under the control of an investigator. She does not take up an ally slot during the scenario. That's the first time we get to see Rosa. Notably, you're meant to do your mulligan before this, but we don't have a mulligan, so that's not going to matter. But this is Dr. Rosa Marquez, who, if we were going to be following her, we're going to be seeing her text a heck of a lot. So she has good soak. She doesn't take up an ally slot. She has 2/2. While you control Rosa, you get +1 book and +1 evade. That's really interesting because both of our investigators really care about that. +1 evade is very good for Miguel, but +1 book is very good for Joe. And after you discover the last clue of your location, you can choose to read this sort of this codex entry. Now, with Rosa, you don't always want to read her codex right away because usually her codex interacts with the scenario. And oftentimes I feel like it's never best to read Rosa's text as soon as you can because usually it's a one-time read. So we might actually hold off to read that. We don't have to do that as soon as we can. If it's survival of the fittest, I intend to survive. So I don't know who's going to take this. Unfortunately, we might have messed this up. If we knew this was a thing, which again, if you're playing your first playthrough, you don't. If we knew that we are going to be drawing Rosa, I think we could have done Rosa and then kept Logan, but instead we kept Dorothy, which is like a similar idea, a +1 book stat. But I think it would have been way better that we grabbed Rosa and then just played Logan instead. But we did not know this would happen, and that probably would have been a bit smoother for us. +1 evade is like still pretty good, but +1 book, I don't think we need +1 book right now. So I think our character who does everything with evade, we're just gonna give Rosa, I think, to Miguel. Now, Miguel doesn't need the soak as much. Like, Miguel has way more health, but I can't tell which way to go on this one. It's 2 health, 2 soak, +1 evade is like pretty good. I mean, maybe we'll just split the difference. Maybe we will just give this to our friend Joey here, because that brings Joe's agility to 3, and the day 1 card Swarm does care about your agility. So we'll try and split the difference. But yeah, maybe we could have done this a bit better. So Joe's going to get a bit more soak as well, and +1 book and +1 agility. So we can update that, excuse me. So we'll go to intellect set 5 and agility set 3. So that should update in real time. Cool. I'm currently reworking some of the setups for the Scarlet Keys on TTS tonight. Oh, no way. Scarlet Keys, huh? I don't can't talk too much about that. It's been a while since I played Scarlet Keys, but wait, you do TTS stuff? I thought you just did the videos explaining them. I had no idea you actually built that stuff. Giving her to Mig risks not getting the codex at all. Oh yeah, that's a problem too. Technically with glassing, like Miguel's not that bad at getting clues, but you're right. Joe's way better at doing the codex on this. But like you just have to discover the last clue. So in a pinch, Miguel can do it for sure. Okay. Yeah, I had no idea that you were working on TDS. I thought it was just like a secret cabal, and then you did like the video showing off the updates because I watched those all the time. All right, remove each other card from the residence, but we're just gonna have Rosa and Judith who are in the bog today. Set the following cards aside out of play: the Thing in the Depths, enemy, the Chelidron hybrid, all 5 copies of the Grasping Tendrils. Then we shuffle the counter deck to shuffle the remaining to build the counter deck, and you're now ready to begin. There's something called syncing locations. We don't have to read that. It's like super intuitive. So first thing we do, all these locations have 2 sides. We want to take all of them and randomly remove 1 from the game. We'll set 1 aside, 2 aside, 5 aside. Cool. So these go aside out of play. They'll be coming back for sure. These are now all the treachery. So it's a pretty big deck. Mind you, Sinking Sludge is a really mean card. We'll see that when it comes up, and then everything else is that. In terms of the enemies in the deck, there's not too many right now, but there are like 6 enemies to set aside out of play. So currently the deck only has like 5 enemies in it, which is not going to be perfect for early our early rancher here. Not just me, but I'm one of the main 2 folks. Okay. I thought when you said not just me, you'd be like, there's gonna be a lot of people, but no, it's just me and somebody else. It's like, okay, that's still mostly you at this point. That's sick. I've played so much TTS. I originally have put gameplay video that's heavily edited on YouTube of me playing on TTS with like multi-camera setups and stuff like that. I've spent a lot of time like putting what are they called, like shortcuts and like editing INI files to make my TTS work better. I don't know if I did them on a different channel as like an April Fool's thing many moons ago, but I've spent a lot of time playing. Like I played so much Arkham Horror on TTS, largely through the pandemic, because that's how we only played during the pandemic, and that like lasted way longer than anybody wanted. But yeah, it's sick. Generally, if I play like 2-handed, no, at this point now, like if I was playing 2-handed back in the day, I would play on TTS if I'm playing solo 2-handed. But now I need to get more used to playing it on table. If I played solo, I'd play on table, but I'm liking 2-handed way more. So thank you for your service is what I'm trying to say, right? All right, so we have to shuffle these. Always up for feedback to make things work better for streaming, etc. I can show you, if you want to talk about it at some point, you can hit me up if you can find me on Discord. My Discord name is amaverick, AMAVRIC. But I can show you the videos I put together and the problems I ran into, but like a lot of them are like super minor, and a lot of them are issues with TTS. Like the fact is when you move camera, it resets the zoom level. You know when you alt over a card, it zooms in? When you move a camera, it resets the zoom level. It's just so annoying because then every time you have to zoom in again. All right, we'll do just, again, we're building a thing. So we just removed the last one from the game. This is our location. So some of them have victory. We ended up with 3 victory locations. I think that's the most you can get. So this is the bog. Again, Judith is up here at the top. I don't know if we have 9 green dice. I hope we do. It's a lot of locations. And again, everything is just attached orthogonally. Anytime a scenario doesn't have like location markers, it just says orthogonally. We start here. This is the Cranberry Bog, and this is the north thing. It's a TTS issue, very annoying. I know, and there's nothing about it. Like I've searched so much online to be like, is there a way to fix this? And there's nothing. Okay, so there's 2, 4. No clues. 2, 4. I don't know how many green dice we have. We might not have enough green dice for this. I need to buy more dice. 2, 2, 4. No, we have just enough. We have 1 more even. If you want to get weird. Okay. That's our setup. At least we don't have the mulligan. Instead, we play a whole prelude, but that's the whole setup. So, scenario name. This is called The Thing in the Depths. So now we can read through all of this. The token card at first, we can go through this. A skull is -1. Sorry, -X. X is half the number of sunken locations in play, rounded up. Currently, there's 0. I'll have a little skull marker here on the table. It's currently rounded up. So half of 0 rounded up is 0. So it's actually 0, but it'll change eventually. We have 1 tablet, no cultist. It's -3. If you fail, place 1 damage on the nearest bog location as a sinkhole. That won't make a lot of sense, but we'll get to that in a second. And then that's it. So our bag is currently a whole lot of 0s, which is pretty kind, honestly. Let's look at the agenda. Welcome to the thing in the depths. I like the scenario a heck of a lot. Mind you, we start with our one clue already. This says sinking ground. Light tremors ripple through the floating landscape. The bog is a fecund jungle of bright flowers and glassy, oily reflections. You can always resign. You can always just flee the blog, flee the bog. I do want to say that a lot of the day scenarios are easier and a bit shorter, kind of backed up by the prologue. But this has a really cool kind of like flow to it, where the day scenarios are generally softer, they're dangerous, but they're not the scariest things, and then the night scenarios are brutal and they're terrifying. And I actually like that a lot, where the day starts and you're like, oh, we're gonna go on a little walk, we're gonna find some wildlife, and the night starts, you're like, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, oh my god, and then tomorrow it'll be a better day after you have breakfast. It's a really, really charming part of this campaign. So when your turn ends, if you're at a bog location, mind you, every location in this scenario is a bog location, you have to place 1 damage in a location as a sinkhole. However, 2 sinkholes instead if there's only 2 or fewer investigators. So basically, whenever you end your turn, not the phase, we have to put 2 damage as sinkholes. Forced, if a location has 3 or more sinkholes, you remove all the sinkholes and flip it over. So these cards will flip over. When they flip over, their text usually just gets worse or less interesting, and then they'll become sunken locations, which means that the skull will get worse and worse and worse. Only 3 doom to advance. We put no doom on this, but this would be faster if you come to this later. But there is another agenda behind this, but of course there is. The Act, a botanical survey. This bog is supposedly the origin of the sample that drew Dr. Marquez to the island in the first place. You have your work cut out for you. Objective at the end of the round, investigators on North Shore, and North Shore is not the name of the location, it's just arbitrarily whatever the location is in the top corner. We may spend 6 clues as a group to advance, and then the location diagram will tell you about this. Man, I love also digitally doing this because we can blow up the art, because the art on these cards, it's barely the size of 2 postage stamps, and now we can make it the size of like a big old television. Man, the art in this is like really good, and then you get to see someone getting pulled in by the bog. We're off. We're starting here at the Ronin Dock. Again, the art's fantastic. 2 shroud, 2 clues. There's a pretty memorable scene in the film Annihilation with the Ronin Dock. Doesn't happen at all in the book. 2 shroud, 2 clues. Forced. After you discover 1 or more clues at the dock, test 3 agility. If you fail, place 1 damage on the Ronin Dock as a sinkhole. You ought to know better. And that means if somebody ends their turn there after failing this test, the Ronin Dock will collapse. And we have no idea what that means, but it's probably not great. I love how different the Thing in the Depths looks and the art of all the different cards. How different the Thing in the Depths looks and the art of all the different. Oh, how it's represented? Yeah, it shows up in different ways, but I'm pretty sure that I don't want to spoil it, but I think actually those arms on that act are from the other thing, right? I don't know if the arms are from the Thing in the Depths. Maybe they are actually. All right, I don't want to talk too much about all these locations because they'll take forever, but we'll talk about the locations on either side of us. So if we go straight east, we get the Abandoned Shack. 2 shroud, 4 clues. Also, this art is kind of from the Annihilation film. Sorry. No, I don't have a fan. No, I'm doing good. It's 23 in here. My partner just checked in if I need a fan. It usually gets pretty warm in here with all the lights on. So fast action. Spend a clue to move a sinkhole from Abandoned Shack to an enemy at this location as damage. Limit once per round. So you can just ping free damage and keep this thing alive. And again, in the Annihilation film, there's a fight around the shack that looks exactly like this. The ruined homestead floats on the surface of the water. If we go north, we go to the Muddy Fen. Fen is a great noun. 4 shroud, 4 clues, victory 1. Flavor text. You don't often see that, but you don't mind it when you see it sometimes. For some unknown reason, I dreaded the thoughts of disturbing the ancient bog and its sunless secrets. From H.P. Lovecraft's The Moon Bog, which I don't think I've read that one. That's mostly it. We have a covered bridge. A bunch of these are the same, the flooded paths. You kind of want these to be more spread out than they are. This one has no clues on it, but fast. You can basically place a damage here to move to connecting location, which means you largely can go from this abandoned shack all the way up to the Muddy Fen for a single action. Which could be a thing we do. The only thing is that the Muddy Fen, to be able to advance at the end of the round, we need 6 clues. The other issue is that this is at the end of the round, you advance, and that means if 2 investigators end their turn here with 6 clues, it'll get crushed and it will just flip over and we'll be in the water again. Because, yeah, you have to end the round there. If 2 people are there, you add 4 damage floods the thing. I think there's a chance that'll actually pull out the flood tokens for this. Just because it'll be more obvious which locations are bog or flipped over. When they're flipped over, I'll put the thing on it so it's obvious from the camera which ones are fully flooded. And that's it. And now we have to play the damn game, which, oh my God, there's already suddenly a lot going on. But we have at least some like nice signposts we can attach our stuff to. So first thing we want to do is we always want to get a clue a turn with Joe Diamond because we get a free card drawn. That's nice. Currently, Joe Diamond is looking at 5-2, which is good. The issue is at this location, if we, we might just like mess this up. The worst case scenario, if we keep failing this, we have to put damage on this, which doesn't matter. We're going to empty it and leave. So even if we fail this twice, it shouldn't be the end of the world. So I think we're just going to do play Dorothy, clue. Maybe we just want to leave. Dorothy's good. I mean, we should get her down sooner than later. So I think we'll start with that. I think I have to move everything slightly north because we need more space for our player cards. Oh, and by the way, if we get to Judith, we have to spend 1 resource to parlay with her because we have to spend the day number. So that shouldn't be that hard. Okay, so first action, we're going to play Dorothy. The new Dr. Milan, she's fine. We play her for 3. She comes in, she gives us +1 intellect, and she gives us 2 soak. And after we succeed by exactly 1 or 3, we can get a resource. So we might as well get her down early. That means that our book stat is already all the way up at 6, which is pretty goofy, and we should be able to deal with the 4 shroud locations. The issue is we don't have a lot of cards that get us 2 for single action. I was looking at the microscope, but I don't think the microscope is playable enough at only 2 players. If anything, we should be playing maybe the what's it called? The fingerprint kit, which did get reprinted in chapter 2. I don't love this card. It's very expensive, and I feel like magnifying glass is almost just as good, but yeah, 4 clues on a single location is a lot of work for us. That's kind of the location you want to put glassing on, because eventually it'll just empty itself. Anyways, second action, we're going to investigate. So we're going to just investigate normally. We are currently at, what are we at? 6 to 2. So not too bad. I don't think there's anything bad that can happen from drawing an encounter card here, or sorry, drawing a token. 6 to 2, we want to succeed by 1 or 3. Auto fail. We're off to a great start. I think we're going to go again. I'm surprised not to see fingerprint kin as a tool that in this 2-handed. Yeah, I don't like it a lot. I think probably at 2 players it is worth playing, but it's expensive. The click compression on it is probably good, but it just, I don't know. 6 to 2 one more time. I guess we're not moving. Elder Sign. I mean, wow, the highs and lows of Arkham Horror experienced in 1 turn. So that means we got 7 to 2, so we succeed by 5, which does not do Dorothy, but regardless, we're going to draw 2 cards and gain a resource. Autofill into Elder Sign is definitely a way to start the scenario. So we'll get a clue. We still have a test to do. So we'll draw a card. We'll draw another card and we'll gain a resource. Okay, that's not a start. We have dead ends in our hand. This, at least we're glad to draw this early because you don't want to draw this late right before the scenario is over. So when you search your deck and this is there, you have to draw it. Fine. When the game ends or you're eliminated, if this card is still in your hand, you earn 2 fewer experience. So we just basically either want to discard this randomly to a treachery, which is possible. You can't choose to discard this, or we can just pay 5, which is just an event that costs 5, which we'll have the whole scenario to figure out what 5 resources we want. Now the rest of Ron Dock we have to fire. So now we're just doing 2 to 3 agility. And if we fail, we put 1 damage on this, which will make it collapse immediately because we're probably, oh no, we're 3 to 3. I forgot. We have Dr. Rosa. Nice. Okay. We might pass this. I'm not boosting into this though. 0, we pass it. Okay, fantastic. Unfortunately, though, we end our turn here, which means we have to put 2 damage. When your turn ends and you're at a bog location, place 2 damage here. Once it hits 3 damage, it will flip, and then we'll figure out what that means. But that's that. It's now Miguel's time. So Miguel wants to set up. Daniel's definitely the most important thing we want to play in this hand. We want to play an event a turn, but unfortunately, we don't have like a good event to play here. Emergency cash would be the best case scenario, or well, basically that'd be fine. So this might be a bit of a setup turn. The Abandoned Shack is like a good spot to be at because if, I guess you have to spend a clue, that's the issue. But even 2 to 2, we could waste actions trying to get the clues here. But unfortunately, glassing, like, I mean, there's 4 clues on this. We could drop a glassing on it. Got to play the asset called Daniel. So I just want to see when this flips, it says place 1 sinkhole. If the location is 3 or more, remove all sinkholes and flip it. Okay, so it doesn't remove cards. So like this is a location that is 2 shroud. So you could put a glassing on it. We want to play an event this turn for sure, because we can draw a card from the knapsack, which is really quite good. And we are very lucky to start with this thing. That's a nice thing about Hemlock. But yeah, if we play this, we can filter a card. The question is, where do we want to put it? We're more incentivized to put this in a central location because it's more likely to fire more commonly. But putting it here on a 4 shroud is fine. We could also go up north and put it at the Muddy Fen, but then we'd be having to investigate against the Muddy Fen, and we'd be like 6 to 4 or 5 to 4, I think. Actually 5 to 4, which is not beautiful. No, we'd be 6 to 4. I mean, maybe that's fine. Maybe that is fine. Yeah, let's say that's fine. Okay. So first action, we're going to pop up to the Muddy Fen. Second action, we're going to fast, I guess, play glassing, see what happens. So the question is whether we want to play our same old thing first. I guess we do, right? So I think we just have a turn where we don't play Daniel. Like Daniel's not likely to fire anyways because there's very few enemies in the deck. But I think second action, we're just going to play same old thing for 2. This has $5 on it functionally. You can use those dollars to play events at any investigator location. You could have done it without moving. Yeah, but then we don't draw. Like drawing with the Miguel's knapsack is way better than the other option, unless that saves you 2 moves or it really matters. But here we just want to draw through our deck, I think, because we don't have enough events to support our stuff. But you can do it with this thing. Then fast, we'll play glassing. We'll spend these money. We'll attach glassing to the muddy fen. So if you're not familiar with glassing, it just says when an enemy enters that location, we can investigate using our agility +1, and we can either get 1 or 2 clues. Hey, Dan, you might know then, if all these cards that say you get +1 skill value, sorry, if it says if you succeed, oh, it says if you succeed. Okay, so I need to read that correctly. So you don't discard this until you succeed. I think it's a bit different than the new machete where like you have to choose to exhaust it before you see the result. But with these things, the lucky thing is we can only discard them for the extra benefit when we know we succeed. So I misspoke earlier. So never mind. I don't have a rules question. It's pretty obvious. So then we're going to use our knapsack really quick. Miguel's knapsack. So we're going to go draw a card. We drew an unexpected courage. Totally fine. We did 1, 2. Oh, they were rotting machete. Okay, sick. That's good to hear. And then we have one more action here. I guess we might as well just play the Daniel then. Yeah, we'll just play this Daniel. So we're bankrupt, but we can still play events. So we're going to play Daniel Jameson. Comes in, allows us to evade or attack again. Comes in with good soak, as survivor cards usually do. And we get +1 to our evade, which is pretty important because we're going to use that for everything. So I think I put that as agility, which is correct. Agility up to 5. Okay. We're going to end our turn here, which means we put 2 sinkholes. I only have so many red dice, so I don't know what's going to happen. We'll pull out smaller ones. But that's it. We ideally draw an enemy there. That would be the best case scenario, but we're going to do our upkeep. So Miguel has to pay 3 for this. Draws into another same old thing. It's not unique, but like whatever. And then Joe draws into a magnifying glass. That's perfect. That's what our other hand wants. It's what it craves. That's it. Doom goes to 1 of 3. Nothing happens. And we just draw encounter cards. We never said who's the lead investigator. I'm going to say that Joe Diamond's the lead investigator. No, I'm going to say Miguel's the lead investigator. Oh, excuse me. Doom set 1. I'm going to say Miguel's the lead investigator because I'm assuming Joe Diamond is just following Miguel. Miguel seems to be the leader out here in the wilds. Cool. Do you investigate the location Miguel is at or where the glassing is at? You do it where glassing is at, from my understanding. So it says when enemy enters the location, exhaust glassing. Oh my God, Chris, actually, that's a good question. It says you may trigger this ability from any location. I think you investigate here because the card is here. That makes sense because the cards that say fight or evade, they do it where the enemy is, which is at that location. So I'm like 90% sure you do it here, right? You have to use its shroud as well, right? So you do its shroud at its location, but you can do it from cross map. All right, so we want to draw an enemy. I think I've shuffled this. There's not a lot of enemies in the deck, but they will get more dense over time. Not an enemy, but maybe this becomes an enemy. Call of the Wild. I'm going to spend so much time blowing this up in full art. Call of the Wild, test 3 agility. If you fail, choose the nearest enemy. That enemy attacks you. If you fail and no enemy was chosen, just take 2 damage instead. That sucks. I just wanted this to spawn an enemy. We're 5-3, so we're doing pretty good here. I don't want to commit any of these cards. We don't really need to. There's only, I think, 2 tokens in the bag that fail, maybe 3 tokens in the bag that fail. The -3, the -4, the tablet, and the auto fail, so 4. So I don't think we're going to boost into that. So yeah, we're just going to do this. Call of the Wild. Taking 2 damage here off the rip wouldn't be great. Technically, you don't want to put damage on allies in this scenario. I know that because I played it before, but you want to keep your allies safe because there's cards that they just fall into the bog. -2, nailed it. All right, Joe. This is the one. Sinking Sludge. This is going to get us. So we could lose Dorothy as soon as this. If you are at a sunken location, take 1 direct damage and deal 1 direct damage to each ally asset you control. Luckily, we're not. It sinks when it hits 3 damage. Instead, we're at a bog, so we place 1 damage in your location as a sinkhole. So you do need to stay out of the water because this card is brutal, especially for 1 health allies. That means this hits 3, and as soon as it hits 3, if you look at the agenda, we have to flip this card over, and then all of these on the back are the same. So when they flip over, you're now in well, this one's non-victory, but the victory ones do flip over with victory, which is good. And it just says, after you move into this location, draw the top card in the counter deck, 5 Shroud. Rough. The calm ripples hide something sinister deep below. So this is why you want to keep yourself out of the water, because entering the water sucks. Leaving the water is fine, but then a whole bunch of the encounter cards get way worse if you're in the water. I think some of the tokens get worse too. Yeah. Actually, apparently not. I thought they would have. Okay, that's it. It's back to us. Glassing also needs to say that its location is attached to. Other cards do that, but I'm fairly certain that's the intention. Yeah, that's like how I intuit it, but I guess it doesn't say, but it'd be weird if it didn't. Okay, so the issue is this 4 Shroud here we can't deal with. This has now become 5 Shroud. Notably, if we get the last clue, we can fire Dr. Rosa with Joe, but I generally want to keep that for later because usually this interacts with the campaign mechanics or the scenario mechanics, excuse me, and we don't really need to do that now. So we could clear it. I mean, we do need to get the clues and we're here anyways. The question is which way we want to go. I think we want him to get 6 clues because if Joe gets 6 clues, he can go up to the Muddy Fen, and then if he ends his turn there and advances the act, this won't necessarily fall into the water because there'll only be one person ending their turn there. So that's probably pretty good. It looks like that means our friend here is not doing that much. Like we didn't draw an enemy. There's not a lot of enemies off the rip. So we might just be setting up with our Sparrow Mask, and like Hunter's Instinct eventually will matter. Not right now because there's no events in our discard pile, but that's the sort of the idea. So I think we're going to start with Joe Diamond and see what happens. So we're going to start with the Mag Glass. So has been reprinted. I mean, it's a very, very good card. Fast will pay 1. And now we get +1. Both our hands are full while we're investigating at least. So we're currently up on a massive 7 intellect on turn 1. So that means open water, we can still do it. We're just going to start first action to draw a card and get a clue and maybe $1. So we're going to do 7 to 5. I don't think we're going to boost into this. Honestly, Chemistry Set is a card I put in the deck. I don't know if it's actually worth it. Probably isn't. But I wanted to put an accessory. So I'll do 7 to 5. We want to get a -1. That's a fail. Straight up fail, I think. -3. So we fail by 1. So if you fail, place 1 damage on the nearest bog location as a sinkhole. So we actually have to put that somewhere. We can either put it here or here because those are the nearest. If we put it on the Muddy Fen collapses. Why we don't want them to collapse? Because now that there's 1 collapsed, we actually have my skull is -1. If we put it 1 here, that means we can't end our turn here. So I think we do just actually put the 3rd one there and collapse the 2nd one. So this Muddy Fen just basically lost a shroud. The back of this is totally the same, except it has a victory. So after you enter here. So glassing now in this scenario location kind of sucks a bit because there's a lot of shroud there. Okay, that was not a good start. Second action, I think we're just going to do it again. So this is not a good start here. So Joe's going to investigate again, still 7 to 5. We probably should just boost 1 with the right tool for the job. We could have done that last turn. Probably was right. There is 2 -3s in the bag, so it's like not amazing, but like that -3 was pretty bad. What is going on? We're off to a start. Unfortunately, Mouse Mask is going to be bad in this scenario because all of the locations are in play. Flipping them does not reveal them from my understanding. So this card's probably not worth playing. We could just pitch it, but we might just want to keep it for the willpower. I mean, getting the last clue off of this is not super necessary, but if you just end your turn there, like, I mean, the one thing that we drew was bad. That's the one thing you can play around, but it's not like we're going to be adding more counters to this location. So I'm just going to do 7 to 5 again. What a terrible turn. Yeah, a bunch of 5-shard locations is wild for scenario 1 for sure. But like we have 7 book. This shouldn't be that bad. Gull is -1. That's good. Again, we are 7 book, yeah. So 7 to 5. So we go 6 to 5. We succeed by 1. So we get to do a lot of good things, which is good. So we get exhaust this to gain a resource. Because yeah, we were 7 to 5, 6 to 5. Yeah, we succeed by 1. So we gain 1 resource. We're at 4 resources. We get 1 clue. And then with our text with Joe, we can draw a card. It's a gather intel. So if an enemy ever shows up, we can just like cheese it and draw 2 cards. We're going to swap over. Okay, we are here in the swamp with the open waters. It's 5 shroud. Let's give you a free doctor +1 on day 1. Yeah. Yeah, Dr. Rosa on turn 1 definitely is like a nice balancing to that for sure. That being said, just don't flood them. Forehead, right? Like that's on us to some extent. So above us is the fetid pool. The fetid pool says it gets +1 shroud for each low sinkhole on it. That means you want to empty this relatively quickly because as soon as you end your turn there, it goes up to 4 shroud, which is pretty bad. The issue is like Miguel is not set up to get any clues. Our hand also stinks because it doesn't have any like events in it, so we can't do much. So we might just sit here like in the gross water and then just like draw a card. I don't know what resource or what card we want to draw here exactly beside an event. Like playing the Sparrow Mask is not bad because it increases our agility, which is good, and we'll definitely take incidental damage or horror. But I think we can just do a bit of a setup turn because right now we have half the clues we need. We're going to be advancing next round. I mean, I'll draw 1 as our first action. This should be ready. Elaborate Distraction can be pretty good in the middle. This can evade non-elites, which again, there will be elites for sure, but it can just ping things for damage, which is fine. It's not an attack, so it doesn't deal with elusive. I think we can just take a resource, play a same old thing, or a Hunter's Instinct. I think I'm just going to take a resource here. And then I'm going to play the Sparrow Mask for 1. So this will come onto the table. I'm going to use a purple die because it's fun. But this has replenished. Replenished means you can never have more than what it started with. So it can never have more than 2. But during a test, we can give ourselves +2 willpower or +2 agility. And this will get refilled, unlike this mouse mask. I think the wolf mask would have been better on our friend here, because we have way more flat book boosts than I think we have flat fight boosts. And wolf mask actually recharges itself right when you need it. That's it. We would add 2 to any of these, but we can't because they're fully flooded. We do our upkeep. So we draw. Ooh, that's good. Feline hybrid. I mean, this would be sick because it's an enemy, so we can fire a glassing. But unfortunately, feline hybrid is immune to player card effects. That being said, I don't think glassing interacts with it. So does glassing get beaten by feline hybrid? Feline hybrid's a really cool card. But this, I think, after an enemy enters attached location, exhaust glassing, this doesn't interact with the feline hybrid. So like, I'm not sure. I think we can fire this. So it's immune to player card effects, which I think it means it can't be impacted by player card effects, but glassing is not being impacted by it. Glassing is triggering off of it. Yeah, you can still use glassing. Okay, that's fantastic. So we're going to exhaust this. And we can fire glassing for the first time. Now the feline hybrid is pretty rough because feline hybrid's immune to player card effects. So largely you just have to fight it with your bare hands. The good thing about this thing though is that it has elusive. So even if you fail to hit on it, it doesn't have retaliate. It just walks away, which just means that you can like force it to fight your thing over and over and again. Glassing I think is the only trap that it can interact with because it can't be fought or evaded by decoy or lie in wait. But yeah, at least we'll be fine here. So let's fire our thing and get some clues hopefully. Ideally, we don't discard this. I think we just want to get 1 clue at a time. So investigate. We got to use our agility. So our agility is currently 5 plus this is 6. So we're at 6 to 5 shroud, which isn't fantastic. And if we succeed, we could discard this to get an additional clue, which sometimes is worth doing just to fire Miguel's knapsack and draw cards and do all that. But we're pretty okay with it coming here. So 6 to 2. I think we're just going to use a sparrow mask to make it 8 to 2. Sorry, 8 to 5. Should be good enough. Are you serious? What? We're off a bad campaign. All right. Card and credit. I asked these questions and it feels like I learned this game yesterday, but I don't even think the new book has this in the timing chart in it, but it is draw, resource, and then ready, or is it ready, draw, and resource? I always do them simultaneously. It doesn't matter 9 out of 10 times, maybe 99 out of 100 times, but does this ready now or not? I'm not convinced it does. I need to add the card chart here, but like I always doubt this whenever I turn the cameras on. Ready's at the beginning of the upkeep phase. Yeah, so it's ready, then card and resource, then there's a player window. So that's going to stay exhausted, which is acceptable. All right, Doom, we go to 2 of 3. Thank you, by the way. So we go to 2 of 3. We're going to advance next turn. It's the Witching Hour, and Miguel's going to draw the first card. All right, Swarm, we're happy to draw this one. This one is a bit worse. This is the day 1 card, so it'll be following you, the bees. Oh, the bees. Most of the creatures seem not quite usual in their aspects and motions. Revelation, test 3 agility. Mind you, we're 6 to 3. For each point you fail by, you must either lose a resource or take a damage. We don't mind taking 1 damage because it gives us Sparrow Mask. So we're just going to do here 6 to 3. Hope to not pull the autofill for the 3rd time. -4. I mean, that's fine. We'll take a damage. So we'll go down to 7, which charges the Sparrow Mask, which gets a charge whenever we take damage. I mean, that's fine. We could have lost a resource here, but the Sparrow Mask makes it kind of worth it. Swapping over to Joe. Joe draws an encounter card. It's Desiccation. Okay, so this one's annoying, but there's not much you can do about it. I really like the design of this card. It says put it next to the agenda deck. You at the end of the round, you discard 1 desiccation, so they can stack up. But as additional cost for investigator to play cards, they must take 1 damage. So you can guarantee the Sparrow Mask will charge itself. This is a bit worse when you want to play your clickless emergency cash to draw a card because it does make it cost 1 damage. But hey, we have health to boot. Okay, this has not been a good start so far. So this thing is here. We just need to swipe at it. We're probably not going to try and play cards. I think we're going to go to the abandoned shack and just work on it. We just need to get 3 more clues with Joe Diamond. How hard could that possibly be? I'm not convinced the chemistry set is worth an action to play. I'll be honest. This feels like a bit too greedy to play this and 2 resources for the chance to get something good in the future. Like maybe we should because it's fun. But it seems like this. Yeah, maybe we should. I know Marvel Champions, you technically are supposed to draw your hand first, then ready your player cards. I don't think there's an instance that matters, and I think everyone readies before draw. I think everyone readies before draw because that's when their hand is empty, so they can actually interact with their cards, and then they fill their hand. So it's like way more intuitive. Yeah. This is the point of the game where my friend switches from the physical chaos bag to the app on their phone. I like the physical one so much. It's way better. I think this is the new bag. I can't tell. I think the new bag is slightly wider. This bag does feel a bit small, but I mean, I trust the bag more than I trust the digital thing. Okay, so I think we're gonna start with Joe and just keep a simple turn. So first action, we're gonna pop into the Abandoned Shack. So the Abandoned Shack has 4 clues, 2 shroud. You can, as a fast action, you can move Sinkhole for a clue for damage, which means this will stay afloat. But the breakpoints and low player counts, it doesn't really matter, because if there's 1 on this, it's like whatever, you have to do this twice. It's one of the things about Arkham. The physical bag is so tactical. I love the physical bag. A huge fan of the physical bag. I think our start is so bad we can't play the chemistry set, so we're just going to investigate. Again, we have 7 to 2, so firing Dorothy might be a bit tricky. But 7 to 2 here, nothing to commit. Oh my god. Okay, where's the digital thing? All right, we'll do it again. Jeez, 7 to 2, one more time. Zero. Okay, we succeed by 5. Fantastic. We gain a clue. Succeed by 5 doesn't get anything, but we can always draw with Joe Diamond. We drew another overpower. That's our turn. When we end our turn, we put 2 damage on this thing. Man, what a start. Phenomenal. Move, clue, clue. We got 1 clue this turn. Great. Sometimes you lose trust in your ability to mix the tokens up. I am feeling pretty bad about it. I'm going to shake the heck out of that bag. Okay, the cool thing with Miguel here is that what the great thing is with Elusive, the feline hybrid, we swing at it. Best case scenario, we hit it and do damage, which would be nice. So we probably do Unexpected Courage to just hit a bit harder. But when we hit this, because it's elusive, even if we fail, it'll move to a location that is empty. So we can throw it to open water, and then we can just go north. This thing, prey, is not only us. Oh, it's Miguel del Cruz only. No, it's only. They add some brackets. So this will actually entirely ignore Joe, which means when it's here and we go north or east, it will follow us and we can make it fire glassing 1 more time. This is why like the traps are so cool with elusive cards, and movement is so cool, and why Miguel is just so cool, because you can put people in the wrong place or the right place, and then they chase you and you fire your traps. It's like such a treat. So I think we're going to start here, and we're going to throw the Unexpected Courage, because I don't think we're going to need this for any of our evade stuff. So our fight stat's not very good, and we have to fight this thing twice. So we're our fight stat's not bad. We're 5 to 3, which is a bit better. So 5 to 3. If we fail, it's not the end of the world, but we love to take a damage and make this thing run away, because we have to hit this just basically naturally twice. Skull is -1 because it's half of the sunken rounded up. So we do 1 damage to the hybrid. Mind you, we track damage on, not the damage off. Sorry, that was technically, let me slide our cards back so that our threat area stays inside the frame. And then this thing is going to run to the open water, which is our choice, and it'll exhaust itself. Good. Mind you, if that failed, we could just done it again with Daniel. So maybe that actually wasn't a good use of Unexpected Courage. I forgot we had Daniel that just says do it again with +1. We probably shouldn't have used Unexpected Courage there in hindsight. Second action, we'll go to the Fetid Pool. Oh no, I don't want to go to the Fetid Pool. What's the Covered Bridge say? Because this one you want to clear as soon as possible. So it says after you reveal a token with a symbol while investigating the Covered Bridge, draw the top card of the counter deck. Nah, that's fine. We'll just pop into here for second action. We don't have an event to play. It's nice to be in the middle for an elaborate distraction if we want to throw one down. But here, there's not much we have to do. Third action we could draw. If we draw like an emergency cash, that's the best case. But we have to remember, anytime you play a card, you take 1 damage from desiccation. So I think we could do it 2 to... No, we can't. It's 4 shroud. We're not going to do that. I think we just draw a card here. Okay, do or die. This would be good if we have cards in our discard pile. This just goes for a survivor card, an asset. In our event, we have none of those. So our turn ends here. We add 2 damage to this. That is it. Upkeep. We can draw a pocket knife. I mean, that's not bad. We can use that to do stuff. We'll draw here Detective's Intuition. So again, I don't have anything good to say about this card really, but we did not draw it during our turn, so we can't do its cool text. But this allows us to heal a damage or a horror and gain 2 resources for a single action. It's not bad. It's just like, I don't care. This wakes up. This wakes up. Then the round, Desiccation is discarded, so you can play cards, and now we are going to advance. So we go to Doom 3 of 3. So let's reset the board. We'll slide this down and see what the back of the agenda says. So this advances. A near miss. An ear-splitting roar resounds through the bog, followed by several ripples that roll through the floating landscape. You feel a low tremble below you and dive to safety just before a horrible monstrosity erupts from below. Rows of thin, needle-sharp teeth gnash at the air where you just were, and ghastly stalks on eyes turn to regard you with hunger. Flip the center location to its sunken side, so we're going to just end up in the water, discarding all tokens and player card attachments. So luckily we didn't attach any traps to this. Spawn the set-aside things in the depths, enemies at it. Okay, so it says discarding all tokens, so we do just get free victory, if I'm not mistaken, because clues are tokens, right? So we just got free victory. Sick. We flip this thing over. It's just flooded. Oh, I said I was going to use the flood tokens to make it more obvious. Yeah, this place is fully flooded. Or, you know, this is flooded. This is flooded. Okay. Oh, we have to get the thing in the depths. That's probably going to be an issue. This is the thing in the depths. The thing in the depths. Rising from the deep. So, 4 attack. 20 health. 2 evade. So luckily we can evade it, but 20 health is pretty silly. We are not equipped to fight this thing, so I think we'll still probably track its health on the side, but we're not really equipped to fight this thing at all. The thing in the depths, yeah, gets +10 health. It has elusive, hunter, massive, and retaliate. So elusive means even if you attack it, mind you, if you fail, it'll retaliate you. So you will get hit first, but it will run away after it hits you. Elusive on a massive is weird to me. I'm not sure how that works. If it attacks one person, does it run away, or does it finish the whole attack against everyone? Yeah, literally just about every keyword on this besides patrol. Yeah, so I don't know if with massive, does it mean it'll attack one person at a time and then elusive, or it attacks one person and leaves? It has hunter, so it'll always try and hunt people. It has massive means it's engaged with everyone. An awkward thing is that you don't engage it when it's massive, so hunter's instinct is actually like technically useless against it, which like that's not great. But this is after you engage an enemy, but massives always engage you. It sounds academic and it kind of is, but it does matter. While Thing in the Depths is moving, its location is considered to be connected to each sunken location. So it can get pretty good reach. So it can't go straight from here to the open water and you know, vice versa. So that's only going to get worse for us. And it says forest after the Thing in the Depths attacks at a bog location, which is the ones that are not flipped down. It does heal 2 damage, which I don't care about that. We're not going to do damage. Victory 2, but like we're not doing 20 damage on this turn to do 2. I'm just going to track its health. I guess we're going to use all these blue dice because we're out of red dice. So I'll just track its health kind of up here. So any damage we do will be from this array of 5s. Yeah, just keyword soup. Okay, so it's here. Good thing about it is it doesn't do attacks of opportunity, so you can just leave. Like you can just walk away and it won't hurt you. Just kind of like Elikos. Guess we've saw that just before. All right, so that's not the last agenda. All we had to do is spawn it. We did get free victory, which is kind of neat. And this is the final agenda, I'm pretty sure. The thing in the bog. The bog rocks with towering waves. Forest. When your turn ends, it's the same text. If you're at a bog location, place 2 damage as sinkholes, because we're less than 3 investigators. If the location has 3 or more sinkholes, remove all of them and flip it over. And if we want to defeat the Thing in the Depths, resolution 4, we have 10 more turns. So it's not going to be super easy. I think it was this guy or another one where first realized the keywords are always in alphabetical order. Oh, yeah. I think I remember this conversation. Yeah. So here they are. Elusive, hunter, massive, retaliate. So it is alphabetical. You'd assume that they always should be like how it moves, how it fights. I feel like massive always should go first, but it's like in the English language, people don't realize that there's an order for adjectives. We're all taught it, but like people who are learning English as a second language have to learn them. But it's always like, you know, the big blue ball, not the blue big ball. And that's like really hard to learn. But yeah, they do come in an order. And it turns out the order is alphabetic, which is really kind of funny. Okay, cool. It's there. I'm not too scared about it. I'll be honest. It's there. It's fine. We can deal with it. Again, we still have to get 6 clues up here. So Joe needs to get to work. Encounter cards. Miguel first. Ground disturbance. So this is one of the cards from the set. Test for agility. For each point you fail by, you must either take 1 damage or place a damage on the nearest bog location as a sinkhole. So we have a lot of control what that is. We're currently 6-4 on this. The awful tremors are followed by a stampede of terrified forest creatures. And you see the forest creatures running there. 6-4 is good enough. It's for each point you fail by. So like maybe we add 1 damage to the thing. But I don't think we care that much. Or take 1 damage. Our Sparrow Mask is full. I think we can just use our Sparrow Mask a bit. We have to evade this thing, but we're evading it 6-2. And it's not alert, so I don't think we care. If this was alert, it'd be a bit more scary. But I think we'll just do... We're going to use a Sparrow Mask on this next turn. So I think we can just do 6-4 on this. That's fine. 0, great. Succeed? No problem. It's Joe. We've drawn another Call of the Wild. This one might be a bit more interesting. So it's test 3 agility. We're 3-3. If you fail, choose the nearest enemy. So we can actually choose the feline hybrid, or we can choose Thing of the Depths. We'd rather choose the feline hybrids. The nearest enemy, that enemy attacks you. If you fail and there's no enemies, take 2 damage instead. So the thing if the feline hybrid attacks us, I think it does fire elusive from there. So we can make it run on top of the glassing trap and fire it, which is kind of funny. Because it does do an attack. And I think elusive doesn't care about doing an investigation phase. I'm pretty sure I think elusive just always fires. Anyways, we're 3-3. There's no point boosting this. We could boost +2, but at the end of the day, this is just 1 damage and 1 horror, which, like, that's fine. 3 to 3. -2, so we fail. So the closest enemy is going to attack us. I think it's going to be the feline hybrid. The prey means it will never engage us, but it doesn't mean we can't get attacked. So we're going to take 1 and 1, and we're going to choose to take it on our face because putting damage on our allies is bad. We can actually put 1 horror on Rosa, but we will take 1 damage. Now, if I'm not mistaken, elusive does fire here, I'm pretty sure. We could double check if someone in chat knows, but that means this thing exhausts and runs away. And when it runs into here, we can fire glassing 1 more time, and we're really hoping this one works. So we're going to evade to investigate. We are currently 7 to 5, and I will use a Sparrow Mask to make it 9 to 5, which means it should go through. -4? I mean, we got it, but did we need everything? Yes. So we can exhaust glassing. I won't discard it because I think it can fire a couple more times, especially with Thing in the Depths being elusive. So we will gain a clue on Miguel, which is not a very common occurrence. We should have been more, actually, but we're at 5 clues if we want to end up in the Muddy Fen. Okay, so now the scenario has truly started. Generally, this thing spawns on like turn 2 if you play it on day 3. So this is what the scenario really looks like. You also notice the scenario is not particularly long. It's only 13 turns, which feels a bit short, but the day scenarios are a bit shorter. The night scenarios are a bit longer. That's largely because you have the preludes to play through. Okay. Okay, so Elaborate Distraction is here. Doesn't really do anything against elites. It's not an attack, so it won't fire elusive, so that's not very useful. That's the one event in our hand. We're probably going to do something very simple with Joe. If Joe can get 2 clues, he can get to 6 clues, and then he can take 1 move action. And anytime that you enter a flooded path, you can fast move to the next location. So if Joe can get these 2 clues at a 2 shroud, which, oh my God, should have been easy, he can end up at Muddy Fen, talk to Judith Park next turn, but actually advance the story, which is probably what we're going to do. And we're going to trust our friend here, Miguel, to be able to evade the Thing in the Depths, and then probably just like do Rancher stuff, because we're not going to be fighting that thing because we have no way of doing 20 damage. We do have to be careful. There's like 2 cards in the deck that say place 1 doom on the nearest mutated enemy, I think is the text. And we don't want this to be the nearest mutated enemy because we cannot defeat it. Because if there's doom on it, that's it. Like we just lost the 6 actions because we're not going to be able to defeat this. The doom will stay on it. So ideally the nearest mutated enemy, if we want to keep the feline hybrid around, we can kind of game it and just kind of play tag in the swamp, which is kind of goofy. But let's start here. We're going to use our book stat, which is 7 to 2, which so far has been an issue. And we're going to try and get a clue and a resource and a card and all that good Joe Diamond value. 7 to 2. -1, 6 to 2, succeed by 4, a bit too much, but we get a clue. Joe Diamond's text, we draw a card. It's endurance. I mean, that's probably not necessary to be played, but if we ever need to go toe-to-toe with bigger things, this is what we'll bring in. But generally, there shouldn't be too many big enemies on our first day. All right, we're at 5 clues. We'll do it again. Again, Dorothy might work here, 7 to 2. 0, so succeed by 5. Oops. So we get another clue where it's 6 clues. That's good. So for our last action, we'll enter this flooded path. And then we're just going to do both of these because there's 2 in the way. So we're going to, during your turn, place a damage. That's our last red die. Well, this one is. So we'll move to a connecting location, and then we'll do it 1 more time. And then we're going to move up to the Muddy Fen. This says, stepping between the sunken boards allows you to navigate the flooded pathway. Man, the art in the set is so great. We're going to end up in the Muddy Fen. We've been to one of these. It's the 4 shroud, 4 clues. Judith is here. If we control her, we can take another action on our turn to fight, which could be good. And we can parlay her by spending X resources. We have no more turn here, so we have to end our turn, which is kind of fine. But we all can parlay her if we want to. The big thing here is we have to end the round to be able to advance and spend 6 clues. So we're set up to do that. And when we end our turn, we have to put 2 damage on the location. I have run out of damage dice, excuse me. So I'm just going to go put this purple dice here. It doesn't really matter. So that will flood eventually. Okay, that's it. It's Miguel. So Miguel was going to start by evading the Thing in the Depths. If we fail to evade, it's not really important because we can use Daniel to just do it again. But we're evading, what is it, 6 to 2. So we're like, I wouldn't say guaranteed because that's bad. Or sorry, we're 5 to 2. So not guaranteed. We're not going to commit do or die or anything. Man, our events really haven't been popping off. We need more traps because this is a really good scenario for traps because everything has elusive and hunts. 5 to 2. There's no alert. -4. So we fail. How have things been so bad? But we'll exhaust Daniel Jameson just to do it again. Mind you, it doesn't have alert, so it doesn't really matter. So now we're doing 6 to 2. -1. Okay, great. So we've evaded the Thing in the Depths. You can also just fight the Thing in the Depths if you want. The problem is it has retaliate. When it's exhausted, does aloof have fire? Because can you punch it to move it back? I don't think it matters. We don't really want to move anywhere. I think we're pretty happy being in the middle of the water because our traps can be put anywhere with our knapsack. So I think we just want to find traps. So I think for our second action, because Daniel Manju is a free action functionally, we'll draw. I can't believe we haven't found an event. Yeah, elusive is only if it's ready. Okay, that tracks. So we haven't found another event yet. Our money, we could technically put down a same old thing here for like tempo and then basically have a lot more resources in the bank. I think that's acceptable. I can't imagine a card we want to play that's not a resource until the end of the game. So we could draw one more time for another event, but I think we're just going to play another same old thing. So we can have 2 of these. Cost 2, comes in with 5 of these like pseudo event resources, and that's fine. This offshores our money. So if there's a card that says lose resources, that sucks because we can't choose to do that. So this might not be the best, but we did technically gain 3 resources. I can't believe how little we fired our text, and we've just drawn like kind of backwards. I think we might have been a bit too greedy. We kept a Hunter's Instinct in our opening hand and like the Sparrow Mask. We probably should have just kept 2 or 3 events to ensure that our text is relevant, especially because we had our knapsack. So that does sit poorly with me. That's it. Not at the end of the round yet. We do our upkeep. So we're going to draw into an event. Okay, glassing is perfect. Fast events, you can play during a window at the end of the upkeep phase or during the Mythos phase. So we could play this before we draw encounter cards because I think there's a fast window at the end of the upkeep phase. So we could drop this on our location and still draw with Miguel's knapsack. It will be exhausted, but it says when you play an event, you can exhaust this draw. I mean, like we might still do that. Actually, no, we don't want to do that. We probably want to play this at a neighboring location. Maybe we hold on to this because there's no clues here. Why would we play that? That's the sort of thing that we want to drop at like a victory location, but that's the last victory location. So maybe we'll put it there. Yeah, maybe we will put it there. Okay. Joe draws a right tool, which we don't really need that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. We have to discard 2 cards. We'll get rid of a book icon. And I think we're going to get rid of the chemistry set because I think we're too far behind to play this like kind of luxurious card. Okay. Maybe the e-cash is actually worse. Yeah, the e-cash is worse. No, we're going to need money because of our debt, our dead ends, but we have a lot of money. Like, I don't imagine us spending that much more money. The thing is, like, this doesn't have icons on it. The chemistry set has a book icon. That's fine. The book icon's like not that good. Okay. End of the round. So at the end of the round, the investigators at whatever that's called, the Northern Shore, can spend 6 clues to advance. And so we will. Joe Diamond will spend 6 clues and we will advance. Okay, so I have to hit this button and then this button and then this button. And then we get to this, the Wise Mound. You come to a round still pond on the northeastern shore of the bog. Atop a mound of wildflowers is a silvery alkaloid blossom, very much like the sample that drew Dr. Marquez to Hemlock Isle. When you approach, the blossom swells to release a cloud of spores, then closes. The scent of the spores is pleasant, almost like cloves, but grows bitter the longer it lingers. If you read again Annihilation, the book, the idea of like breathing in these sweet smelling spores is so impactful to the story. Here it's a small thing, at least right now it is, but like it's so cool to see all the reference material and the parts of it that have kind of been like amalgamized in different ways, like different themes and motifs. So they're not used at all the same way. But yeah, the like sickly spores that get breathed in is a really big point of Annihilation. Suddenly the mound of flowers moves. A large reptilian head rises out of the water and looks at you with intelligent eyes before swiftly swimming away. Spawn the set aside Chaldron hybrid enemy at the Northern Shore location. So we have an enemy, sort of. This is the Chaldron hybrid. This is a very important card. 2 attack, 5 health, 2 evade. It's aloof, so it's not going to be engaged on anybody. It's elusive, so if you attack it or it attacks you, it'll run away, but aloof it won't. And it will patrol to the nearest empty location. Empty, mind you, is with no enemies, but also no investigators. It's starting here. It has 5 health on it. I'm out of red dice, so like, we'll figure that out in a second. Chaldron hybrid cannot move if there's a ready abomination enemy at its location. Currently, all the enemies on the table, and mind you, I still have to ready them, are abominations. So actually, the feline hybrid isn't, but the thing in the depths is an abomination. Very importantly, glassing can't fire here because an enemy hasn't entered its location. Okay, so if this abomination can't move, forced, if this enemy is defeated, we have to go to a resolution. So I don't think we need to fight this thing, but if this thing is defeated or we choose to defeat it, the story will go on. Okay, so there's more to this. Choose a location adjacent to the Celadrin hybrid and spawn one of the set-aside grasping tendrils enemy at that location. Oh, technically we knew this was happening if you played this before, so we could have put a glassing where it spawns. I mean, that's okay. The question is, where do we want to put this hybrid? It's the grasping tendril. So either we can put it at the flooded path or we can put it at the tangled thicket. What does the tangled thicket say? The free window's at the beginning of the upkeep? Oh, not at the end? Okay. Good. So it's at the beginning of the upkeep, so it's after you draw. So the closest fast window would be during a skill test in the Mythos phase and at the end of the Mythos phase. Thank you. Yeah, again, I said I wasn't confident about it. Apparently it's fast window, then card and resource and ready. Or sorry, ready and then card and resource. So this is the thicket, which is the one that's right to the west. As an additional cost to move out of this, you must spend another action. So that sucks. It was very dark for the trees, were grotesquely huge and luxuriant, and incredibly numerous. H.P. Lovecraft's The Green Meadow, and Winifred V. Jackson. Oh, neat. So I don't know where we want to go. This place sucks. Two clues probably still matter. And if we want to go clues, we have to go to the top. So there is still 4 clues here. So I think we're going to go this way. This was really fast to go through, but I think we're going to put one here. So that's a grasping tendril. Grasping tendrils, mind you? I think they're meant to be part of the thing in the depths is my read of this thing. But this is a 2/1/4. It's Surge, so when you draw it, you'll draw another encounter card. It's at night, it's aloof. So currently it's not aloof, which is really cool because at night these things keep to themselves. They spawn at the Celadrin hybrid's location. So normally they'll spawn on top of this turtle creature, but not when we're told. And X is the current day number, so it only has 1 health. But of course, this can go up to 3 health, which is a huge difference. Truthfully, Thing was the best we could come up with to describe whatever was down there from Dr. Rosa Marquez's Miskatonic Survey 1926. Sick. Very fun. All right, so that is an abomination. It only has 1 health, so anything will knock it out. I need to figure out the red dice situation. Give me 1 moment. I'll sort that in a second. Then we have to shuffle each other set-aside grasping tendril enemy into the counter deck along with the discard pile. Luckily, there's no Ancient Evils equivalent, but the cards that we're shuffling back, they're not too bad. I think the worst one is like Sinking Sludge, especially because things are only going to get worse. But these all go in, and we're going to be adding 4 more grasping tendrils, which of course are abominations, so that will matter. All right, let me shuffle that. Otherwise, we'll advance the act. We'll go to the final act, Discovery of a Lifetime. The large flowering turtle-like creature is on the move. Perhaps you could herd it to safety. As a fast action, investigators at a single location adjacent to the Celadrin hybrid location can spend 2 clues as a group. And for the remainder of the round, change Celadrin hybrid's patrol location to that location. The Celadrin hybrid is always going to move to an empty location. You can just say, no, come here, buddy, which is just like such cool flavor that you can spend clues to basically, you're on an escort mission of sorts. At the end of the enemy phase, the Celadrin hybrid will take 1 damage for each ready abomination enemy at its location. And notably, if there's abominations at its location, it can't move. So it will just be slowly strangled by these like things. And at the end of the round, if the Celadrin hybrid is at the starting location, immediately advance. So we have to just get this turtle all the way over here, which is guaranteed to take us 5 turns at a minimum. It's also funny because this is technically an enemy, so it fires all our traps. So we can put a glassing in front of it and push it into this location. But notably, if we go into this location to kill the grasping tendril, it will not enter that location because we're then there, and that's really bad. So I think we might have not thought that through quite right. Luckily, Elaborate Distraction is actually really good at dealing with tendrils. It's really good at dealing with tendrils on day 1. All right. That's it. That's the act and agenda at this point. So yeah, all we have to do is we have 10 doom. We're trying to get out. Things are sinking. We just want to get this thing out. We could like technically defeat it and get a resolution. We could defeat things in the depth to get a resolution, but our best laid plan is probably to get this, or our most reasonable plan here. Now, if we don't do anything, this is just going to end up coming to the flooded path, which maybe that's fine. And we can ignore the grasping tendril. The grasping tendril doesn't move. So we could just leave it there and then kind of go the long way around, which actually might be acceptable. It's not going to be very exciting, but it probably will be acceptable. Okay, Doom, we're at 1 of 10. First encounter card is drawn by Miguel. Enervation. Okay, this one's better if you took damage to your face. Currently, we only have 1 damage. So it's test 5 fight. Reduce the difficulty of this test by 1 for each damage on you. So it's like the opposite. It gets easier as the campaign or the scenario goes later. We only have 1 damage, so this is currently 4 fight to our 3 fight. So we're behind by 1. If you fail, you must either take 2 damage to help you for the other enervation, or choose the card with the highest printed cost in your hand and discard it. So that'll make us discard an Elaborate Distraction. That's not that bad, actually, because if we discard it, we can just grab it back with Do or Die, which grabs an asset or an event. So I think we can just like flub this and not really care. It just loses a targeted card from our hand. Otherwise, we could take a whole bunch of damage, but I don't think we want to take 2 damage for no reason. So we're going to do 3 to 4. So not likely to pass this. We passed it. Okay, cool. All right, Joe. Oh no, this is the bad one. Unnatural decay, sorry, unnatural growth. Notably, we're not reusing any cards from the original core set, or having to, which is good. Place 1 doom on the nearest enemy with no doom on it. Oh, if no doom is placed by this effect, discard 2 cards at random from your hand. This is what I was talking about. The art on this is like something special. If it is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives, it is the one that is the most adaptable to change. And then the art is a tongue and claws and in the forest. Now the issue with this is it's not the closest abomination, so we actually have to put a doom on the hybrid, which means we're kind of incentivized to defeat the hybrid, which is not what we want to be doing anyway. So we did just lose a turn, so we only have a couple turns to do this. I think we'll still ultimately be fine. Okay, what I'm going to do here is, 1 second. We're just going to reach over into the other dice we have, the regular dice, and use those for the counters that go on locations. They're less easy to read for sure. They're not too bad, but that means we can use these to track health on characters. So that's a 5. That's a 1. This was a 2, I'm pretty sure. And that's a 1. Okay, so these are going to be the ones that'll be tracking how quickly they flood, which is okay. And then we'll keep those to the side. Okay, we're back at it. It's now our turns. So we don't have that many turns. Again, the Cheladrin hybrid was going to move to this location if we don't do anything, which is totally acceptable. From there, it'll move to this location. From there, it'll move to this location. From there, it'll move to this. So if we just do nothing, we will win. The issue is every time that you draw a tendril, it'll spawn at its location, which will stop it to move. So you do still need to escort it. You need to kind of stay around it, which like elaborate distraction is very quite good for that because it just does do some damage here. So I think Joe just wants to like set up, like wants to do the parlay and get some clues here because this place does have oh, hold on. Because this place does have a victory. Drawing a deduction would be pretty sick. But this thing will still move if there's a thing at a location, right? The fact that it has elusive is also very funny. Yeah, you can technically like hit it to push it alongside. So you can actually make it go faster, which is really quite cool. So like in theory, lie in wait is kind of cool because if I put a lie in wait here, it enters the location. We can do lie in wait to do 1 damage and then it can go here. So we can actually like kind of force it along with traps. It's very, very, very cool. This kind of feels a bit more like an Earthborn Rangers scenario than anything else. And I kind of like it, but because it has a map specifically. All right, so it cannot move if there's an abomination. Not an issue. Not a problem whatsoever. So technically the more important turn is with Miguel, but Miguel's turn is relatively safe. This thing might just like hit us for 1 and 1, but that's fine. If it does hit us for 1 and 1, we can just send it back into the glassing and might just get some free clues. This place does have victory, so we do want to empty this location, which means we need to fire glassing twice more. So actually firing glassing is like pretty good for us. We'll take the 1 and 1 from this thing for sure. We have a lot of health and horror to soak. Daniel's ready, let alone it gives us a Sparrow Mask. So we will start with Joe. This is still the Muddy Fen. It will collapse next turn. And when it's collapsed, this thing will be attached to us. So we can jump on us as soon as possible. So we're just going to do our boring book test. And we're going to do, what are we now? Like still 7 to 4. So maybe we'll succeed by 1 or 3. Nothing to really commit here. 7 to 4. We can also talk to Judith. We definitely should. But I want to get some clues first and fire our once per turn text. What is this bag? All right, we fail. Feels bad. Feels really, really bad. I think we have to do it again. I mean, we could have boosted 1, but there's only 1 -4 in the bag, so it's like not worth it. But here we are. We are gonna be drawing a card. I still don't want to commit our book icon. I'm just doing 7 to 4. We also want to make sure we talk to Rosa before the scenario is over, so we need to empty the last clue. 7 to 4, -1, 6 to 4. We don't get Dorothy, but we do get a clue. Okay, that's good. Second action, we draw a card with our ability. We drew a bounty, which, mind you, there's a lot of 1 health enemies, so it's not particularly that great. Yeah, it's really all -4s. We can take 1 more clue test, which means we can commit a card so we don't waste a card. Otherwise, we can spend a resource to talk to Judith, but she's not going anywhere, so that's kind of acceptable. So I think we're just going to do it again, and we will just commit. Agility seems better than a willpower. We haven't seen a willpower test yet. So we'll just commit this as well. So we're now at 8 to 4. If we top deck a deduction, we'd be in a good spot. Oh, actually, we could have played Gather Intel. Man, there's too much stuff going on. But Gather Intel, we could have played when the Cheladrin Hydra was there, and it would have been outside of our hand size check, so we would have been able to keep the cards. Whatever. We'll commit the silly mask. It's weird how the Seeker had the worst mask, I think, considering they usually get really good cards. 8-2 or 8-4 -1 because we committed. 7-4. We succeed by 3. Okay, good. We did it. We get Dorothy. We did get Dorothy. We did it. We gain a clue and a resource. All right. Good. When we end our turn here, we have to put 2 more counters, which means it becomes sunken. Again, the backside has still 5 Shroud, and that's largely it. It still has victory. Only when you enter it is it bad. Card, yeah, we did get the card. We got the card on the first time. It was the bounty. Mind you, our text on what's it called on Joe is only once, so we did get the card on the first clue. But yeah, thank you. I do want to make sure we can get everything we can get. All right, that's it. It's Miguel. Miguel doesn't have much going on. We do want to put a glassing down somewhere. I'm assuming we want to put a glassing here, but that's actually not pretty good because there's no clues there. We could put a glassing here, but I don't know why an enemy would spawn there. I think if anything, we'll put a glassing here because there is a card. There's this little like cute enemy that lives in a tree that says spawn at an empty location. So in theory, we should get this here. So I think we're going to start with that. So we're going to play fast. We're going to play glassing. I'm going to use 2 charges off of this same old thing to use it. And I'm going to try and empty 1 or get 1 down to 1. Just so if there's a like a treachery that says put doom or discard an asset, we have one that's like down to discard. And we'll attach the glassing fast onto this abandoned shack. Again, not particularly interesting. It might get a clue when this thing gets into it. And having 2 clues would be good for Miguel, but not that important. Oh, actually, we don't draw from this. Yeah, I forget because we're doing our knapsack at the next location. This is not worth anything. No, we have no reason to do this. We'll do it at the end of the turn, if anything. Okay, thing in the depths. We have to deal with that. So we're going to evade. Our stats, we're at 6-2 or 5-2. And if we mess it up, we can do it again. So we're just going to do 5-2. Skull is -2 at this point. Yep, because the skull is half of the flipped locations. So rounded up. So it should be 2. So we succeed. We evade the thing in the depths. I honestly think we just sit here in the water, like play command center in the middle of the board. There's really not much going on for us. Like we could wail on it slightly, but it doesn't really do anything. Like what we could do is we could put the glassing here and wail on this to push it into our location. But honestly, having the thing in the depths in the middle is the best for us because it's never going to get in the way of the Celadon hybrid. So that's probably fine for us. Yeah, that's probably fine for us. So like, I don't know what we're doing here. I played this yesterday and it had so much nuance of like chasing things, but honestly, sitting here on top of the thing in the depths is actually pretty reasonable. This thing doesn't move. This thing will hit us and then come back to the glassing, which is totally fine. This glassing, mind you, is still in our hand. We haven't played it technically. We could play it to this abandoned shack. I think we might as well. The only other better place to put it is here, but a deduction will solve that sooner than later. So I guess we will. We'll just put this here. It's fine. It means not much, but it's technically there. We'll exhaust in Miguel's knapsack, which allows us to play events as if we're in a neighboring location. I mean, technically, we should draw. So second, we'll draw. We got a decoy trap. This card's pretty good. We could just put it on our location. And the cool thing this says is after an enemy enters your location, which will work against hunters. So the idea is that a hunter enters your location, it moves first, then you can fire this, and then it attacks, but it will be evaded. So this is like a really cool safety card. So if we wanted to move to a different flooded path and sit there and then let the thing in the depths come to us, like that works for us, which is good. But I don't think we do that. I think third action, it's not really worth playing anything. We could play a Hunter's Instinct kind of just like preemptively, but ultimately there's no events in our discard pile now. We could play a pocket knife, but I don't know if that's worth much. I guess that's the thing that we do here. The best thing is like to draw slightly deep in our deck for some more events, but yeah, we only have 1 weakness in our deck, so last action we'll draw. It's a bit scary to draw last action. We drew Loner. I mean, none of this is going to really do much, but that's fine. Enemy phase. This thing would attack. There's nothing, but our feline hybrid will come in for us. So it's going to move to us. It's going to attack for 1 and 1. There's nothing we're going to do about it. We're going to take 1 happily to the face. And we're going to take 1 horror to Daniel, I guess. And then after this attack, it has elusive. So we're going to move it to an empty location. So we're going to make it backpedal here, which means we can fire glassing, which we need to do this twice because we want to empty with glassing. So with glassing, we're evading. Oh, mind you, we took damage, so Sparrow Mask gets a counter. So we're now using our evade to investigate. It has 5 shroud. We have 6 evade because we get +1. So we're 6 to 5 only, right? Because again, we have 5 + 1. So we're 6 to 5. We should boost into this. I think we're just going to use a Sparrow Mask to make it 8 to 5. We did fail this once before. The problem is like the do or dies don't really have a target. So I think we're just going to do this and hope 8 to 5 is good. There's only one target the -4 plays around. We just drawn it a lot. Like this one. -2. Okay, we get it. So we're not going to discard the glassing. We're just going to exhaust it to get a clue. Which means we have 2 clues on Miguel, which is perfect because 2 clues is what you need to like move the Children hybrid if you need to like re-patrol it. And I think that's it. Upkeep. So these all ready. So 1, 2, 3. This thing moves, mind you. So it's going to move to an empty location. It has to move to the flooded path. It has 5 health and 1 doom. And we get upkeep. So we're drawing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We drew an emergency cache, which is like such a good card because it's a clickless draw 3 and cantrip for it. Like we wanted that a while ago. And then Joe has enough money, drew another gather intel, which we will probably play this if we draw an enemy. It draws into 1 more weakness in our deck, but the biggest thing is we want to find a deduction so we can empty that location. Doom, we're technically at 3 of 10 because the Children Hydra has one, which like we can't really deal with that. First card for Miguel. Wall of Thorns, another card that shares a name with a Netrunner card. Shout out to FFG. I don't know if they do this intentionally, but attach Wall of Thorns to the nearest location without a Wall of Thorns. I love this card. It's so cool. During the day, when you would move into the location, take 2 damage and discard this, which is great. 9? Did I do it wrong? I think I went the wrong way, right? No, it should be 9. Hold on. I can see if it was 9. I think it's 9. Are you saying 9 as in like that's a really big number, or 9 as in like something went wrong with the overlay? 9 cards? Oh, 9 cards. Thank you. Not 9 resources. Yeah, 9 cards is a bit much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We don't need the bounty. We have enough money. We haven't fired no bullets so far. Thank you. This is 8. That's 9. Okay, so Wall of Thorns just gets attached there. Nothing to it. This means we don't want to be entering this location, but it doesn't really matter. When you would move into attached location, you take 2 damage. So we're just not going to move into that. Joe gets a card. Grasping Tendrils. Perfect. So this has Surge. It'll spawn on us. Oh no, it spawns on the Children hybrid. So we have to deal with it. We have a couple ways of dealing with 2 of these hybrids. Like there's a really good elaborate distraction this turn. I think we're going to have to do that. But this comes in with 1 health and has Surge and it spawns at this location. So that means this thing won't move. And if we don't defeat it, oh my God, this board is so crowded. That's kind of how it happens on camera, right? I need to spread this out. It's like unparsable. But yeah, we need to like spread this out. And that's the one good thing about TTS. Well, there's many good things about TTS, but it's like so much easier to make a readable board just because cards do be like that. Anyways, I guess these cards attached to locations are making it harder to read. Anyways, this thing will strangle it and it won't move, so we have to knock it out. It surges into, mind you, Dorothy should be ready. Another one. I mean, that's not a problem. We did shuffle the deck, but this still spawn here. Luckily, we can knock all of these out like instantly using our elaborate distraction technology. So we'll put 1 health on this. I ran out of red dice. It has 1 health. We'll draw another card. Sinking Sludge. Okay, so this is going to hurt our friends because we're at a flooded location. So if you're at a sunken location, take 1 direct damage. So we will take 1 direct damage, and that means Sparrow Mask gets 1. And then we have to do 1 direct damage to each ally asset you control. So Daniel takes 1. That's why we didn't put any damage on our assets. Did you play Obsidian Canyons from Drowned City on stream physically? That board is a nightmare. I did, and it actually was okay. Honestly, when we played Obsidian Canyons, I went, I think, west for the first time ever in that campaign. And I honestly really enjoyed Obsidian Canyons way more than I did going east. And I don't know why. I think I even like messed up and lost 3 turns because I advanced, I think, 1 time too soon. Because I think the check on the thing was like 6+ after or before, and I missed it. But like, yeah, we did. I think that's the biggest board we've seen on stream so far. Yeah, I'm looking forward to not the Longest Night, which I'm looking forward to that, but that board is actually, it is kind of big. But I'm really looking forward to the one where you get lost in the woods. Twisted Hollow, I think it's called. Okay, so Miguel has like a super cool turn here. Because Miguel did splash this 1 card called Elaborate Distraction, which I like a lot at higher player counts. It's a 3-cost double, but we can make it a single because we have a free action. And it just says deal 1 damage to every enemy at your location and a connecting location. Now, technically, we can't hit the feline hybrid because it's immune to player card effects, but that's just like 3 shots, 1 shots, 3 different grasping tendrils, which is sick. Yeah, Twisted Hollow is one I like every time I play it. It's like super exciting. Man, the night scenarios in this campaign are so damn good. So, I mean, that's pretty good. This is notably not an attack. It also doesn't do provoke attacks of opportunity. It can also automatically evade things, but the only thing we have here is almost definitely elite. Yeah, this is definitely elite, so that doesn't really matter. But yeah, that's good. And the cool thing about this card is we can just bring it back with do or die. And like sitting here in the middle, we have so much control over the scenario. So I think we're just going to start with Miguel this time around. And we're going to spend an action. Mind you, this doesn't do attack opportunities, not that this does. And then we're going to spend another action to play an elaborate distraction. So we're going to spend 3 of these resources and we'll play elaborate distraction for only 1 action. So again, it says playing elaborate distraction costs another action, does not do does not provoke attacks of opportunity for each enemy at your location and at each connecting location. Either automatically evade them if they're not a leader, deal 1 damage. So we're going to do 1 damage. Oh no, we have to evade this guy. I think we're going to ping the hybrid. Because we have to. Yeah, there's no way around it. So we're going to ping 1. We're going to ping 1. We're going to ping for 1 because if we evade it, it won't move because patrol is only if it's ready. And we're going to ping for 1. We can't ping the hybrid because it's immune. And then we'll technically ping our friend for 1. It's not that it matters, but we did technically hurt it. So the cards that will, I think there's a card that says like heal if you can't surge. So that's pretty good. So that's like a really good action. We can now use our knapsack to draw a card, which sure, why not? We drew lie in wait. That's our damage one, which if we put this in front of the Children hybrid, we can just kind of push it forward, which is good fun. That's it. This thing's going to hit us next turn. So obviously we have to evade the thing in the depths. So for our second action, we'll just evade this thing. We're 5-2. If we fail, we can just do it again. We should boost here with the do or die, just because we want an elaborate distraction whenever we need it. So do or die. It just gives us 6-2, and if we succeed, we can grab an asset or a survivor event. -1, we succeed. We've evaded the thing. We'll go grab an elaborate distraction, which will allow us to keep up with our friend. We have 1 more action here. Not much is going on. Like, we probably just play Loner to set up, because we can use Loner to get to the end. I guess we don't have to get to the end. But Loner is not bad. It says move to an empty connecting location. I'm happy where we are babysitting the thing in the depths, for better for worse. So, I mean, it's still good. It's still not bad. Yeah, I think we'll play it. Like, what else are we doing? Let's be honest. So we'll just spend it for 2. This weekend exhaust to move. We can technically do it now if we wanted to. We won't. And then that's it. We'll pass. We already played our free event, so we don't have to do our emergency cash. That'll be for next turn. All right, it is our time to get 2 clues. We haven't found a deduction. Gather intel, didn't fire. We definitely should have fired it last turn if we remembered. But we're currently 7-5, which is not guaranteed. So we do need to boost a bit because we're 6 plus our magnifying glass. So we're currently 7-5. So I'm just going to boost these 2 book icons with Detective Intuition. I don't care about that card. So we're 9-5. -2. So we succeed by 2. So we don't get a resource, we get a clue, which the clues don't really matter, but that places victory. We'll draw a card. It's a Tinker, which we could just get out of our hand if we want to have another magnifying glass. So far, we haven't found one. It's fast. Okay, so we just want to get another clue and then probably talk to Judith is my guess. I guess we'll just talk to Judith first. So we'll talk to Judith first because we've already done the one thing we want to do. So we'll spend a clue. So we go down to 8 and then we're going to go to our book and read Codex 7. There's a lot of Codex entries, but a lot of them are about like different characters on different days and stuff like that. Okay. Codex 7. If Judith shared a grudge, she did not share a grudge, right? I don't believe she shared a grudge. Sorry, I haven't set up the campaign manager, but I believe she didn't. We just did Interlude 2, and yeah, we just increased our experience, increased our relationship, and got 1 experience. Okay, so she hasn't shared a grudge. So otherwise, Judith grabs onto a tree branch to steady herself. This whole bog is sinking. It wasn't always this bad. Feels like something shifted down in the deep. Something big. I guess we should stick together, you know, so I can protect you. She flashes a smile. Take control of Judith Park. Okay, cool. So we have Judith. She's ours. I'm running out of red dice. I guess I know we have some. So she gives us a lot of soak, which is good. Are we already running out of space? I think the deck can be slightly off camera. So Judith is here. She doesn't take up an ally, which is nice. When we control her, we have another action on our turn, which I will just use with this exhaust token, but technically you don't exhaust her. And she can just give us another fight action, which so far hasn't been really relevant. At all points in time, we should like consider whether we can pivot to doing 20 damage or 19 more damage to the thing in the depths. And I don't know if there's enough time in the game, let alone bullets. So, I mean, it's fine to have her, I guess, because we have more soak. If she's defeated, her relationship level goes down, which we do want to avoid that. So that's fine. Okay, last action, we could clear this, and then we could maybe even fire Dr. Rosa's text, which maybe is worth something. But we're just gonna do here, we're 7-5, which isn't perfect. At this point, there's not much we want to draw in our deck, so I don't mind doing another gather intel, but there's not actually not many more clues we need to gather in this deck. So we're just gonna do 8-5 with this gather intel. Our hand is all about fighting, and like, we've shot nothing. 0? We succeed by 3. Dorothy money, nice. We'll get the last clue. So we got a victory. We go up to 4 clues, and we're going to choose to do the text on Rosa here, I think. So we can do whatever that Greek symbol is. I'm not sure which one it is. We'll go read that after you discover the last clue, your location. Take a look at this. Dr. Marquez beckons you to a striped trunk. It's impossible. 5 different species in one. I can't think of a grafting method that could produce something like this. She taps the trunk with her cane, reaches down and pulls up a thick, many-colored bundle of roots that look like angel's hair. They're sturdy, though. The roots resemble the mycelia network of a mushroom colony, but they're much thicker. Stick it to the trees and you won't sink. Choose any location in play. If it is a bog location, remove all sinkholes from it. If it's a sunken location, you can flip it back, keeping all tokens and attachments. So we can tactically use that. Now, we would want to flip something back, which we'd have to enter. I don't know if we have to enter any of these. If I'm not mistaken, if this thing just gets here, we have to advance. We don't have to be there. At the end of the round, if the Hydra is at the starting location, advance. So the only sunken locations are this, and this. If we flip one back, it means the skull is still -2. Like, it doesn't actually hit a breakpoint. So, like, I mean, maybe we could flip the open water back, the one we're at. They're all open water, mind you. But if we flip that one back, it means that if we draw into the encounter card that says all your characters don't have to take direct damage, we won't lose Dorothy on the spot. I mean, like, that's probably what we do here, but it's like not going to do actually that much. Yeah, I think that's what we do. So we'll just flip this one back. Yeah. So it's the Muddy Fen. All right, skull is still -2 because it's half rounded up. That's it. It has no text on it, so that's fine. It just means the counter deck is slightly nicer to us. It's a capital Theta. Thank you, Theta. Cool. All right, it's the enemy phase. So in our choice of order, this thing will move to the empty location. Technically, this is the only option, but we would have picked this option anyways. It still has a doom on it. The feline hybrid is going to come to us and swing at us. We didn't use our Sparrow Mask, which we probably should have used because it was free value this turn because we know we're going to hit. So it hits us for 1 and 1. We don't want to put damage on Daniel. We can put 1 damage on our knapsack. It's fine. We can take 1 horror to ourselves. In theory, we're going to take another damage himself instead of the knapsack because there's an encounter card that scales off how much damage we have. So we'll take 1 and 1. Oh, I did that to Joe. Excuse me. Damage, recover 1, swap, damage 1, horror 1. Are we really on 5 health on Joe? So we'll take 2. And then this thing has elusive, so it'll backpedal here to glassing. And we want the glassing to fire because it'll basically get us a victory. So we did spend 1 card, and we took a bit of damage along the way, but we spent 1 card to get 4 clues, which is kind of sick. It's actually really kind of good. Hunter's Instinct is in play? No, it's in our hand. Let alone we have no events in our discard pile, but it would have been really nice to get even more value from it. But we could have played Hunter's Instinct and grabbed the card back that we got do or die with and instead use Sparrow Mask. That might have been fine. Regardless, glassing will fire here, and then we'll discard it, so at least then we'll be able to grab it, but there's not a lot of clues. We got the free victory location in the middle as well. So after an enemy enters the location, investigate with +1. So if this is investigate, we can't redo it with Daniel, but we're currently at 5 evade. This will make us at 6 evade. It is 5 shroud. So we're going to make it 7-8 with the Sparrow Mask, and we will just boost 1 more for the sake of like security. I mean, I think I'm getting rid of the pocket knife. Like, I don't think we're going to use it. So 9-5, all these other cards you could boost, but they're events and they have extra icons we don't really need. The Muddy Fen is take sinkhole. Oh yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Muddy Fen does take sinkholes again. Thank you. Yeah, this will get 2 more when we end our turn, but we will leave it before it matters. But yeah, good catch. So we're 9-5, only 1 bad token. That's a skull. When you pull the red one, it gets scary, but that's -2. So we succeed, which means glassing can fire. So we're going to actually choose to discard glassing to get 2 clues. So Miguel goes up to 4 clues and we discard this, which means we can put another trap there and we're in a good spot, mind you. I really like the feline hybrid. It works so well with the traps as actually being like a pretty bad weakness, but it works out well. So 4 clues is not too bad for a single action. That probably like drew a card. All right, that's it. Upkeep. So we're going to ready everything. 1, 2. That's it. 1, That's it. 2. And then we get a card and a credit. So Miguel's only on 2 resources, draws into another pocket knife. Perfect. Here we have 7. This brings us to 8. It's a custom grip. We can just get this out of our hand for a resource and attach it to our 1911 if we want to, but it's not really going to matter in this scenario. Okay. Doom. Again, we're at 3. This brings us to 4 of 10. We have a lot of time. I don't think there's any Doom enemies in the deck. Again, the day scenarios are a bit soft, but they're pretty full of theme. We're going to draw a Grasping Tendril. Okay, so this one we actually have to deal with, which should be easy enough. It spawns here. At this location, we cannot catch up to it to do a elaborate distraction really easily. I guess we could pop into here and fire it, but it's very easy for us to move down there and then shoot it once and then leave the path open. And then technically Glassing will fire when the Children enters this. Regardless, that's Surge. Desiccation. So playing cards here, you have to take some damage. Not that bad. So anytime you play a card this round, it'll take a damage. Joe. Bloom. Man, these cards are cool. So Bloom says, choose the nearest flora enemy and heal all damage from it. So the flora enemies we have, the Children hybrid is a flora, the Grasping Tendril is a flora, and of course the Thing in the Depths is a flora, which we hurt. The feline is a creature and a mutated. And mutated actually is a trait that interacts with this campaign. So we'd have to heal all damage from it. It's elite heal 4 instead. If no damage was healed by this effect, discard cards from the top of the deck until you draw a flora. I mean, that's just all upside from us. Is this to say nearest? It's the nearest flora. So this is 2 away. This is 2 away. So we're just going to full heal the Children hybrid, which like, good. Not a big deal. They bloomed. Oops. Cool. The environment is healing. Everything is good. Okay, I think Joe's going to come in and just finally do crime stuff. I mean, police work. I mean, gun. So we're just going to shoot the Tendril. Technically, we don't even have to shoot it. We might just fight it with our bare hands. We could fire Gather Intel, I think. When an enemy enters your location. Okay, not you, it yours. So we can't fire that. But we can just come in there. We can shoot it. That's fine. Yeah, I mean, what else are we doing? We do want to take a second to play Dead Ends. In theory, you want to play this later than sooner, because if you shuffle your deck into your discard pile, if you deck out, but I don't think we're going to deck out before the scenario is over. So we'll start. Joe will move into the flooded path. This flooded path, we might as well just take a damage to fast travel. We're not going to be doing much with our actions, but we only spend 1 action here. This thing is not aloof. It's only aloof at night, so it's on us. It's a Grasping Tendril. So we need to fight it. It only has 2 fight. We're at 4 fight. I don't think we're going to use a bullet on it in case it matters, but we can use Judith, and Judith gets us a free combat action. It has to be a fight action. It doesn't have to be a basic fight action, so anything that says fight on it can be used, but we're going to just use our based fists. So we're going to be attacking the Grasping Tendril. Our fight stat is a mighty 4-2, which is not too bad, but we might as well just throw an overpower at it to make it. We're +4, so we're 6-2. If we succeed, we have to draw a card. +1, 7-2, we succeed. The Grasping Tendril is defeated, which means the Children hybrid is good to go. We draw a card. It's Logan just showing up a moment too late to get the resource. That's okay. So this place will collapse into the water if we end our turn there. I'm not too upset about that. We don't want to enter here because then the hybrid can enter here, but we actually can win next turn super easily. We just move into there, we just hit the hybrid and push it forward. So kind of going to be ending relatively quickly. We've got all the victory on the board that we can. If we want to like settle the fight between us and the hybrid, I mean, we can. But the issue with all these locations, like because we've been playing somewhat passively, we haven't had to deal with the text on these. But they say after you enter this location, you have to draw the top card of the counter deck. And luckily, we've never entered a flood location. We've only left flood locations. We've been putting on our waders and just sitting in the water, and it's worked out relatively well for us. So we have actually 2 actions left with Joe. So I think we are just going to take a moment to play the Dead Ends and not worry about it. So this is just an event that spends 5 and does nothing. So we're just going to spend 5 and do nothing. So half our money's gone, but Dead Ends is played. Again, it's all just force stuff. So you want to get that out of your hand. I honestly don't know what we do here. There's not much to do. Unfortunately, not much to do. I mean, I guess we'll just play an emergency cash. No, actually, the best thing we could do here is play an endurance, right? Because you could use the endurance. So we'll spend 2 on an endurance. I guess we'll put it up there. And now we can use our resources in the future to boost our stats on the Mythos phase. That's it. Yeah. Catching Tail End, SRN. Yeah, we're a couple turns away. It's been going good. I'm so excited to play Hemlock, as much as like the intros take up a lot of time. I don't know if you played this, but it's one of my favorite campaigns. Tomorrow, next week in the evening, it's gonna get bad. Glad you can make it. How you doing? All right, Miguel's going to do Miguel's stuff. This thing is going to continue to hit us over and over again. It's immune to player card effects, so it's not like we can ping it with a trap or anything. My group is on the last act. Okay, so you know how good Hemlock is. I don't know which day choices you took, but we're doing, I think, like the canonical Rosa Marquez thing. It is batshit. Oh my lord, it is so cool. Oh, the final act, like the final scenario, it's extra. There's a lot going on. All right, we're just going to start by evading the thing in the depths. So again, we're 5-2, and if we biff this, we just do it again. We have no reason to do door die here because we don't need to get a glassing. But like, yeah, it's not going to be much going on. -1, we succeed. We evade the thing. We could walk into this thing and fight it, but honestly, we don't have a reason to do that. Yeah, we don't have a reason to do that. Like, we can move for the sake of things being more interesting, but like, honestly, here we could just take resources and pass. I don't think we made effective decisions, but it's been a ride. If you pay attention to the people, you can make some effective decisions. If you pay attention to what they say and you talk to them. But yeah, that's still a ride. It's still a narrative, that's for sure. Okay, so an enemy could spawn. That means we could preemptively deal with the enemy. I know there's one enemy in the deck that has Doom on it that spawns at a empty location. So we're going to preempt that by spending 2 resources on the same old thing. And fast, we're going to play a lie in wait. And we can, actually, we can just put it here. Oh, we can't because it can only be 1 trap. We messed up. If this trap was a lie in wait, when this thing moves into here, we could have fought it. And when elusive fired, we could have moved into here and we could have left immediately. You actually can use elusive to your benefit. But instead, we're just going to put the lie in wait up here for 2 resources. We're going to use Miguel's knapsack to be able to put it in there. So that doesn't take an action. I mean, like, we got nothing going on here. Take 2 resources, I guess. Like, honestly, that's maybe fun enough. That's it. The hybrid will move. When the hybrid enters this location, we can go use the glassing here. This place has only 2 shroud, so that's fine. So we're going to exhaust this. We're going to use our 6 evade into this location. So it's 6-2, and we can get the last clue and then discard this card, which is fine. So 6-2, 0. So we'll discard this because we want to get the last clue. Actually, I don't even know if we can, because it says you get +1. If you succeed, you may discard glassing to discover an additional clue. I don't know if you're allowed to fire that if you can't like do the text. Let me know if that's the case, but regardless, it's not actually very impactful. Next, the hybrid's going to move in. It's going to hit us. It is immune to player card effects. Otherwise, we could send it to lie in wait, but the feline hybrid's going to strike us once more. We'll charge a Sparrow Mask. We'll take 1 damage, 1 horror. So we'll just take it to our face. And then it'll elusive its way. We'll just put it here. Oh no, we haven't want to put it to an empty location. So we'll put it, yeah, back where it was, whatever. Okay, upkeep, readies. It readies. Card and credit. We drew a Guerrilla Tactics. This is the sort of card that we wanted as soon as turn 1. Unfortunately, this thing is immune to it, but allows us to fight or evade at 2 locations away with our knapsack, which is sick. On this side, Joe Diamond has drawn a vicious blow. So if we draw something with a lot more health, like I think there's a big deer, a stag in the deck, that might be okay. Doom, we're technically at 5 because there's 1 on the Hydra. Okay. 1 card for Miguel. Oh, Desiccation. We forgot about this entirely. Did we end up playing cards? We did, yeah. We played an endurance and we played a thing. So we forgot about this entirely. I need to put it somewhere better. But this says this round, and I think we drew it this round. Maybe it was 2 rounds ago. After Investigator plays a card, they take a damage. So we're just going to take a damage because I forgot about that text. So we'll put 1 damage on Judith, and we'll put 1 damage on the knapsack. No big deal. Okay. Unnatural Growth. Also breaks a little bit with 5 players. You're playing 5 players? That's illegal. How is it like at 5 players? I imagine the game gets a lot easier at higher player counts. I've never seen anyone try this at 5 players. There's no rules that you can't. But yeah, that's weird. Place 1 Doom on the nearest enemy with no Doom on it. So unfortunately, that means we have to put it on the thing in the middle, which means we just lost a turn because that's never coming off. Yeah. If no Doom is placed by this, discard 2 cards randomly from your hand. The game still works, it just gets spikier. I mean, technically it shouldn't be spikier. It's weird to see a location that has like, what is it? Like 15 clues on it or something. But in theory, the game is meant to get easier with higher player counts. Joe Diamond draws Swarm. Okay, so this one can catch us out. Luckily, we played Endurance. So test 3 agility. For each point you fail by, you must lose a resource or take a damage. I mean, we have resources to burn. Our resources don't matter. So we don't actually have to boost into this. So we're just going to do 3-3. 5 encounter cards is a lot. Deliverance is fun. Deliverance. Which one's Deliverance? Oh, mind you, this was meant to break. We ended our turn there. So that means the skull is 1, 2, 3, 4. It's still 2. 5 to 3. Is Deliverance the one where you can like choose? No, that's not Deliverance. That's something else. Skull is -2. So we failed by 2. So we're just going to go ahead and lose 2 resources on Joe. That's not a big deal. All right. So we can just win at the end of this round. So it doesn't actually matter if we push this. If we put the trap there, we could have won this round. But the act says at the end of the round, the Celadrin Hydrant will move into the open water, the Celadrin Hybrid, and then that game will be over. So there's literally nothing to do here. So this has been unfortunately a bit anticlimactic. So, I mean, I guess we just start with Miguel. We've got all the victory, which is pretty good. So we'll start with Miguel. Miguel will just do the evade that Miguel needs to do, which is just 5 to 2. If we fail it, we can do this like 3 other times. So it's not really a big deal. So 5 to 2. 0, we evade this thing. I mean, we could just try to settle a debt and like deal with the feline hybrid if we wanted to. I mean, I guess we do. And we just like deal with it because it's fun. So I'm going to choose to use, I can't use loner because the loner only enters empty locations and this is not an empty location. So we're going to move into open water for the fun of it. I mean, this could be a disaster, but whatever. So the open water says, after you move this location, draw the top card in the counter deck. This is our second action. It's sudden mutation. Oh, wait, this one actually hits our encounter card. So it says attach to the nearest non-elite enemy. If you cannot search encounter deck and discard a mutated enemy and draw it. So we're going to attach to our feline hybrid, which already has the mutated keyword on it. And it says when attached enemy is defeated, discard cards from the top of the encounter deck until the enemy is discarded and spawn it at this location. It says spawn it at this location. It technically could have surge, I think, if it's the last thing on it, but like whatever, we decided to do this, so we're going to live with it. Last action, we're going to attack this thing. The feline hybrid, we have 3 attack. We will just boost into this a bit. So we'll do decoy trap to give our attack stat up to 5. We can't play any of these events, so we're 5 to 3. Honestly, if this whiffs, we're not unhappy because it just moves. So 5 to 3. The scenario you're playing right now is very easy. It has become easy over the last couple turns. Like it is a bit easy right now. I don't know what day you played it on. The one with the cultists in the middle. First watch, yeah, which is also fun. A lot of the game is also very easy, but the scenario from that's basically tower defense was unwinnable. Oh, the longest night? That scenario is so fun. 5 to 3, 0. We do 1 damage and we actually knock out the feline hybrid. All right, sudden mutation fires. So it says, when attached enemy is defeated, discard cards from the counter deck until an enemy is discarded, spawn it here, okay? So we have to discard until we find an enemy. All right, Poison Blossom, it's here. We could have actually prepared for this by putting a trap, but it doesn't really matter. So this is a really cool card. It's a Poison Blossom. It's a fauna. It just sits there. It's flora. It's engaged with us, actually. It has Retaliate. And during the day, every turn, it gets +1 health. And sorry, at the end of the round, you place 1 resource on it as overgrowth. And during the day, it gets +1 health and +1 damage for each overgrowth on it. The coolest thing about this card is like you can just leave it. It doesn't have a hunter. And then it'll just keep growing turn after turn after turn after turn until it technically will attack you for like 15 damage. And then when you think you're safe, you draw that 1 encounter card that says the nearest enemy attacks you and you get one-shotted by a flower. Like this thing you have to deal with, which is like just so cool. Technically here we don't. But yeah, this is like a really cool card because you could leave it alone. But if you ever get too near it and you draw the 1 card, it hits you and it's pretty bad. Okay, we can attack it. We can also just pass. I think we're just going to pass. It doesn't really matter what we do with this. We could evade it, but it doesn't matter. So we're just going to pass our turn. We defeated the hybrid, which is fine. Joe, unfortunately, is also just going to pass the turn. There's no reason to do anything here. There's no victory. At the end of the round, we get hit for 1 horror, which is fine. This thing enters this, which is fine. And then we draw a card and credit, which is fine. Wall of Thorns is when you enter, not when you leave, right? Yeah. So all this stuff is totally fine. We just have to survive the card and credit. We draw 1. We draw 1. Okay. So a bit anticlimactic. I have to apologize, but yeah, I had a lot of fun preparing for this last night, but that wasn't exactly what's going on here. So at the end of the round, if the hydrant is at the starting location, immediately advance. So we will advance and that will give us a resolution. So you corner the reptilian creature in a shining pool where it sinks into the mud, clearly exhausted. As it starts munching on a tangle of flowers, you take several sketches and notes of the thing's sprouting shell. The alkaloid blossom on its back seems to pulse. Producing a pair of shears, you prepare to take a sample. If it is day 1, read the following. Okay, stop, Dr. Marquez shouts. That flower is parasitic. It's now part of the creature's anatomy. There's no telling how deeply it's embedded. She points to the flower's thick, translucent stem. Viscous white fluid pumps through it like an artery. If the flower dies, its host dies too. Resolution 2. Good old Cheladron Hydra. Good old Chelly. Okay, let's see what it has for us. So resolution 2. So there's a bunch of different resolutions, and there's a lot of resolutions because, again, when you play this, the outcome, there's way more resolutions to the scenarios than most scenarios in this campaign or other campaigns. A gun clicks behind you. Hold back, Judith says, emerging from the undergrowth. She takes aim at the reptilian hybrid. Keep clear of that thing. Dr. Marquez steps between Judith and the creature. With all due respect, that thing is completely harmless. As if to underscore her point, the creature chews a flowering branch. Nothing on this island is harmless, Judith retorts. Everything, even the sweet turtles and the cute deer and the damn rabbits are deadly. I don't know why the villagers aren't more afraid. I can guarantee you this turtle thing doesn't just munch flowers. If you shoot the thing I came here to survey, you will not be paid, Dr. Marquez says coldly. The professor pulls out a notebook and begins sketching the creature. A hush falls over the group as a pair of frogs swim across the pond in front of the creature. In an instant, the Cheladron hybrid opens the mouth to expose 4 separate rows of teeth lining the back of its throat, then snaps up both frogs. Dr. Marquez puts down her sketchbook. What in the hell? In your campaign log, record that the Cheladron hybrid lived. I don't know if that matters. I really hope it does. Each investigator earns 3 bonus experience as they witness a part of Eastwick Bog's unique flora and fauna. That's nice. Skip to resolution 5. Miskatonic Survey, June 1926. Members Marquez, Musgrave, et al. Area surveyed Eastwick Bog. Numerous abnormally sized flora, parasitic variety capable of controlling its host. Oppressively abundant ecosystem. Aggressive water life. More jungle than forest. Not your average bog. We'll need to return with more finding. Update your campaign log. If River asked for help and an investigator controlled River Hawthorne when they were defeated or the scenario ended, decrease River Hawthorne's relationship level. That didn't happen. And if Judith Park notes, if Judith shared a grudge and the thing in the depth enemies in the victory display, so Judith can defeat it, increase her relationship level and gain an extra bonus experience. We did not do that. Each investigator earns experience equal to the victory X value of each card in the victory display. Each investigator may now spend their experience recorded under unspent experience in your campaign log. In the area surveyed section, we have surveyed Eastwick Bog, and check your campaign log. If it's day 1, we turn to Prelude the first evening. I'm not going to, I guess we have to do that Prelude tonight. It only makes sense. No, we'll do it tomorrow night because it's before the next scenario. So it is next evening. That will make a lot of sense. We did not get this resolution, Lamau. All right. So we got 3 extra experience, which is nice. We got 1 extra experience from talking to Judith earlier. So we have 4 experience on top of 5. We also just got this free experience in the middle of the bog because it just flipped and removed all tokens. So 6. And then there's 1 victory here, 7. So we have 7 experience so far, which is pretty good. I think we have a chance of getting more tomorrow night, but also the night scenarios, I think they're not generous on experience. I think the day scenarios are the ones that are generous on experience, but 7 victory for both of our characters is a pretty good start. Can't complain about that at all. What can be fun, SRN, is to decide which villages you're going to woo and make sure you follow them around the scenarios where possible. Yeah, we're kind of on board of following Rosa, which like, I think she has a relationship level. I'm pretty sure she does. And also Judith, which like, that's fine. We can use a bit more firepower in our team. But if you talk to them, yeah, you got to know where they go and then you can follow them. I think the other thing we could have done here is followed the Theo and his sister, Helen. And that's a storyline I've never done so far. So yeah, we try to be friends with absolutely everyone. I think there's a benefit to being friendly with everyone, but there's no resolution that's worth like, I think talking to everyone. I think you're generally incentivized to get like more interesting storylines by specializing. But I do think being friendly with everyone does help. But it's been a minute. I haven't played this in a while. That's not what the campaign wants you to do. Yeah, okay, maybe not then. Cool. Yeah, that was fine. I mean, it's an okay scenario. Again, the day scenarios are a lot easier. Mind you, tomorrow night, we're going to have our work cut out for us and more. We're going to be, I'm not going to tell you what we're going to do. Technically, you can choose to not do one of the like bespoke night scenarios that you can only play at night. And you can go on one of the expeditions, a day scenario during the night, and it will change. Like we saw at least here, the setup probably isn't that different at night. But if those tentacles are aloof at night, that does hurt us a fair bit. As much as elaborate distraction does just beat them as well. If you do this with 5 players, you get only 1 turn in the preludes. Oh, that's true. Because you put 5 doom on them. Yeah, imagine playing 6 players. Just don't even set it up. I think with 5 players each having a turn, you can do it, but it doesn't allow you to mulligan well, right? Oh, you cheated. Perhaps. I mean, that's an option too. Cool. I mean, that's mostly it. I'm really excited to dive deeper into Hemlock Vale. The next scenario, if we do the night scenario, which we will, it's one of my favorite ones. So we're in for a treat. We have to decide from that point forward what our next day scenario is. I forget where Rosa goes. I think she goes to the Heath, either on day 2 or day 3. I can't remember. I'm not sure which scenario, if we follow Rosa, we don't go to. I think it might be the minecart one, which is always really fun. But this is a campaign that's definitely worth playing multiple times, so we might on this channel. Miguel was really in his element. I mean, you're not wrong, but also he kind of underperformed. Like, I'll be honest, both of our characters kind of underperformed. Like, Joe did nothing. Joe got a couple clues and drew some cards. Like, we never fired the gun. Like, whatever. He was good because, like, you're right, he was in his element, and being in the center of the map with a knapsack allows him to put the traps and like hit the elusive things. I think like Miguel's gonna have such a fun time in this campaign. But like we only played 2 or 3 events with his text. That's the downside. It's like we mulliganed way too aggressively into assets and then just didn't get to do the free stuff. Like we didn't even play emergency cash before the scenario is over. I'm thinking maybe there's a small chance we could have tried doing 20 damage, but I don't know. I think we would need more damage in Miguel for that to be possible, because Miguel has no cards on his deck that allow him to do more than 1 damage a turn. We could be playing, if we wanted to, the meat cleaver. That's the one card you could play at 0 XP if you want Miguel to do more damage. But also there is like that 0 XP skill card that maybe somebody knows the name of, where you throw the brick, which has no boost icons, but you can commit it to an evasion or attack, even at a neighboring location, and it does 1 extra damage. I had considered that, but I didn't want to put too many skill cards in Miguel's deck because, again, it's mostly about events, right? Miguel's enemy really scares me, but it was interesting seeing you abuse it. It's really good for your kit. Like at the end of the day, it just hits you for 1 and 1, which like play Alexi, don't care about it. But the fact that it has something on the table that allows you to move, it's not unique to his enemy. Like any elusive enemy will work, but like you just have to hit it twice and it just runs away when you hit it. Long shot. Yeah, thank you. Long shot is like a really cool card. And I was considering putting it, and it is one of the ways to get like more tempo damage, but that's fine. It's cool that you can use this in cooperatively too. You can commit it to a gunshot in the next location, because you can commit this to fighter evasion that you're not doing. Kind of cool. I like the card. I like skills with no boost. I think they're really fun. That should be it for tonight. Again, it's past midnight. Happy Canada Day has come and gone. Maybe on the West Coast you're still celebrating, but we'll be back next Wednesday at the latest. Maybe we'll be back sooner because we have a couple scenarios ahead of us. I do want to say that this one is slightly shorter than most of their campaigns. It's only, what is it, 6 scenarios, which I know the campaigns coming up in the near future are only 3 scenarios, and 6 is honestly a pretty good middle point between short but not too long, and allows you to get through it and play your deck and upgrade your deck and then get to something new, which is gonna be good. Rosa's Silent Heath day 2, and then day 3 is your choice. Okay, cool. So we're gonna see some bugs. I like Silent Heath a lot as well. There's some really good scenarios in this. I don't know if we're gonna do the minecart 3rd scenario. Like maybe we're gonna go to the house or go to the beach. We'll see who else is there and whatever. Like maybe we'll follow Judith a bit to get our friendship up with Judith. It'd be nice to have the person with a gun. That's mostly it. If you appreciate content like this, if you want to take a second to leave a like on the video, it does help so much. We're a young channel here. If you want to subscribe as well, leave a comment. All that sort of stuff really helps, because right now we're just like asking for the algorithm to push us forward into the right way. If you want to share this with someone you think would appreciate Arkham, whether it's like the Hemlock Vale or accessible gameplay where we show all the cards, all that stuff is super, super appreciated. A whole lot of time goes behind the scenes on the channel to do all the overlays, upload the cards, make the technology. So it's the nicest way to say thank you for sure. Hey, me too. That was a long stream. Yeah. Hemlock Vale has a really weird structure where like today is specifically long because we had to do a deck dive and explain our new decks and then play them after doing the prelude. But generally, I think tomorrow is also gonna be a longer one. So likely next week we'll start about an hour earlier. Probably start around 7, finish at midnight. How are you doing, Ether? That's mostly it. Thanks so much for hanging out. I gotta go make a thumbnail for this because I didn't know what scenario we'd play. Take care, y'all. We'll catch you in the next one. Take care of yourselves.